The girl simply mentions wanting black pepper on her steak, but this shocks the Magic Academy professor. In this world, spices are incredibly rare. A plate of black pepper could buy an entire mansion. This casual comment saves her from certain death. Sylvie has transmigrated from the 21st century into a body whose original owner was pretending to be nobility. Now, a real noble lady tests her with expensive spices. Sylvie takes one look and thinks, aren't these just common seasonings from Western cuisine? The intense aroma of spices carried by humid air floods her nostrils, almost bringing back memories of her study abroad days in Europe. Sylvie, please stand up and answer my question. The sudden voice snaps Sylvie back to reality. The speaker is a blonde man in his 30s or 40s, staring at her intently with undisguised suspicion in his eyes. Sylvie's pupils contract as enormous panic rises in her heart. Strange emotions instantly invade her mind. Along with the surging emotions, there are also memories that keep flashing through her brain. She remembers now. This body's original owner had pretended to be a noble lady to enter the academy. She got into trouble by fighting over dormitory rooms and offended a real noble lady. That noble lady saw through the original owner's identity and wanted to expose her during the very first class. The blonde man is Professor Phil, the teacher of this class. He listened to the noble lady's suggestion and called on the original owner to answer questions. This is potions class, currently covering basic spices commonly used by nobles. The question Professor Phil asks also relates to spices, but the original owner had never been exposed to expensive spices. Just hearing the question terrified her so much that her soul nearly left her body. Why was she so frightened? Because once commoners pretending to be nobles are discovered, they face torture and public execution by hanging. Thinking of those medieval tortures, Sylvie takes a sharp breath. She quickly calms herself, stands up, and looks at Professor Phil. Sorry, Professor Phil. I was distracted. Could you please repeat the question? A snort of laughter comes from the front right. I don't think she was distracted. She simply doesn't know the answer. The speaker is a follower of that noble lady. Then whispered discussions fill the classroom. She doesn't even recognize basic spices. Is Sylvie really a noble? Quiet! Professor Phil taps the table and looks at Sylvie again. Sylvie, please identify the spices on the table and briefly explain their uses. Certainly. Sylvie looks down at the spice plate again. Rosemary, thyme, parsley. These are the most common seasonings in Western cuisine. She steadies herself, reaches out to touch the spices, and names them one by one along with their functions. Rosemary has a sweet and spicy taste. When cooked, it can treat stomach pain and insomnia. Thyme can be used as a side dish. Parsley is an aromatic spice that can be eaten raw. Sylvie withdraws her finger and looks up. Professor, is my answer correct? The classroom falls silent. Sylvie frowns. Do these spices have different names than on Earth? After a long moment, she finally hears Professor Phil's voice. Have you actually eaten all these spices? Sylvie smiles. Professor, these spices are very common seasonings, aren't they? Although Professor Phil also comes from nobility, even he cannot afford to use these spices extravagantly for cooking and seasoning. You answered very well. I'm giving you 10 points for this class. Just as Sylvie sits down, the noble lady in front suddenly turns around and looks at her with examining blue eyes, as if evaluating an object of unknown value. Sylvie meets her gaze and notices something interesting. This noble lady named Athena has shining golden hair that happens to be exactly the same color as Professor Phil's. During the second half of class, Sylvie keeps her eyes down, organizing the extra memories in her mind. This body's original owner was originally a small fisherwoman. Her fishing village suffered a pirate massacre, and only she was lucky enough to be rescued by several knights. One kind female knight gave her an admission letter and some gold coins, telling her to come study at this school. The original owner had an outstanding appearance. On her way to school, she nearly got assaulted several times. To protect herself, she began pretending to be nobility. But this impulsive decision also cost the original owner her life. In the memories, the original owner couldn't answer Professor Phil's questions today, which aroused suspicion from classmates. They notified church inquisitors, who arrested the original owner and threw her into the church prison. She couldn't withstand the torture and revealed her true identity. After her identity was exposed, the original owner was first tied with ropes and paraded through the streets by soldiers. Then she was hung on the city walls for a full 7 days, enduring countless people's curses and spit. Those commoners threw sewage and rotten vegetables at her. Finally, she was sent to the execution platform in the marketplace and hanged to death. Before dying, she sacrificed her soul to an evil god, hoping the evil god could change this world and alter her future. Whether the evil god received her sacrifice is unknown, but it brought Sylvie to transmigrate on the very day the original owner was exposed. Sylvie half closes her eyes and continues recalling information about this school. Cyril Magic Academy was established with joint funding from multiple nations. Although the academy always proclaimed that admission was regardless of social status, the nobles here still discriminated heavily against commoners. The line between the two groups was clear and distinct. The original owner pretended to be nobility and entered the noble student circle, but her habits clashed completely with noble customs. She would have been exposed sooner or later. Today's test was just an appetizer. At least Athena wouldn't let her off so easily. In the original owner's memories, Athena had already sent someone to investigate her background. Sylvie wants to stop Athena but lacks the ability. She doesn't know who Athena sent to investigate her, nor what that person might discover. This feeling of waiting for judgment is quite novel, but Sylvie can roughly guess where that person went. When registering, the original owner filled out a form with her basic information. Fortunately, registration didn't require specific identity or address details, so the original owner just wrote the general location of her fishing village, the North Sea coast. Even if that person went to the North Sea area, there are so many cities and villages along the coast that he might not find the specific fishing village. Besides, when the original owner left, all the villagers had been killed by pirates, and the fishing village was burned down by them. There's no evidence left. The only thing Sylvie worries about now is the knights who funded the original owner's education. Only they know her true identity. Near the end of class, Professor Phil assigns homework. He wants everyone to use these spices to create a fragrant formula and submit it next class. On the way out of school, students discuss how to complete the assignment. Blake, how do you plan to prepare these spices? Sylvie perks up her ears to listen. Heh, this is my first time seeing so many spices. I want to put them all in a pot, boil them into thick medicinal paste, and apply it to myself every day. Sylvie finds this ridiculous. Isn't he afraid of pickling himself? But she suddenly remembers that spices were originally used for religious offerings and funeral rituals. Ancient Egyptians over 3,000 years ago used spices to preserve corpses. They mixed various spices with oils and applied them to bodies, creating mummies that remained fragrant for millennia. Thinking of this, Sylvie feels a complex mix of emotions. No wonder others reacted so strangely when she said those spices were seasonings. Using spices meant for preserving corpses as food seasonings, how could that not be strange? In the end, it's all about historical and cultural differences. Sylvie becomes alert. From now on, she must consider the cultural background here before speaking or acting, to avoid being labeled a heretic. After thinking this through, Sylvie prepares to leave, but an arrogant voice sounds behind her. Commoner, stop right there! It's the noble lady's follower! With ill intentions approaching, Sylvie quickens her pace. Sylvie! The girl can't believe she's being ignored and angrily runs in front of her. I told you to stop. Didn't you hear me? Sylvie is forced to stop. Vera, what do you want? Vera looks down at her arrogantly. You don't think everyone was fooled by you, do you? Eating spices, how ridiculous! Sylvie doesn't bother explaining that she wasn't eating spices but using them for seasoning. So you came to find me just to say these boring things? Boring, Vera raises her voice. Commoner, how dare you speak to me like this? Aren't you afraid I'll expose you? Sylvie's expression doesn't change. Expose me for what? You still dare to put on an act. Although I don't know how you recognize those spices, you can't fool me. I saw through you long ago. You're not nobility at all. Stupid commoner. That dirty wool undergarment you're wearing is something only commoners would wear. Are you finished? Sylvie looks at her calmly. Then it's my turn to speak. Under Vera's shocked gaze, Sylvie steps closer, her eyes flashing with intimidating coldness. In my opinion, your speech is vulgar and crude, your behavior frivolous and dissolute, completely lacking the refinement nobles should possess. Your conduct is improper, your morals corrupt. Your jealousy and pettiness are written all over your face. Your soul is filthy, dirty, and disgusting. You are not a qualified lady. Vera, you really should go home and study noble etiquette properly. Vera screams and points at Sylvie's nose. You despicable. Please mind your posture. Sylvie quickly interrupts her with a stern rebuke. Ladies, do not shout and scream. Put away your ugly expression. You disgust me. Vera breaks down crying, covers her face, and runs away. For noble ladies of this era, Sylvie's words are truly vicious. But she doesn't feel sorry. In the original owner's memories of the next 7 days, Vera visited her once. The words she used to humiliate the original owner then were 10,000 times more vicious than this. At this moment, Athena slowly emerges from behind the pillars. The Wesley family is famous for protecting their own. Aren't you afraid of bringing Wesley family retaliation by humiliating Vera like this? The 3 words Wesley family trigger the original owner's memories. Information about Vera immediately surfaces in Sylvie's mind. Vera is the youngest daughter of Count Baron Wesley. If even an earl's daughter can only be a follower, what kind of background does this girl using the alias Athena have? Sylvie conceals the suspicion in her eyes and turns around calmly. You use Vera like this. Aren't you afraid she'll complain to Count Wesley? Athena curves her lips slightly. Of course I'm not afraid. Besides, she doesn't have the brains for that. Sylvie nods. Then why do you think I would be afraid? It seems I was overthinking. Athena smiles with her eyes and lips, then suddenly changes the subject. By the way, tomorrow we have runic studies class. Those commoners will probably make fools of themselves again. I heard commoners don't know arithmetic. They don't even know multiplication and division. How will they calculate geometry? Sylvie finds this somewhat strange. She can understand runic studies, since this is a magic academy after all, but why would runic studies class teach geometry? Isn't that what mathematics class teaches? However, Sylvie, who escaped one disaster, still can't relax. The original owner spent all her money buying outer garments for appearance, while her inner clothes are still a wool undergarment. Wool dyeing and textile technology wasn't advanced at this time, producing rough and heavy wool garments. Real nobles usually wore fine linen or cotton clothing. Sylvie rubs the wool undergarment in her hands as processing procedures flash through her mind. If technology isn't advanced, She can make it advanced, can't she? Warm, comfortable, and easy to maintain fine wool garments would definitely appeal to those extravagantly wealthy great nobles. When all nobles take pride in wearing the softest and most expensive fine cashmere garments, those people will instead think she's the real noble because she wore them earliest. Thinking of this, Sylvie takes out an old piece of linen cloth, roasts a wooden stick into a charcoal pencil, and carefully draws on the linen, steps for washing wool, methods for removing oil, improved tools for combing wool, and the process of spinning and weaving cloth. When the linen is covered with drawings, the moon has already risen to the middle of the sky. This linen cloth is just a draft. She still needs to buy parchment and use quill pens and ink to copy it again. Once she sells this thing, the large sum of money needed to maintain her noble disguise can be replenished in time. Sylvie stretches and feels incredibly grateful to her past self who loved browsing TikTok. She watched plenty of videos from craft bloggers. The next day's class is runic studies. Everyone has a square sand tray in front of them, with a smooth, small wooden stick placed beside each tray. Some noble students skillfully pick up the wooden sticks and start drawing in their sand trays. Good morning, children. I'm Claude Macready, your runic studies teacher. You can call me Professor Macready. Good day, Professor Macready. The students all stand up and bow in greeting. Very good, please sit down. Professor Macready nods and begins his lecture. Runes are containers for absorbing magical power. By analyzing and inscribing these marks, we can capture magical elements scattered throughout heaven and earth, then control and use them. Runes have many uses. The most common use is enchantment. For example, carving wind runes on a knight's sword can increase the speed of sword swings. Next is teleportation. Runes can connect spatial channels. By carving runes in different locations, we can achieve long-distance travel. Finally, there's summoning. Summoning runes can not only summon magical beasts, but also summon undead spirits. Legendary archmages can even summon divine projections. Of course, the latter two types of runes are courses for intermediate and advanced magic apprentices. What you need to learn now is basic rune inscription. Sylvie listens very attentively. In the original owner's memories, this continent is full of magical legends, and she's extremely curious about magic. All right, children, smooth out your sand trays. I'm going to start explaining the structure of basic runes. Runes are compressed spatial structures, so we must first learn to draw plane geometry. The geometric shapes used in rune drawing fall into 4 categories: rectangles, triangles, circles, and polygons. Sylvie never expected that after transmigrating, she'd still need to start with geometry. This runic studies class is basically the predecessor of mathematics class. Professor Macready continues, after learning to draw geometric shapes, we also need to know how to calculate rune proportions to inscribe them on different carriers. He draws a 6-pointed star on the wooden board, marking one line segment as 1 foot, then draws a square, marking the side length as 6 inches. Now, who can tell me, if I want to carve this 6-pointed star onto a square stone slab, what's the maximum length its line segments can be in inches? The students below immediately pick up their pencils to calculate. After calculating for a while, they look up with confused expressions at the wooden board, as if looking at some heavenly scripture. Professor Macready asks again, who knows how to calculate this? Many people lower their heads, hunching their necks like quails. Suddenly, Vera raises her hand. My friend Sylvie comes from nobility and is skilled in arithmetic. I think she can definitely answer your question. After speaking, Vera looks at Sylvie. Dear, quickly tell the professor your answer. She had observed that Sylvie hadn't moved her pencil from start to finish. This lowly commoner definitely doesn't know arithmetic. Professor Macready sees the tension between the two but doesn't intend to interfere. He also doesn't believe Sylvie can answer this question. After all, this problem is genuinely difficult for them. Not being able to answer would be normal. Sylvie, are you willing to answer this question? Professor Macready asks, while already prepared to be refused. But Sylvie had already calculated the answer mentally. Hearing his question, she stands up. The answer is the square root of 3 minus 1, multiplied by the square root of 6, which equals approximately 1.8 inches. Vera almost laughs out loud. Ha ha ha, what square root of 3? You call that an answer? Can't do arithmetic but still gives random answers. Now Professor Macready will definitely be angry. She doesn't notice the bright light flashing in Professor Macready's eyes. You know how to calculate square roots in trigonometry? I was fortunate to learn a little and haven't forgotten yet. Sylvie answers very modestly. My child, you're too modest. I've taught many students, but most of them can't figure it out. They only know how to draw rigidly. Professor Macready looks at Sylvie with growing satisfaction. Good child, sit down. It's normal for other students not to know. I just wanted to use this to introduce the mathematical knowledge we'll cover next, trigonometry and square roots. Vera's expression immediately darkens. She doesn't understand why Sylvie, clearly just a commoner, knows so many things. Could she really be nobility? After class, Sylvie leaves the classroom heading toward the cafeteria. Many people walk together toward the academy dining hall. Suddenly, the sound of copper coins scattering fills the air. A girl frantically bends down to pick up copper coins, sweating profusely in the flowing crowd. Sorry, please let me through. I dropped my copper coins. One copper coin rolls to Sylvie's feet, and she stops it with her foot. She picks up the copper coin and walks to the girl. Yours? Seeing a gorgeous dress hem, the girl hurriedly stands up to make way. Ah, sorry, did I block your path? Sorry, I didn't mean to. Sylvie presses her lips together and extends the coin. I just wanted to say, your copper coin. The girl timidly raises her head, eyes wide with disbelief as she looks at Sylvie. After seeing the girl's face clearly, Sylvie also freezes for a moment. In the original owner's memories of the next 7 days, this is the only person who tried to give her water when she was hung on the city wall for public display. Do you want it or not? Sylvie extends her hand further. The girl quickly accepts the copper coin respectfully with both hands. Thank you. Thank you so much. This is my first time meeting such a noble and kind young lady. Sylvie smiles slightly. What's your name? The girl nervously straightens her back. My name is Winnie Charlie. I'm Sylvie. Winnie, can we become friends? Of course, as long as you don't mind. Count them. Did you pick them all up? Winnie counts once and finally shows a smile on her face. She gratefully thanks Sylvie. Fortunately, you helped me, otherwise I couldn't gather enough money to rent a horse. Rent a horse? Sylvie looks puzzled. Winnie nods. I'm a beginning magic apprentice. The entrance exam the day after tomorrow includes equestrian arts. I can't afford to buy a horse, so I can only rent one. Doesn't the academy provide free horses for equestrian class? Sylvie silently groans, because she also has no money to buy a horse. They do, but those horses are very old. Noble students all use their own horses, which run very fast. If my performance is too poor, I'll lose my tuition-free qualification. Hearing about tuition exemptions, the completely broke Sylvie becomes interested and casually asks, is tuition-free qualification hard to obtain? Of course it's difficult. You need to rank in the top 10 overall to get full tuition exemption, and top 20 gets half exemption. Winnie clenches her fists with determined eyes. I must achieve the best results. The top 3 even get substantial scholarships. Sylvie's eyelashes flutter. With over 200 students in a grade, making the top 10 is genuinely challenging. But thinking of the high tuition costs, she feels she's not incapable of trying hard. Cyril Magic Academy offers 7 courses in total: potions, runic studies, incantations, alchemy, astronomy, swordsmanship, and equestrian arts. She's already attended potions and runic studies once. The difficulty isn't too great. Moreover, after witnessing the scientific nature of runic studies, Sylvie has automatically translated the names of each subject in her mind. Potions is biology. Runic studies is mathematics. Incantations should be some kind of foreign language. Alchemy is chemistry. Astronomy is ancient astronomy, so it belongs to physics. Swordsmanship is physical education. Equestrian arts is like driver's education. Mathematics, foreign languages, science subjects, this seems like a science-focused academy. Perfect. She was a science student in her previous life. Except for swordsmanship and equestrian arts, getting high scores in the remaining subjects shouldn't be difficult. However, this means she must quickly sell her fine wool processing formula. After earning money, she'll first buy a good horse, whether for better disguising her identity or achieving high scores in equestrian arts. Thinking of this, Sylvie looks at the girl. Winnie, do you know which is Cyril's largest wool textile merchant? Winnie doesn't know who the largest wool textile merchant is, but she has a classmate named Blake Hawkins whose family runs Cyril's second largest wool textile business. The two find Blake. Sylvie tells him, I have a formula for wool textile techniques and want to do business with you. Blake has always aspired to develop his family business. Hearing this news, he immediately sends word to his father, inviting Sylvie and Winnie to visit their shop for detailed discussions. After all, he can't make decisions about such big business himself, especially when the other party is nobility. Burton Hawkins receives the message and waits early at the shop. But he thinks a noble young lady wouldn't have any good formulas. However, if his son could gain the noble lady's friendship through this, or even more boldly, win the noble lady's heart, their family could enter high society. After meeting Sylvie, Burton becomes even more excited. The girl has noble black hair, such delicate features, and moves so elegantly while lifting her dress hem and walking on tiptoe. Burton is certain this is a genuine noble lady. At this moment, Sylvie also finally feels relieved. The streets are full of animal waste with hardly anywhere to step, and she almost vomited. This world's street environment is truly terrible. The group sits in the second-floor reception room. Miss Sylvie, Blake mentioned you have a formula for wool textile techniques? Yes, this is my family's secret formula. Normally, it cannot be shared with outsiders, but Cyril's wool fabrics are really rough and heavy. They make my whole body uncomfortable. Please try our wool cloth here. It is indeed somewhat rough, Burton smiles apologetically, while thinking dismissively. Wool fabrics are naturally thick and scratchy. Which noble family wears them as undergarments? This young lady is probably deliberately finding fault. So I want to do business with you. Use my formula to weave wool cloth that satisfies me and make it into finished garments. I'll pay you generous compensation. Burton hesitates somewhat. If he opens a production line just for her alone, this business wouldn't be very profitable. How much wool cloth do you need? For one wool garment per day, I'd need about 50 bolts of cloth. I can pay you 100 gold coins as deposit, and for finished wool garments, I'll pay you 10 silver coins each. Sylvie had researched beforehand. Current wool garments generally cost only 60 copper coins each. Her price is more than 10 times higher, so Burton will definitely be tempted. Additionally, I need some wool shawls and wool coats. 2 gold coins per shawl, 7 gold coins per coat. Make 20 shawls first and 10 coats as well. Burton counts on his fingers and quickly calculates the profit. Excluding costs, he can net 200 gold coins. That's 2 million copper coins. This could buy him 4 large garden mansions in the royal capital. His shop's current annual net income is only 20 gold coins. Burton's breathing becomes heavy. Miss Sylvie, are you serious? Will you really pay these prices? I always keep my word, but I have 2 requirements. Please speak, please speak. Burton now looks at Sylvie like she's a deity of wealth descended from heaven. First, you must strictly follow my formula to process the wool. If you can't do this, our cooperation ends. Second, my price is a buyout price. The wool garments produced can only be sold to me alone. You cannot sell them to others or leak my formula to anyone, even if I leave Cyril in the future. Sylvie's negotiating presence is extraordinarily imposing, her cold gaze making Burton unable to breathe. Of course, naturally. Burton wipes sweat from his forehead, thinking that nobles really are different. This aura around her, just one look makes him want to kneel. Good. Since Mr. Hawkins agrees so readily, I'll confidently entrust my formula to you. As Blake's father, I trust your character. Burton glances at Blake and gives him an approving look. Blake immediately straightens his chest with undisguised pride. Though he only met Miss Sylvie for the first time today, she trusts him this much? Sylvie takes out the copied parchment scroll and hands it to Burton. If there's anything you don't understand, you can ask me now. After you confirm you can make the fabric I want, we'll draft a contract and I'll pay your deposit. Burton unfolds the parchment scroll and holds his breath as he reads. The scroll contains not only written explanations of important steps but also illustrated diagrams. At first glance, it's clear and vivid, very easy to understand. This isn't just one formula. It's clearly an entire textile manual. Any random process picked from it could make them rich. Burton looks at Sylvie with burning eyes. Can I really see such a precious formula? This is simply unbelievable. Aren't you afraid I'll steal it? Sylvie leans against the chair with her chin in her hand, appearing disinterested. To me, it's just a few pieces of paper. Mr. Hawkins, you're a businessman. I think you should understand what's most profitable. Burton nods emphatically. Rest assured, Hawkins' shop will absolutely not disappoint you. Sylvie arranges her dress and stands up. It's getting late. Contact me after you make fabric samples. After Sylvie leaves, Blake asks Burton in confusion, Father, why does Miss Sylvie want us to make clothes for her? Couldn't she just have her family servants bring them over? What do you know? Someone as noble as Miss Sylvie wouldn't use those inferior stockpiled fabrics. That night, Sylvie tosses and turns in bed, unable to sleep. She's already sent out the wool textile technology. If Hawkins' shop works through the night, they could weave a palm-sized piece of fabric within 3 days, just in time for the day before equestrian arts class. But she's unsure whether they'll proceed as she expects. If Burton doesn't get excited after seeing the fabric quality, she won't be able to continue this charade. She can't come up with a single coin of the 100 gold coin deposit. Suddenly, Sylvie realizes she made a mistake. Her attitude toward people today was too arrogant. As a fake noble, it would be better to play a bleeding heart saint. This could cover up her lack of confidence and disguise it as a character flaw. Moreover, noble members all have their fixed social circles. Once she squeezes in, she'll be exposed quickly. To develop her power, she can only seek out commoners, so her personality must appeal to commoners. She needs another low-key, mysterious, and gentle noble lady persona. Thinking of this, Sylvie gets up and carves 8 characters on her bedhead. Merciful, tolerant, gentle, pure. She'll look at them every morning before getting up to remember her character setting. Outside the window, a red-eyed crow watches quietly, taking in her carving actions completely. After a while, it flaps its wings and flies toward the other side of the academy. A handsome-faced young man draws the 8 characters the crow saw on parchment. Chad, have you seen these symbols before? The young man named Chad shakes his head. Never seen them, Your Highness, but they look like some kind of writing. The young man's eyes grow sinister. Could my royal sister have really found a witch? Find a way to kill her tonight, and remember to make it look like an accident. Chad bows his head. As you command. At midnight, Sylvie dreams of a poisonous spider crawling from her blanket onto her face and biting her. This scares her awake immediately, and she sits up. She sees a fluffy, large spider really sitting on her blanket. She quickly grabs a cup to trap the spider. So fluffy and cute, I should keep it as a pet. On the 4th day, in incantations class, the beginning magic apprentices are all excited, discussing various magics enthusiastically in the classroom. As the class bell rings, a cold and elegant mature woman walks into the classroom. She carries a bundle of tree branches under her arm and holds a thick silver book like a brick. Her stern demeanor intimidates everyone. The class students immediately quiet down, all looking at her nervously. The woman slams the silver book onto the desk with a bang, her sharp gaze sweeping across the room. From today on, I'll teach you incantations. You can call me Eudora or Professor, whatever you prefer. I forgot to mention, my name is Eudora Moses. She tosses the bundle of branches to the students below. 1 magic wand each. Pass them back. These are made from spirit wood. They'll serve as your magical weapons for the first academic year. Hearing it's spirit wood, the students immediately show excited expressions. Sylvie curiously examines the black branch in her hand. Isn't this just an ordinary tree branch? She even suspects this was picked up from the garden. Alright, everyone quiet down. Today I'll teach you the first basic fire-type incantation, the flame spell. Listen carefully. I'll say one phrase, you repeat one phrase. She opens her mouth and utters a string of strangely accented syllables. Alola, Sili, the students repeat after her. Half an hour later, Professor Moses nods with satisfaction. Now pick up your magic wands and start practicing the incantation. Whoever produces flames first can leave class. Everyone who entered this school has magical talent. I believe you can all succeed. Just a few sentences make these students as excited as if they'd been injected with adrenaline, their faces flushed with enthusiasm. Sylvie watches them chanting with burning passion and feels her scalp tingle with embarrassment. So cringy. Truly cringy. Each chant requires forcefully waving the branch around. She hasn't been this dramatically over the top since age 8, but now if she doesn't chant, she won't fit in. So she reluctantly raises her stick, steels herself to join them, and mumbles along for nearly an hour. Not a single sign of activity. Her throat is practically smoking from dryness. Other people's voices also become low and hoarse, and the excited expressions on everyone's faces gradually fade. Sylvie glances around with peripheral vision and starts quietly moving her feet. She holds the little wooden stick with an expressionless face, blending into the crowd while just moving her mouth without making sound. But she doesn't notice that Professor Moses has walked down from the platform and is standing right behind her. Moses discovers this student seems to have no sound coming from her mouth, so she frowns and steps closer. Sylvie catches sight of her approach from the corner of her eye and gets startled. She quickly raises her wooden stick high and rapidly chants the incantation. Alolova sili siso lofalaha loli siso. Suddenly a bright flash of fire appears. Sylvie jerks her head up to look, but the flame dies too quickly, leaving only a wisp of drifting white smoke in the air. Too bad, just a little short. Professor Moses shakes her head and pulls a silver-carved magic wand from her sleeve. Watch carefully. I'll demonstrate only once. She raises the thumb-thick magic wand, her eyes becoming focused and sharp. Flame spell! As her words fall, a basketball-sized fireball instantly appears, burning fiercely as it floats in mid-air. Sylvie's eyes widen, her whole body as if struck by lightning. This world really has magic. After recovering for half a minute, Sylvie grips her magic wand tightly and chants the incantation once more. The fire flickers to life again. Envious gazes turn toward her from all around. Professor Moses also looks over. Being able to grasp incantations this quickly shows excellent magical talent. Practice hard. You might become an archmage someday. Wow, an archmage. The classmates look at Sylvie with increasingly warm eyes. Sylvie knows how prestigious archmages are. They become honored guests of royal courts everywhere. Commoner archmages even receive direct noble titles from various kingdoms. They don't even face imprisonment for killing people. If she could really become an archmage, crimes like impersonating nobility would pose absolutely no threat to her. Sylvie chants the incantation a few more times, then puts away her magic wand. Beginning magic apprentices who've just contacted magical powers shouldn't use magic excessively in one day, or it causes weakness and headaches. As the first person to successfully cast an incantation, Sylvie can already leave class. At this point, other students in the class start getting anxious. Some are almost crying from frustration. Only then does Professor Moses come out to comfort them. Don't worry, some people can't sense magical elements because your constitution doesn't suit fire magic. Don't worry, when time's up, I'll dismiss you all. After class, Sylvie goes to the library. Through books, she learns more about this world called Canaan. Legend says the creator god took out his heart and transformed it into Canaan, then shed his blood to create humanity. Fearing humans would be cold, he dug out his left eye and turned it into the sun, giving humans warm sunlight. Fearing humans would get lost in darkness, he dug out his right eye and turned it into the moon, granting humans bright moonlight. After the creator god died, his soul gave birth to many new gods who continued protecting the humans on planet Canaan. The books also record a great war from 2,000 years ago, supposedly a war of faith between gods. This great war caused the old human paradise to burn completely, turning overnight into a barren desert where nothing grows. That desert is now known as the Wasteland. After that great war, gods no longer descended to the mortal world. Humans migrated to a new continent to recover and rebuild. This new continent is the Westland, where they now live. Legend says planet Canaan has a third continent called Mistland, located north of Westland, but the northern seas are shrouded in thick fog year-round. No one has successfully crossed the fog barrier, so no one can confirm whether Mistland truly exists. If Mistland really exists, that would be wonderful. When she's eventually exposed, she could escape there to survive. Sylvie thinks about this when her stomach suddenly rumbles several times. Only then does she realize she's hungry. But thinking of the cafeteria's sticky soup and bloody roast meat, her appetite mysteriously diminishes a bit. Better to buy some bread, cheap and filling. Sylvie feels the 2 remaining silver coins in her money pouch. 1 silver coin exchanges for 100 copper coins. 3 copper coins buy 1 hard bread stick. 5 copper coins buy 1 soft bread loaf. This way, she can last quite a while. But she can't continue this daily bread-eating lifestyle forever. Occasionally she needs to show up at the academy cafeteria and order a tender steak that noble students love. 1 serving costs 40 copper coins, plus her clothes are dirty and need professional cleaning. Morning and evening hot water needs delivery to her room. And there's equestrian arts class the day after tomorrow. She needs to buy a horse. Life is really too difficult. If Burton doesn't contact her soon, she'll really be exposed. Sylvie thinks while walking toward off campus. Crossing the academy plaza, suddenly a crow carrying a gemstone crashes into her arms. "Ah, sorry, did I hurt you?" A young man apologetically hurries over. "Is this your crow?" Sylvie hands the crow to the young man. Hold it tight, don't let it fly away again. It's mine. The young man takes back the crow. It's my summoned creature. It loves shiny things and always steals gems from my belt. When I catch it, it flies around everywhere. I'm truly sorry, miss. How about this gem as my apology to you? The young man starts to remove the gem from the crow's beak. Sylvie smiles and refuses. No need. It didn't really hurt me. I insist. Please accept it, or I'll feel too guilty to sleep tonight. Sylvie steps back. Really, no need. Your crow is very cute. Please return the gem to it. Just consider that I accepted the gem and gave it back to the crow, okay? The young man hesitates briefly, then says gently, all right then, kind miss. I'm Kyle Rossetti, a senior apprentice in magical summoning. May I know your name? So, you're a senior from the advanced division. I'm Sylvie, a beginning magic apprentice. Sylvie bows slightly with some embarrassment. I have urgent matters to attend to, senior. Shall we chat another time? Then she smiles apologetically and quickly leaves the plaza. She's starving and just wants to hurry buy some bread. Behind her, Kyle's gentle expression disappears, his eyes revealing deep coldness. He squeezes the crow in his hand. Useless thing. Couldn't even deliver one gem. What a waste of the poison it soaked in all morning. The crow struggles and cries twice, flapping its wings forcefully. Kyle watches it coldly. After more than 10 seconds of struggling, he finally loosens his fingers. Go tell Chad that woman went off campus. She must be killed off campus. Sylvie arrives at the bakery and spends 10 copper coins on 2 white bread loaves. Looking at several black fingerprints on the bread, she falls into silence. This era's hygiene awareness is truly appalling. After paying, she takes the bread and leaves the shop, frowning as she tears off the black parts. There's no trash can in sight. She places the torn breadcrumbs next to a small dog. Suddenly, a black shadow rushes out from a nearby alley, colliding with the approaching dog and fighting fiercely over the breadcrumbs on the ground. Mine! Mine! It's actually a filthy little boy. The child grabs the bigger portion, pins down the dog, and frantically licks the breadcrumbs from his palm. The dog is skin and bones, the child barely clothed. For a moment you can't tell who's more pitiful. Sylvie's mood becomes incredibly complex. She walks over and takes out a piece of bread. Stop licking. Here, take this. The child trembles all over, prostrates on the ground, and looks at her with 2 frightened eyes. It's for eating. Take it. Sylvie puts the bread directly into his hands. The child swallows hard, carefully accepts the bread, glances at her once more, then suddenly protects the bread with both hands, and stuffs it all into his mouth at once, choking until his eyes roll back. The released dog dashes into the alley and barks several times from inside. Sylvie takes out her remaining bread, breaks it in half, gives half to the little boy, and holds the other half as she walks toward the alley. Don't go! The little boy shouts urgently. Seeing Sylvie look back, he shakes his head vigorously. Not because I still want bread. There are bad people inside. Sylvie immediately looks toward the alley, tilting her ear to catch faint metallic clashing sounds from within. Don't worry, that person already left. She pats the little boy's head and slowly walks to the alley entrance, looking inside. There's a pool of blood in the alley with the small dog lying in it. Sylvie quickly walks to the dog's side. There's a fatal wound on its neck. She feels a chill. This sword was probably meant for her. What other enemies did the original owner make? Someone actually wants to take her life, but Sylvie can't figure out who. She reaches out to lift the small dog from the blood pool. Sorry for involving you. The little boy fidgets nervously with his fingers. I can help you bury it. Just give me 3 coins. No, 1 copper coin. I don't plan to bury it. I plan to cremate it. Cremate? The boy's eyes show horror. Because if we bury it, you'll dig it up to eat. Won't you? The boy lowers his head and clenches his fists. Sylvie bends down. You saved me today, which might bring danger to yourself. Do you regret it? The little boy raises his head, voice hoarse. No regrets. Sylvie understands. This is a brave child, and very smart too. What's your name? The little boy looks somewhat nervous. I don't have a name. You're an orphan? Yes. Sylvie takes all the copper coins left from buying bread from her pouch, 90 total, and gives them all to him. From today on, you're called Roman. The little boy's eyes light up with hope. Are you taking me as your servant? No, I want to train you to become my knight. Sylvie shows a heart-stopping smile. But before that, I need to give you some tests. The little boy holds his breath, but flames ignite in his eyes. Whatever the test, I'll definitely pass. Don't speak too soon. My first test is for you to survive these 3 days. I'll come find you here in 3 days. That's easy. That person might come back to kill you because you ruined his plans. I'm not afraid. Anything else? Seeing the boy so stubborn, Sylvie says with amusement, yes, I want to hire a skilled bodyguard. Can you find one for me? You mean a mercenary? He thinks for a moment. I know where there are mercenaries. I also know a very skilled swordsman called Troy. I can take you to find him right now. The little boy leads Sylvie to a private residence, saying confidently, Troy is inside. Sylvie doesn't immediately enter. She looks down at the boy and says, you go first. I'll find you in 3 days. The little boy looks up, his large eyes full of seriousness. I'm grown up now. Let me stay and protect you. Sylvie can't help laughing, poking his forehead with her finger. How old are you to be grown up already? If you don't leave, I'll assume you want to give up on completing my test. Hearing this, the little boy indeed becomes nervous. After looking at her twice, He purses his lips, turns around sullenly, and runs off. After the boy leaves, Sylvie knocks on the resident's door. 3 long, 3 short knocks. This is the secret code the little boy taught her. When the door opens, a wave of hot, humid air immediately hits her face. The stinking air mixes with cheap alcohol fumes and men's heavy body odor. The inside sounds chaotic. It's actually a tavern. Sylvie is like a little white rabbit that wandered into a wolf den. Someone sees her and bursts into wild laughter. Where did this delicate little miss come from? Instead of staying home counting her dowry waiting to get married, what's she doing here? Probably looking for her lover. Ha ha ha, tell us. Which of our brothers caught your eye? We don't mind serving you together. The tavern erupts in laughter, mouths spouting crude jokes while pairs of eyes stare nakedly at the girl who wandered in. Sylvie ignores these people and walks calmly to the counter. Hello, excuse me. I'm looking for Troy. Can you tell me where he is? The bearded man sitting behind the counter examines Sylvie, a mysterious glint in his eyes. You're looking for Troy? Do you know what kind of person Troy is? Sylvie smiles. A swordsman. I've come to hire him. The tavern somehow quiets down. Those drunkards stare at the girl by the counter with amazement. She's not afraid of them at all, proud as a queen, and she says she's come to find Troy. Does she know who Troy is to dare come looking for him? The bearded man also shows an amused expression, pointing with his hand. Troy is in that corner, the one wearing the mask. Sylvie walks toward the corner he indicated. Only one person sits in the corner, wearing a half-iron mask. When he raises his head to drink, you can see fiery red curls under his hat brim. A memory surfaces in Sylvie's mind. A man in a black cloak appears below the city wall. He tells the dying original owner, "If you want to change all this, use your soul." The memory cuts off abruptly. Sylvie quickly walks to this mysterious swordsman's table. "Hello, Sir Swordsman. How many gold coins would I need to hire you?" Troy sets down his wine bowl. "I don't accept employment from little girls." He picks up his sword and stands to walk toward the counter. Sylvie grabs his cloak and softly utters one phrase. "To darkness I offer my..." Stop. Troy's gaze instantly becomes extremely sharp as he lowers his voice angrily. "Do you know what you're doing?" Sylvie asks with a bright smile. "So will you accept my employment?" Troy falls silent. 1 gold coin per day? Sylvie raises one finger and waves it. "You don't need to do anything dangerous. Just protect me." Troy looks at her like she's an idiot. Sylvie doesn't mind him thinking she's a sucker and begins introducing herself. "My name is Sylvie. I'm a beginning magic apprentice at Cyril Magic Academy. Recently someone seems to want to assassinate me." Troy brings Sylvie to an empty forest. Sylvie looks around warily. "What are we doing here?" The tall, imposing swordsman turns around and removes his hood. His eyes flash with cold light as his right hand slowly grips his sword hilt. "Weren't you very bold? Who sent you to find me?" "You're overthinking. No one sent me to find you. I just heard Cyril has a very skilled swordsman named Troy. I happen to need a bodyguard, so I sought you out." Sylvie stands on tiptoe to pick several 5-pointed red maple leaves from the tree, planning to press them in book pages when she returns. Troy watches the girl focus entirely on red leaves, completely ignoring his actions, and feels somewhat dejected. "Aren't you afraid of me?" Sylvie stingily spares him 2 glances before returning her attention to the leaves. "Afraid of what?" Troy's voice grows hoarse. "My hair is red, red as blood. I'm the devil's incarnation, covered in countless sins. Anyone who sees me will have bad luck and be contaminated and devoured by my soul." Sylvie puts down her hand and turns to look at him. "So are you a devil?" "I've killed many people. That has nothing to do with whether you're a devil incarnate." Sylvie steps closer, her gaze falling on his vivid red hair. "Your hair is very beautiful, like autumn red maples and winter torches. Seeing it only makes me feel warm." Sylvie knows hair color depends on different pigment ratios, related to geographic environment and hereditary factors, but she can't explain pigments to him, so she analyzes from historical and cultural perspectives. "I've read your history. Others say red-haired people are savage and evil because you are this continent's true masters. Most ancient Westland natives had red hair. Back then, red hair represented pure bloodlines. Later, wasteland people invaded Westland continent to escape the wasteland, fighting prolonged wars with the natives here. The natives were fierce and killed many of them, so they were hated and stigmatized. Red hair became a symbol of evil. This is just persecution of minorities by the majority to protect their own interests. If even you despise yourself, wouldn't that play right into their hands?" Troy hears this explanation for the first time, his mind feeling like it was struck twice, suddenly enlightened. Looking at the girl before him, he suddenly feels she's like a wise sage with profound thoughts, knowing the stories flowing through history's long river, using wisdom to guide fallen mortals out of confusion. Seeing him speechless, Sylvie thinks he's depressed. "Alright, don't feel too bad. If it really doesn't work, we can always change the color, right? Ever heard of hair dye?" Troy's face turns cold as he looks away. "Don't think you can deceive me with such words. I won't be fooled." "Cunning noble, you say no one sent you. Then how do you know the ritual I used to sacrifice to evil gods?" "I don't know. I was just testing you." Troy laughs angrily. "You think I'll believe that?" "I advise you to believe it." Sylvie's attitude hardens. "If you don't believe me, I might go to the temple and report you." Troy's expression immediately darkens. "I hate being threatened. I don't like threatening people either, but you seem to only accept this type of cooperation. I thought you were a kind person. I was wrong. No nobles are good people." Sylvie bursts into laughter. I didn't expect someone as big as you to still be so naive. She wipes away tears from laughing, her gentle black eyes becoming cold and arrogant. Kind people don't live long. Someone wants my life, so I can only do everything possible to survive. Tell me, will you help me or not? Troy hesitates briefly, then extends his hand toward her. Payment first, service after. Sylvie's mouth twitches as she takes out a silver coin. Troy trembles all over. Didn't you say 1 gold coin per day? Sylvie looks helpless too. This is her last silver coin. I don't have any right now. I'll give it to you later. Troy glares at her angrily. Sylvie extends her hand. Take it or leave it. If you don't want it, give it back. Troy quickly pockets the silver coin while muttering curses. Cunning noble. Sylvie expects him to take it. The little boy had said Troy is dirt poor and loves drinking. Seeing money, he'd definitely agree to her employment. Because besides her, no one else would hire him, even though his swordsmanship could single-handedly defeat an entire city's mercenaries. Successfully hiring an extremely powerful bodyguard with 1 silver coin makes Sylvie extremely happy. Troy escorts her back to the academy with a grave expression. Ever since leaving the small forest, he hasn't smiled once. Reaching the academy entrance, Sylvie instructs, I don't need your protection inside the school. You can usually wander around this street. There's a little beggar on the street, looks about 5 or 6 years old. Golden eyes and blue hair, thin and small. Watch out for him and don't let him get bullied. Troy finds this description increasingly familiar. Are you talking about Little Mouse? Sylvie laughs. So he was called Little Mouse, but he's changed his name now. He's called Roman. Troy gives her a strange look and lowers his head, lost in thought. In the candlelit boys' dormitory at night, Kyle wears a furious expression as he asks, So, you failed to kill her again today? Chad hangs his head in shame. Your Highness, her luck is just too good. Recalling the day's encounters, Chad feels utterly exhausted. Last night, he had placed the magical spider in Sylvie's room. The moment it crawled onto her bed, Sylvie woke up. At lunch today, he snuck into the dining hall to poison her food. But Sylvie had spent the entire afternoon in the library reading and never came to eat. This afternoon, he finally managed to ambush her in a narrow alley. The moment he drew his sword, a little beggar hiding under a pile of debris spotted him. Because he tripped over his own feet, the little beggar escaped. Now that woman has hired a swordsman to protect herself. I can't find any opportunity to strike. A swordsman? Are you sure? Kyle jumps to his feet excitedly. Absolutely certain. But that swordsman has tainted blood. Kyle's face immediately shows disgust. I thought so. How could a true noble swordsman appear in this place? He continues questioning Sylvie. You mentioned she tears off the crust of white bread to feed the dogs and only eats the soft inside. Yes, Your Highness. She didn't even want to eat the soft part and threw both pieces of white bread to the beggars. Kyle's jaw nearly drops in shock. Could I have been wrong? Is she not the witch my sister sent, but rather a noble lady of high birth? White bread costs a fortune, and has always been food for nobles. Commoners usually eat dark bread mixed with bran. Yet she not only bought white bread, but also tore off the crust before eating it, then threw even that away to beggars. Kyle suddenly feels uncertain about Sylvie's identity. Previously, he had thought Sylvie was just a commoner with witch bloodline, which is why he dared send Chad to assassinate her. After a long pause, he calms down and orders, starting tomorrow, keep watching her, but don't take action. Wait for my command. Understood? Yes, Your Highness. Chad bows and rises. Seeing Kyle's conflicted expression, Chad hesitates about whether to voice his thoughts. He believes Sylvie is indeed a witch, because nobles despise the descendants of criminal slaves and would never hire them for protection. Noble ladies certainly wouldn't find a terrifying poisonous spider cute. Only witches would be that twisted. The twisted Sylvie has been starving all night. Upon waking, she's so hungry she could gnaw on the leather boots under her bed. Fortunately, she discovers half a pack of dried beef that the original owner had hidden. The morning class is alchemy. Many students in the class aren't particularly interested in this subject. When the professor begins explaining the tedious properties of metals, most students start daydreaming. Only a small group of commoner students listen with intense focus. Alchemy is dirty and exhausting work, and alchemists hold lower status than other professions, but it's the most profitable field of study. Sylvie also pays close attention. In her previous life, she studied polymer materials and engineering in university. This class feels familiar and nostalgic. The lesson lasts 4 hours. After class, Sylvie strolls leisurely out of the classroom. She plans to wait on the tree-lined avenue for a kind soul. She wants someone to voluntarily invite her to dinner. Sylvie times her appearance perfectly on the tree-lined avenue and encounters Winnie and Blake walking together. Miss Sylvie, how wonderful to meet you here. Are you heading to the dining hall? Sylvie nods. I was just going there. Would you like to join us? Really? Winnie's cheeks flush red, as she immediately bows in an awkward curtsy. It would be my honor. Sylvie takes her arm. We're friends. No need for formalities. Blake also eagerly joins in. Noble Miss Sylvie, your beauty today shines as brilliantly as the sun. Sylvie covers her mouth and laughs. Thank you for the compliment, Blake. Upon reaching the dining hall, Winnie asks softly, Miss Sylvie, what would you like to eat? Seeing the spilled soup and meat scraps at the serving station, Sylvie frowns slightly. I'm not sure yet. Blake notices this and has a bright idea. Miss Sylvie, please have a seat. What would you like? I'll get it for you. Well then, please get me a tender steak. Sylvie reaches for her coin purse. Blake waves his hands frantically. Please allow me to pay. It's my duty. He rushes into the crowd before Sylvie can hand over her money. Blake quickly returns with the steak. The moment the food hits the table, Sylvie holds her breath. People of this era haven't mastered bull castration techniques. Even the most tender steak carries an unavoidable gamey smell. Sylvie takes 2 small knives from her belt pouch. One for cutting meat, the other is a fork. She cuts a small piece, puts it in her mouth, and swallows with difficulty. However, her movements appear extremely elegant to Winnie and Blake, looking at the other nobles around them eating meat with their hands. Winnie whispers to Blake, "I think Miss Sylvie must be a very noble birth." Blake nods vigorously. "I think so too." But the meal isn't enjoyable for either of them. Winnie doesn't dare lick her bowl clean, and Blake can only sip his meat broth in tiny portions. They exchange glances, both seeing disappointment in each other's eyes. Though Miss Sylvie is gentle and kind, they decide it's better not to dine with her in the future. After bidding farewell at the dining hall entrance, Sylvie heads outside to meet Troy, but she hasn't walked far when Vera blocks her path. "Wretch, are you feeling proud? Your disguise may be successful, but it doesn't change the fact that you're nothing but a commoner." Sylvie frowns. "What's wrong with you now?" Vera's face contorts with malice. "I know you're just saying that because you're guilty and afraid I'll expose you. Just wait, Sylvie. I've already written to the Vatican's paladins. Once they arrive, they'll immediately see through your true nature." Sylvie smiles coldly. "Fine then, I'll wait. Now please move aside. Good dogs don't block the road." She wonders to herself why Vera, who had previously believed she was a noble, suddenly appears again with such accusations. Who provoked her? Sylvie immediately thinks of Athena. Athena, proud of her status, wouldn't deign to act personally and always manipulates others to deal with her. Given her character, she's probably observing from some corner right now. Sensing something, Sylvie looks toward the second floor of the dining hall. Sure enough, she spots the golden-haired girl standing by the window. Even when discovered, Athena doesn't panic. Her pretty face shows a faint smile, but her eyes are cold and disdainful, mixed with hatred and wariness, as if she wants to kill Sylvie and scatter her ashes. Sylvie is puzzled. Just for stealing a bedroom she wanted. Surely that doesn't warrant such hatred. There must be another reason. But what could it be? Why does Athena keep causing trouble when she's uncertain whether Sylvie is a commoner? Vera continues her tirade for a while. When she looks closely, she realizes Sylvie is spacing out. This infuriates her even more. Those were the most vicious curses she had spent 2 whole days crafting. "Wretch! You're asking for it!" Vera's eyes blaze red as she raises her hand to slap Sylvie. Sylvie snaps back to attention and grabs her wrist. "Enough, you fool!" A flash of murderous intent crosses her eyes. "Vera, I have a bad temper, and I do kill people. You're just a little earl's daughter. How many heads do you have for me to cut off? I ignore you because I choose to, not because I fear you. Crushing you would be as easy as squashing an ant." She squeezes until Vera's wrist bones crack audibly. Only when Vera begs for mercy does Sylvie slowly release her grip. "Use your brain. Stop letting others manipulate you." Sylvie gives her a cold look and heads toward the school exit. Vera trembles for a moment, then suddenly looks up at the second-floor window. She may be impulsive and hot-tempered, but she's not completely hopeless. With Sylvie's reminder, she understands. Athena has been using her. The moment Sylvie exits the school gates, Troy emerges from some corner. This guy has been waiting in the area for her. Sylvie raises an eyebrow. Just as she's about to praise his contract spirit, Troy extends his hand toward her. "Gold coin." Sylvie's expression vanishes instantly. "Yesterday you were worth 1 silver coin. Today you're raising your rates?" Troy didn't expect such shamelessness. "You said it yourself. 1 gold coin per day." Sylvie glances at him. "I think I overpaid." "You're only worth 1 silver coin." Troy hesitates, then extends his hand again. "Fine, give me the silver coin." "No money, not giving you anything." Troy looks at her coin purse, which bulges noticeably. Clearly she has money. He gives her an accusing look. "Then what's in your coin purse?" Sylvie quickly covers her purse. "Give me a break. It's full of stones. If he discovers that, she's done for." "Wait, let me give you something else." Reluctantly, Sylvie pulls 3 black peppercorns from her sleeve. Troy's eyes light up. "You have pepper and didn't mention it earlier." Then he gives her a reproachful look. "How can you carry such precious items so carelessly? What if you drop them?" Sylvie has traveled to Westland continent, similar to medieval Europe. Here, pepper is worth more than gold. The potions class only distributed 5 peppercorns total, and she's giving away 3. Sylvie also pulls out a wooden jar from her sleeve. "Can you check if this is poisonous?" Troy takes the jar, opens the lid for a look, and his expression immediately turns serious. "This is a juvenile infernal spider. How did you get this thing?" Sylvie shrugs. "I don't know either. I woke up the night before last and found it sitting on my blanket." "Tell me quickly, is it poisonous?" Troy snaps the lid shut with a sharp sound. "This is an extremely venomous creature." Sylvie looks disappointed. "So I can only keep it in the jar and can't take it out to pet it." Troy's temple twitches. "I told you it's extremely venomous." Sylvie sighs. "Help me trace its origin." "It would be best if you could find out who placed it." Troy agrees. Sylvie asks with concern, "Roman hasn't gotten into trouble, has he? What trouble could he get into? That little rascal is clever as anything." "Good. One more thing. Help me find a soil white or gray-white substance that feels sticky when pinched and has a glossy finish when rubbed smooth. It's a type of soft mineral." "Hold on," Troy interrupts her. "You said I only needed to protect you. Why are you making me do so many other things?" Sylvie's eyes narrow, revealing the ugly face of capitalism. Do you still want gold coins or not? Troy shuts his mouth. Fine, go handle your business. I'm heading back to school first. Sylvie doesn't dare stay outside the academy too long. Being outside always makes her feel like someone might jump out to kill her. What now? Sylvie thinks he still has issues with the work. Troy slowly grips his sword hilt, his sharp eyes looking behind her. Someone's following you. With that, he draws his sword and gives chase. The autumn wind makes Sylvie's neck feel chilly. She quickly stuffs her hands in her pockets and runs back to school. The outside world is truly too dangerous. She won't leave today no matter what. 2 hours later, she steps outside the gates again because Hawkins' shop has finished the sample. A full day earlier than expected. Burton approaches carrying a small handkerchief-sized piece of fabric. Miss Sylvie, how does this material look? Sylvie takes the sample fabric. It's pure white in color with a soft, delicate texture. Excellent. This is exactly what I wanted. Mr. Hawkins, have someone draw up the contract. Burton rubs his hands together, showing a fawning smile. Miss Sylvie, I have something I'd like to ask you. Please go ahead. Mr. Hawkins. Sylvie sets down the sample and assumes a listening posture. Burton stammers. I want to ask if this fabric really can't be sold to others. He has a premonition that if Hawkins' shop could mass-produce and sell such fabric, their family would become the largest textile merchant not just in the duchy, but in all of Westland continent. Countless gold coins would flow into his pockets, bringing wealth and prestige within reach. Burton gazes at Sylvie eagerly, awaiting her response. Mr. Hawkins? Sylvie's brow furrows slightly. I clearly stated before that this fabric is for my exclusive use only. You agreed to this. Burton hangs his head shamefully. Yes, you did say that. At the time, you paid the buyout price, which is why we weren't allowed to sell to others. But what if we don't take the buyout price and provide your clothes for free instead? Burton's tone approaches pleading. As long as you allow Hawkins' shop to sell this fabric, I'll cover all the clothes you need without charging you a penny. And since Hawkins' shop would be using your formula, we'd certainly pay you a satisfactory price. As a merchant, Burton knows well that money can move mountains, but Sylvie remains unmoved. Gritting his teeth, he calls out, 100 gold coins per month. How about that? Sylvie's eyelid twitches. She hadn't expected Burton to be so generous. She had originally thought 10 gold coins per month would be enough. Seeing movement in her eyes, Burton knows he has a chance and continues raising the stakes. Not only that, for every cashmere garment we sell, I'll give you 30% of the profits. Sylvie is truly tempted now. Her heart pounds loudly. Suppressing her excitement, she says calmly, very well, I agree. Mr. Hawkins, you're a generous merchant. Burton's breathing becomes labored with excitement. I did it! I actually closed this deal. There's no business in the world that I, Burton Hawkins, can't negotiate. He immediately strikes while the iron is hot. Well then, Miss Sylvie, let's draft the contract right away. Sylvie nods. After signing the contract, Sylvie smiles radiantly. Mr. Hawkins, your generosity and decisiveness impress me, so I've decided to give you some gifts. Burton asks excitedly. Oh, noble miss, what gifts will you give me? Sylvie lifts her chin gracefully. Since you're a fabric merchant, I'll give you several fabric-related formulas. Some dye recipes for fabrics, plus designs for spinning wheels and jacquard looms. I'll have someone deliver them to your shop tomorrow. Burton nearly jumps from his chair in joy. When leaving Hawkins' shop, Sylvie receives her first income in this world. 100 gold coins, equivalent to about $1 million in the real world. This is enough to maintain the lifestyle of a baron's daughter. But since she had made harsh statements to Vera at lunch, implying her status was much higher, she needs to elevate her living standards accordingly. At minimum, she needs to maintain the lifestyle of some frontier marquise's daughter. She really dug herself a deep hole. Only now does Sylvie feel the headache coming. Telling one lie means using bigger lies to cover it up. She's walking further and further down the path to execution. But regret is useless now. She should focus on earning more money. It might improve her chances when pleading for her life. If she becomes wealthy enough, maybe she could even buy her way out of death. That night, Sylvie sleeps blissfully with her 100 gold coins. In her dreams, the coins multiply endlessly, soon piling into a golden mountain that nearly buries her. But dreams must end. A knock at the door wakes her at dawn. Sylvie struggles out of bed to answer it. An elderly mute woman stands outside, responsible for delivering hot water to the noble ladies on this floor. Last night, Sylvie had paid for half a year of water delivery service. From now on, someone will bring hot water to her room every morning. After washing up, it's nearly 7:30. Sylvie leaves her room and heads to the elementary division's astrology classroom. Knowing this world truly has magic, astrology's mystery level skyrockets in her mind. Physics? What's that, something edible? But she never expected that while others draw crystal balls or tarot cards. She gets a turtle shell. Where did this turtle shell come from? Professor Tobias's first reaction is to suspect the summoning rune malfunctioned. She closes the box lid and checks the rune patterns, which indeed appear somewhat dim. The runes must have loosened. Hearing this result, Sylvie's tense nerves relax slightly. As long as the problem isn't with her personally, Professor Tobias re-illuminates the runes. Try again. Yes, Professor. Sylvie reopens the box, and her heart immediately sinks. The turtle shell glows with an eerie green light, matching her currently green complexion. Professor Tobias also falls silent. She looks at the rune box, then at this unlucky student, and finally has the student behind her try. Sylvie reluctantly steps aside. The nervous male student approaches, terrified he'll have the same problem. May fortune bless me. he mutters. Opening the box, a stack of tarot cards appears inside. Wonderful! Tarot cards! Now Professor Tobias looks at Sylvie strangely. Clearly the problem isn't with the box. She picks up the turtle shell meaningfully. Perhaps this is divine will. Use this one. Sylvie stiffly extends her hand to accept the turtle shell. The class erupts in laughter. Ha ha ha! Is she going to use a turtle shell for divination? How would that work? Stick her head inside? Sylvie returns to her seat expressionlessly, ignoring the mocking glances from all directions. She looks at the shell in her hands, countless theories flashing through her mind. Why is she different from everyone else? Did someone tamper with it to humiliate her, or is her luck just incredibly bad? Professor Tobias wouldn't stoop to bullying a weak student, so the problem likely lies with herself. What mechanism determines what items fall from that box? Is it based on the opener's desires or certain traits they possess? Sylvie has a vague answer in her heart. Her biggest difference from other students is that she traveled here from another world. The civilization that raised her was Chinese civilization, where the most ancient form of prophecy was oracle bone divination. When thinking of divination, her subconscious likely recalled turtle shells, so that's what appeared in the box. With this realization, Sylvie's gaze at the turtle shell becomes much gentler. Turtles are good. They symbolize longevity and will surely help her live longer. As for the surrounding laughter, let them laugh. She can't control other people's mouths anyway. Finish laughing? Professor Tobias's ghost-like voice floats across the classroom. The students' faces tighten, not daring to make another sound. Professor Tobias isn't just the school's astrology professor, she's also been knighted by multiple kingdoms, and is the temple's only female archbishop. Her powerful, mysterious presence makes everyone behave obediently. She then begins explaining planetary positions, orbital trajectories, and what they represent. She covers this material for 2 hours before starting the practical exercises. Now place your hands on your tools and close your eyes. Begin meditation. You're entering the night surrounded by complete darkness. Walk forward. There's no wind, no obstacles, no end. This is your spiritual realm. Stop and relax. Slowly lift your head. Something seems to be glowing in the darkness. Focus on it. Follow its trail. Sylvie closes her eyes tightly. In the pitch-black space, a point of light really does appear, flickering as it rises like a morning star. When she realizes it's a star, the entire sky lights up. Countless constellations arrange themselves in their proper positions, recreating the star chart from the classroom wall. The stars twinkle, radiating cold, clear light. Sylvie becomes entranced watching the star map. As if soaring through the universe, nebulae swirl around her while the celestial river flows beneath her feet, like a brilliant, magnificent dream. Stars shift and the heavenly river reverses direction. She glimpses the traces of stellar trajectories, like destined encounters that overlap, then separate and cycle again. The stellar movements accelerate, until, reaching a critical point, the celestial forms suddenly vanish. Only golden lines remain in the sky, weaving and intertwining, spinning rapidly until they become a massive stellar spiral that churns the four corners of the universe. Sylvie feels dizzy. The spinning star wheel seems to transform into a mysterious, profound black hole. The vortex devours the entire universe, and its terrifying suction seems ready to consume her too. The dizziness intensifies. She wants to close her eyes, but sharp ringing suddenly fills her ears. Space collapses. A sensation of weightlessness strikes suddenly, the moment she begins falling. She snaps her eyes open. Figures in the classroom sway back and forth. After staring for a while, she realizes her eyes are seeing double. Everyone else continues meditating while Professor Tobias speaks in soothing tones. They seem to find meditation easy, yet she couldn't hold on. Does she lack talent? Sylvie puzzles over this for a few seconds, then closes her eyes again. Unfortunately, she can't concentrate at all and can't re-enter the spiritual realm. She can only close her eyes and pretend to meditate while listening to Professor Tobias and mentally tracing star chart patterns. Astrology has two directions, timing and divination. Timing refers to choosing appropriate celestial moments. It can predict weather and determine auspicious times. Divination means resolving people's doubts and answering their questions. Now I'll teach you the specific methods for both types of astrology. Professor Tobias picks up a crystal ball, closes her eyes briefly, and speaks in low, mysterious tones. Seekers, take your crystal balls and fill them with your inner energy. Focus your attention. Meditate on what stellar phenomena you see, what appears in your consciousness. When the stellar visions become clear enough, they'll project into the crystal ball. Open your eyes. The crystal ball will guide your choices. The dozen or so students with crystal balls gradually open their eyes, staring at their tools with confusion written all over their faces. They see nothing, which frustrates them greatly. Beginners aren't familiar with stellar phenomena, and their spiritual realms aren't strong enough. Don't worry, practice will improve things. Sylvie also quietly opens her eyes, looking at her turtle shell. She feels this method might not suit her, no matter how rich her imagination. Opening her eyes to see only a green turtle shell kills any visualization. She wonders what species of turtle this is. Why is the shell so green? Her thoughts begin wandering in strange directions. Next, Professor Tobias explains tarot reading. Practitioners, your main goal is interpreting cards. Through meditation, clear your mind of distractions to avoid external interference. Begin shuffling while thinking of your question. The more detailed, the better. Then draw tarot cards, arrange them in spreads, and interpret based on the star houses and images shown. Note that you must judge the accuracy of answers yourselves. Sylvie stares at the turtle shell, trying to see star houses and images on it. Even after her eyes hurt from looking, she can't spot any differences. The The second method also fails. How is she supposed to use this turtle shell? Throw some copper coins inside and shake them. But there are no copper coins here. Could she substitute the copper coins in her purse? Sylvie considers this seriously, but decides against it. Even if copper coins could replace traditional ones, she doesn't know how to interpret hexagrams anyway. Sylvie sighs dramatically. She really has no connection to witchcraft. She'll have to give up on this class. She wonders if failing the final exam will get her expelled. Sylvie leaves the classroom feeling melancholy. She can't learn astrology, but tomorrow's equestrian arts class still requires preparation. First, she needs to buy a horse. With money in her pocket, Sylvie's confidence increases threefold when meeting Troy. She directly pulls out a gold coin and places it in Troy's hand. Here's today's payment. A gold coin? Troy stares at her in surprise, as if asking why she's suddenly being so generous. The 1 gold coin per day I promised you before. Troy looks suspicious. You're being this nice? You don't have some scheme, do you? Clearly he's traumatized from being hired cheaply for 2 days and insulted. He can't believe he's actually worth a gold coin. If you don't want it, give it back. I want it! Troy quickly pockets the coin, even turning his back to her to put it safely in his purse. Sylvie rolls her eyes. This phrase never fails to work. Did you catch whoever was following me yesterday? That's exactly what I need to tell you. Troy turns around with a serious expression. Someone ran into your academy and never came out. Sylvie frowns too. Could it be someone from their academy? So she guessed wrong. It's not outsiders trying to kill her, but someone inside the academy? Did you see what they looked like? Couldn't see clearly, but they carried a sword at their waist, moved skillfully, probably a swordsman. That's like saying nothing at all. Troy ignores her complaint and continues. They moved fast, wore robes marked with wind runes and concealment runes, held their sword in a unique way. Probably a knight from some country. Sylvie's heart sinks bit by bit. If she remembers correctly, the academy doesn't allow noble students to bring servants to school. Where did this knight come from? Moreover, she had learned from Winnie that magical arrays carved beneath the academy prevent outsiders from entering. So this knight must have another identity within the school, either a teacher or student. Sylvie thinks the latter is more likely. Students can graduate in as little as 3 years, while teachers serve indefinitely. This knight is probably some noble's study companion. She can rule out Vera, who just yesterday threatened to summon Vatican paladins to expose her true identity. If that knight belonged to her, why the unnecessary complications? She can also rule out Athena, whose investigators haven't returned yet. There's no reason for her to try killing Sylvie now, but with both suspects eliminated, she has no one left to suspect. Sylvie looks up irritably. Troy, did you trace the origin of that magical spider? Troy responds sarcastically. I'm a swordsman, not a detective. Besides, you said I only needed to protect you. Stop. Sylvie cuts off his complaints and adjusts her mood. Fine, I didn't really expect you to find anything anyway. I came out today for other business. Come on, help me pick out a horse and buy a house. Troy silently follows behind her. After an afternoon of shopping, Sylvie's purse shrinks by half. She buys a beautiful chestnut mare, selects a quiet cottage near the academy, and hires a maid. The total cost is 37 gold coins. From now on, you'll live in the East Room on the 2nd floor. Tell Bella whatever you want to eat and she'll make it for you. Bella is the maid's name. 17 years old, orphaned, previously living with her aunt, a pitiful case. Sylvie sighs sympathetically, but notices Troy has stopped walking. What's wrong? Her heart jumps, thinking someone's following them again. Troy stares at Sylvie with a strange expression, his voice somewhat hoarse. You want me to move in? Why are you looking at me like that again? If you don't want to move in, then don't. I was just worried you didn't have a place to stay. Troy lowers his eyes, his voice even hoarser. I don't have anywhere to stay. I've been sleeping in taverns. Thank you. His eyes shimmer with emotion as a strange atmosphere develops. Oh no, he seems to have misunderstood something. Sylvie coughs twice and looks toward the courtyard. While it's still light, let's go get one more person. She leads Troy to the street beside the academy. They search near the academy but find no trace of the little boy. Strange. Where is he? Sylvie looks questioningly at Troy. Troy's face darkens. You made me go house hunting with you. I don't have the ability to be in 2 places at once. Shopping for houses while watching a kid? I thought you knew where he's staying now. They continue searching until the sun begins setting. Sylvie says regretfully, let's go. We probably won't find him. Maybe the little boy took the money and ran. Or perhaps he found better shelter. Are you looking for me? Suddenly, a childish voice sounds behind them. Sylvie spins around to see a thin boy standing by a crack in the wall. The child clutches his sleeves tightly, looking up at her nervously. His frail body shivers in the autumn wind. Sylvie smiles brighter than the sunset on the horizon. Yes, I've come to take my little knight home. The boy runs toward her with quick steps. Sylvie opens her arms, expecting him to leap into her embrace. But he stops 3 steps away, asking anxiously, it's only the 2nd day. Did I pass my trial too? Now Sylvie understands what he's afraid of. She kneels down to meet the boy's eyes, her face showing sacred, dignified expression. Of course, your performance was excellent, so your trial ends early. The boy quickly presses his lips together but can't suppress his smile. This frustrates him slightly. He feels it ruins his mature, reliable image. Children's emotions show clearly on their faces. Sylvie can barely contain her laughter, afraid she might actually laugh out loud. She quickly extends her hand. Come here. I'll hold your hand as we walk. She notices his little hands trembling constantly, probably nearly frozen. But unexpectedly, the boy steps back. Noble lady, this wouldn't be proper. I can't damage your reputation. Sylvie can't hold back her laughter anymore. She steps forward and takes his small hand, which feels like gripping an ice cube. A qualified subordinate doesn't refuse their master's requests. Come along, little knight. The boy can't restrain himself either, his tightly pressed lips stretched to his ears as he grins foolishly. At this point, Sylvie notices Troy's expression has turned very sour. It's been sour since earlier. What's wrong with you? Craving alcohol? If you want to drink, go drink. I'm not stopping you. Why aren't you talking? Are you naturally quiet? Troy's temple throbs with a visible vein. Finally, unable to bear it, he snaps. Yes, I want to drink, so you'd better return to school now. As for this little brat, I'll drag him back. Sylvie considers this. It would indeed save time, and it's getting dark. Returning too late wouldn't be good. All right then, I'll head back to school first. Take Roman to the cottage. Troy gives a curt nod, coolly indicating agreement. Sylvie bends down to tell the boy, I bought a house nearby. Troy will take you there. I'll come see you tomorrow. The boy shows reluctant eyes but nods obediently. I'll take good care of myself. Please don't worry. Sylvie confidently entrusts him to Troy. Troy, pick him up. He's cold. Use your big cloak to shield him from the wind. Roman, hold tight to Uncle's neck. Be careful not to fall. When Troy follows orders and lifts the boy, both their faces turn dark. Sylvie acts as if she notices nothing and walks briskly toward the academy gates. Troy follows for a distance, watching until she enters the school and disappears from sight, then immediately sets the boy down. The boy struggles too, jumping down the moment Sylvie's out of view. Their separation is almost desperate. When their eyes meet, they're filled with mutual disgust. Troy sneers, "Come on, you lucky little mouse. Stinking drunk. My name is Roman and you're the lucky one. I met the lady first. Without me, you never would have encountered her." Troy glances at him and snorts coldly but doesn't argue. He's a swordsman. Why should he bicker with a little brat who hasn't even grown hair yet? Under the moonlight, the large and small figures maintain 4 people's distance between them as they slowly head south. Cyril Magic Academy has its own stables, located at the foot of the mountain on the academy's eastern edge. This is where students take their equestrian arts classes. At 10 in the morning, Sylvie arrives at the stables. Before the class, she had assumed the difference between nobles and commoners would simply be that the former had stronger horses, while the latter had weaker ones. She never expected the biggest difference to be in horse decoration. Nobles love commissioning various equipment for their beloved horses, dressing them up flamboyantly. Take Vera's horse, for example. It not only wears an ornate brass horse mask, but also sports a leather horse blanket embroidered with family crests. Compared to the noble students' high spirits, the commoner students appear somewhat awkward. The academy-provided horses only come with basic saddles and reins. Before the array of jeweled, magnificent steeds, they look particularly plain. Sylvie feels immensely grateful that yesterday, swayed by a merchant's sales pitch, she bought the store's most expensive horse blanket. Today, among the noble students, she doesn't look quite so shabby. The first lesson is simple, just learning to mount and dismount while controlling the horse's forward direction. Sylvie had ridden horses in her previous life, so these movements come naturally. But this body is riding for the first time. After sitting in the saddle too long, her inner thighs start chafing painfully. She controls the reins, slowing her chestnut mare's pace, leisurely circling alone on the track's outer edge. Suddenly, a silver figure charges toward her. Sylvie's pupils contract as she immediately grabs the reins. Hooves flash past, landing beside her. Athena sits atop her rearing horse, gazing down at her with arrogant disdain. When Athena pulled tight on her reins, Sylvie knew she wouldn't actually collide. Her expression remains relatively calm. Athena, you're going the wrong direction. Disappointment flickers in Athena's eyes. She hadn't managed to frighten her. She had expected Sylvie to at least tumble from her horse in fright. But she quickly puts on a fake smile. Sorry, I accidentally pulled the wrong rein. I hope you truly feel sorry. Sylvie glances at her, then spurs her horse to distance herself. Athena's eyes turn cold as she pursues, keeping pace. Sylvie, shall we chat? Sylvie keeps her eyes forward. What do you want to talk about? Athena draws alongside her. Have you ever seen a paladin? Paladins don't travel the world, but sometimes they do leave the Vatican to complete missions elsewhere. For instance, when commissioned by nobles to purify demonic souls occupying human bodies, Sylvie's heart lurches. Her blood circulation speeds up dramatically, and her heart pounds wildly. Athena knows. How could she know Sylvie isn't the original owner? In her extreme shock, Sylvie actually calms down. Athena doesn't necessarily know for certain. She's probably just using this excuse to trick Vera into summoning paladins to expose Sylvie's true identity. Guessing Athena's intention, Sylvie's heart settles back down. Purifying demons sounds interesting. Unfortunately, I've never witnessed it. Don't worry, you'll see it soon. Vera suspects the Academy harbors demons. She wrote to the Vatican 2 days ago. I'm sure the letter has arrived by now. Sylvie nods. Thank you for the information. I look forward to it. Well then, I'll take my leave. Athena's smile deepens as she cracks her whip and charges ahead. Previously, Sylvie hadn't taken Vera's threats seriously, but now that Athena mentions that letter again, she starts worrying. If paladins only come to investigate her identity, she might manage to bluff her way through. But if they can truly examine someone's soul, she'll have no defense and will likely face complete destruction. After class, Sylvie walks worriedly to the dining hall. Miss Sylvie! Winnie waves from a dining table. She and Blake arrived early and are already eating. Though their last meal together wasn't particularly pleasant, influenced by Sylvie, They've improved their poor dining habits considerably, and feel the changes are for the better. Sylvie buys a vegetable salad and sits beside them. During the meal, she brings up the Southern Vatican. I heard Vatican paladins purify demons. Have you seen them? Winnie shakes her head. She's never heard of such things. Blake knows a bit more. I've heard traveling bards sing about 12 paladins at the Vatican. Each has a swordsman's skills and an archmage's magical power. They're dual-class mages. Extremely powerful. Sylvie asks with interest, have you heard how they catch demons? Supposedly they have stones of judgment and holy water. The stone of judgment can judge souls, while holy water purifies demons. I've heard of this too. The stone of judgment makes people confess their sins. Before it, no one can lie, only tell the truth. When I was little, my grandmother often used a rock pretending it was a stone of judgment to trick me. She fooled me every time. Blake relates to this. Yes! And holy water too. When I had stomach aches as a child, I'd go to the priest who gave me holy water to drink. Later I saw him just scooping it from the well. Real holy water only exists at the Vatican. The conversation drifts as they end up discussing who got beaten most as children. Sylvie smiles and listens, but her heart keeps sinking until she can barely breathe. She feels something terrible is about to happen. After eating, her right eyelid starts twitching uncontrollably. The ominous feeling grows stronger. Claiming to feel unwell, Sylvie returns to her dormitory. On her bedroom cabinet sits the turtle shell she brought back yesterday. As if possessed, she places her hand on the shell. The next second, dizziness strikes, and she closes her eyes. A point of starlight rapidly rises in the darkness, illuminating the entire star chart. Just as she prepares to interpret the stellar phenomena using yesterday's lessons, lightning suddenly cuts across the sky. Spiderweb cracks split the heavens into fragments. In an instant, the celestial dome collapses and starfire falls. A massive turtle shell emerges from the ground, seeming to support the entire star chart. Burning stars crash onto the shell. The star chart shakes violently as the shell cracks with explosive sounds. A fracture extends from southeast to north, from the Horn constellation toward the Dipper. The moment she sees the crack, several lines of text suddenly appear in Sylvie's mind. Horn star Alpha, first of the 7 eastern constellations, Horn of the Azure Dragon, Great Misfortune, Dipper Star Alpha, one of the 6 southern Dipper stars, head of the northern Black Tortoise, auspicious survival. Sylvie seems to understand the stellar phenomenon's meaning. It answers her most urgent inner question, assessing today's fortune and seeking escape routes. The star chart slowly fades as the turtle shell sinks away. Sylvie opens her eyes, swaying and nearly falling. Her brain throbs as if drained of all energy. Her vision blurs for a long while before gradually clearing. She leans against the wall and sits on her bed, holding the shell in her right hand. Thoughts in turmoil. The divination results indicate her current situation is dire. She has one foot in death's door, but she hasn't done anything today, hasn't even left campus. Where does this danger come from? Sylvie's right eyelid twitches. She suddenly remembers her anxiety began when hearing about paladins and stones of judgment. Could it relate to paladins? Athena said the Vatican would receive Vera's letter today. Sending and receiving mail takes at least 2.5 days. Even if paladins really come, they shouldn't arrive until the day after tomorrow. Why is today marked as extremely dangerous? Wait. She knows what she overlooked. Professor McCready mentioned this world has teleportation runes that connect 2 locations for long-distance transport. If paladins use teleportation arrays, they wouldn't need 2 days at all. This is bad! Sylvie jumps up, grabs the shell and magic wand from her cabinet, and rushes out. The divination shows great misfortune. Staying put means certain death. Only the north offers survival. She must escape northward. Sylvie races to the stables. Claiming she wants to ride outside the city for relaxation, she leads away her horse, then exits through the stable's side gate and gallops away. She arrives at the cottage she rented yesterday. Where's Troy? Bella is very surprised to see Sylvie. Master, didn't you encounter Sir Troy? He left early, saying he'd wait by the academy gates for you. Sylvie silently curses herself. In her haste, she forgot Troy usually waits outside the school gates. Roman sees the horse outside and runs over anxiously. Miss, are you going somewhere? Sylvie ruffles his hair. I have business to attend to. She takes 2 gold coins from her purse. Take this money and have Bella buy you some warm clothes. Tears well in Roman's eyes as he dares not accept the money. Sylvie sighs. Children are most sensitive to emotions. He's probably sensed something. She places the gold coins in Roman's hands. Don't worry, I'll definitely come back for you. Sylvie finds Troy waiting on Academy Street. How did you come from that direction? Troy looks confused. No time to explain. I need to go north. You're escorting me. You want to leave right now? Stop talking and hurry. Troy's long legs easily swing over the horse's back. Give me the reins. Sylvie doesn't argue. His horsemanship is certainly better than hers. Once the reins are in Troy's hands, he immediately turns the horse and heads out. Which route? The fastest one. Troy says nothing, driving the horse northward and carrying Sylvie out of the city in one breath. Once outside the city, Sylvie's tense expression finally relaxes slightly. She's not as urgent as before. Only then does Troy speak. Where in the north are you going? Sylvie almost says as far north as possible, but suddenly realizes she can't let Troy know she's fleeing for her life. As for where exactly in the north, the stellar signs didn't give her a specific address. She'll have to play it by ear. Just head north for now. I'm just out for some fresh air. Who goes out for fresh air in such a panic? Troy doesn't expose her lie but grips the reins tighter, spurs the horse's flanks, and continues forward. After riding over 2 hours, the chestnut mare starts frequently tossing her head. Her pace slows as she becomes unwilling to continue. Seeing this, Troy suggests, let's rest a bit. The horse can't go on? Alright. No matter how reluctant Sylvie feels, if the horse can't continue, there's nothing she can do. They only have one horse. They can't let it die from exhaustion. Troy leads the horse to a grass-covered stream to restore her strength while he goes to the river for water. Don't! Sylvie stops him. I don't drink untreated water. River water is dirty. You shouldn't drink it either. Troy gives her a look that says, noble ladies are so troublesome. If we don't drink river water, what should we drink? There's no wine here. Let's see if there's a village nearby where we can borrow a place to boil water. Troy runs his hand through his hair in frustration. Sylvie looks toward the distant forest. Dense pine trees cover the hillside, looking like fuzzy moss from afar. A flock of birds circles above the woods, and black mist seems to drift among the trees. Black mist? Sylvie tugs Troy's sleeve, pointing at the strange dark fog. What is that? Troy looks up, his gaze immediately sharpening. That's a dark aura. A monster has appeared. Sylvie never expected that fleeing for her life would lead to encountering monsters. Her luck is absolutely terrible. She's read about monsters in the library. These things spread corruption wherever they go and eat people too. Let's run quickly. She immediately decides to get up and lead the horse away. But Troy draws his long sword with a sharp ring, looking fearlessly toward the forest. You go! I'm going to kill it! Sylvie nearly explodes with anger. She doesn't know the roads alone. How can she leave? How does one swordsman kill a monster? Let's leave first. When we find the next village, we'll have the villagers notify the temple or city lord. They'll handle the monster. No, we can't give the monster time to grow stronger. Sylvie nods in admiration. Fine, you go. Just don't die there. Troy strides toward the chestnut mare with his sword. What are you doing? Seeing his intention, Sylvie swears for the first time since transmigrating. You damn well want to ride off with my horse. I'll return it. Troy doesn't look back, radiating the tragic heroism of winds howl on the river, brave warriors never return. Sylvie mentally roars, go to hell. When you die with the horse, she really will be furious. If Troy takes the horse too, leaving her alone in this wilderness without knowing the way, and with night approaching, is she supposed to wait for wolves to eat her? Wait! I'm coming with you. Even if it means going to her death, Sylvie can't help it. The two head together toward the center of the black mist. The closer they get to the pine forest, the more uncomfortable it feels. The air becomes sticky and thick, reeking of rotting decay. Wisps of black mist drift to the forest's edge on the wind. Grass blades touched by the mist wither and die at incredible speed, as if corroded by concentrated acid. Troy stops at the forest's edge. I'm going in. Sylvie surveys the gloomy woods, her heart pounding like it might burst from her chest. I'm coming with you. She clenches her fists. Together, if something happens, we can watch each other's backs. Troy looks at her in surprise. Aren't you afraid? You've protected me for so many days. I can't just watch you die here with no one to collect your body. Troy smiles quietly, saying with confidence, I won't die. It's just one monster. I've even destroyed entire monster lairs before. Sylvie rolls her eyes. Sure, whatever you say. Troy's eyes crinkle with amusement. Without explaining further, he steps into the woods. Stay behind me, step in my footprints, and be careful not to slip. Sylvie nods like a pecking chicken. After walking about 100 meters, the air has become sickeningly sour. Sylvie covers her nose with a handkerchief. Not watching her step, she bumps into Troy's back. Why did we stop? Troy stands motionless ahead. It's a swamp monster. It's eaten people. Sylvie stands on her toes, peering over his shoulder at the distant scene. In the dense, almost solid black mist, a massive creature looms indistinctly. Its rotting body sprouts wild, tangled hair. Two pitch-black eye sockets burn with blue flames. Long fangs protrude from its mouth. Its upper body resembles a giant, but from the waist down it becomes a mass of foul-smelling mud merged with the earth. This monster stands at least 5 meters tall, equivalent to a 2-story building. Its egg yolk-colored mouth roars silently in all directions, either making no sound or sounds humans can't hear. Sylvie looks worriedly at Troy. Are you really confident you can kill it? Trust me. Troy leaves these words and charges toward the swamp monster. When he's only 7 or 8 meters away, he leaps high, his sharp sword reflecting blinding light. Sylvie sees one of the 2 blue flames extinguish. The monster writhes its massive body in fury, pounding the ground. The earth shakes so violently she can barely stand. In just seconds, the black mist thickens several times over. The sky suddenly darkens. The forest becomes pitch black. She can't see anything. Her ears catch faint sounds of intense battle in the distance. In this darkness, she feels strangely comforted. At least it proves Troy is still alive. Time passes. So long her legs go numb, until a ray of light suddenly penetrates the woods. Realizing what this means, Sylvie runs toward where the monster appeared, calling Troy's name as she goes. The valley echoes in eerie silence, making her heart clench tightly. Troy, are you still alive? Make a sound if you are. No one responds. She pulls out her magic wand, recites the flame spell, and creates a small fire. Holding it like a torch, she charges into the thick black mist. The monster is gone. Only a large pool of foul-smelling mud remains. Sylvie's sharp eyes spot something moving in the muck. She picks up a branch to poke at it. A hand suddenly emerges. She jumps back in fright before realizing it's Troy. Troy sits up from the mud pool and wipes his face, revealing his signature iron mask. Sylvie can't help saying, "Just like you, Troy. Even at a time like this, you won't remove your mask. You look absolutely wretched right now." Troy coughs twice, spitting up a large glob of mud. There was a slight complication, but the outcome was good. Sylvie helps him to his feet. What kind of complication? Troy's body feels weak, trembling as he stands. Some of the people it swallowed were still alive. I had to throw them out first. Where are they? Should be somewhere in here. Let me rest a bit, then I'll dig them out. Sylvie looks down at the mud, reaching her knees, and sighs. Even if those people were alive before, they'll probably suffocate in this muck by now. But who told her to be so kind-hearted? Sylvie puts away her magic wand and rolls up her sleeves to start the rescue. Troy is surprised once again by her actions. He hadn't expected the delicate noble lady to do such dirty work, especially when she won't even drink clean river water. What a contradictory person. After watching Sylvie for a moment and recovering some strength, Troy immediately joins the rescue effort. Soon they drag out 3 complete people, 2 men and 1 woman, all breathing weakly. Sylvie has Troy turn them over to drain the mud, preventing them from suffocating on the sludge blocking their airways. She takes out her handkerchief and carefully cleans their faces. When cleaning the woman's face, she feels a sudden sense of familiarity. Could it be her? She quickly wipes the person's face clean with her handkerchief. She can't be mistaken. It's exactly the same face from the original owner's memories. This is the Lady Knight who sponsored her education at Cyril Academy. The Lady Knight lies unconscious now, her pulse growing weaker. Sylvie's heart struggles with conflicting emotions. Dark thoughts surge and roil within her. If she dies, the next second she presses her hand firmly against the Lady Knight's chest. Sylvie struggles within herself, dark thoughts churning and screaming in her body. If she dies, the next second she presses her hands firmly on the female knight's chest, performing CPR with an expressionless face. If she abandons someone who once helped her for such a reason, how would she be any different from that despicable, cold-blooded man? When she finishes the chest compressions, she leans down and pinches the female knight's nose. Troy turns his head and sees her kissing the woman. His pupils dilate in shock, unable to accept what he sees. He lets out a roar that shatters his worldview. "What are you doing?" "I'm saving her," Sylvie explains briefly while continuing her work. She continues breathing into the female knight's mouth, repeating the process 2 or 3 times. Then Sylvie pauses. She meets a pair of shocked eyes. "You're awake. Don't misunderstand, I was just saving you." The woman quickly realizes what happened. "Thank you for saving me. I thought I was going to die." She looks gratefully at her savior. After looking at her for a few seconds, the woman hesitates. "Are you Sylvie? It has only been half a month since their last meeting." The woman remembers this beautiful young girl very clearly. She personally wrote a letter of recommendation for her to attend Cyril Magic Academy, and gave her 10 gold coins for travel expenses. Sylvie's mind races. She's been recognized. What should she do? "It's me." She doesn't deny her identity. "I didn't expect to meet you here. How did you encounter a monster?" The female knight looks pained. "I was heading to Cyril Magic Academy. When I passed through here, I detected monster presence in the mountains. I thought I could handle it easily, but I didn't expect this monster to be so powerful. It devoured all of us." "By the way, how did you destroy it?" Sylvie steps aside, revealing Troy behind her. "I don't have such abilities. It was my guard Troy who killed it. He also rescued you from the monster's belly." "Your guard?" The female knight's eyes widen slightly. She seems surprised that a fleeing fisher girl would have a guard, especially one capable of killing a monster that even her knight order couldn't defeat. The female knight looks at Troy, her gaze settling on his mask before pausing, then moving down to his sword hilt. Her eyes widen in shock. She immediately recognizes that it's magical material only magic swordsmen can use. Low-level swordsmen simply cannot withstand such powerful magical energy. Didn't Sylvie say she was an orphan who escaped from a fishing village? How could she have a magic swordsman guard? The female knight falls into deep confusion. Troy stands quietly beside them, listening. When Sylvie calls him her guard, Troy shows no reaction. After all, he took Sylvie's money and is indeed doing guard work. Sorry, Troy isn't good with words. Sylvie notices the female knight staring at Troy. Fearing she might ask about his background, she quickly changes the subject. "There are 2 people still alive on the ground. They might be your companions. Would you like to check on them?" Hearing about her companions, the female knight immediately looks at the ground and rushes over excitedly. "It's them, Robert and Vincent. They were injured so badly protecting me." She sees the bones scattered around and her eyes fill with tears. The others are all dead." Sylvie nods gravely. The knight takes a deep breath, wipes away her tears and looks at Sylvie. "I apologize. For certain reasons, I didn't tell you my name before. Let me reintroduce myself. My name is Lillian Rossetti, Grand Princess of the Duchy of Kinnoch. When my knight order and I passed through here today, we unfortunately met with disaster. I hope you can help us get to Cyril. The Rossetti family always repays its debts." "We will certainly reward you." Sylvie shows slight surprise. So you're a princess? Yes. When I met you before, I was secretly patrolling with my knight order. The border fishing village is located right between the Duchy of Kinokh and the Duchy of Tetia. It's a disputed territory claimed by both sides. Understanding dawns in Sylvie's eyes. No wonder the other knights didn't dare call her by name. Coming back to herself, Sylvie quickly says to Lillian, "You saved me once. Now it's time for me to repay you. Even without your request, I would definitely help you." Lillian's face shows gratitude, but she feels somewhat puzzled. According to etiquette, since she revealed her full name, Sylvie should also state her surname. Why did she ignore this? Now Lillian no longer believes that Sylvie is just an orphan girl who escaped from a fishing village after being chased by pirates, as she claimed. Her reaction to learning about her royal identity wasn't very surprised, and she speaks to her as an equal. This suggests she has another identity, and a high-ranking one at that. Actually, when Lillian first saw Sylvie, she felt her appearance wasn't like someone who could be raised in a small fishing village. Now, discovering she has a magic swordsman guard, she's even more certain of her guess. Perhaps Sylvie, like herself before, chose to disguise her identity for certain reasons. Thinking this, Lillian feels reassured. Her initial choice was indeed correct. Sylvie begins thinking of ways to get them back to the city. The two knights suffered severe internal injuries and won't wake up anytime soon. Their horses were also eaten by the monster. Sylvie only has one horse, and this place is about 60 kilometers from Cyril City. Walking back is completely unrealistic. Sylvie looks at Troy. "Troy, can you take them back?" Ever since hearing about Lillian's royal princess identity, Troy's aura has grown somewhat cold. Hearing Sylvie's question, he finally turns his head. "Yes, give me your orders." Sylvie looks puzzled. What's wrong with Troy? But with Lillian nearby, she can't ask. "Then take them to the city first." Troy looks at her deeply. "Very well." He pulls out a thin cord from his collar with a whistle hanging from it. He puts it to his lips and blows gently. The whistle sound is clear and melodious, with strong penetrating power. Sylvie is still curious about why he's blowing a whistle when Lillian pulls her to look excitedly at the sky. Soon, a black shadow appears in the sky. A griffin! It's actually a griffin! Lillian covers her mouth in disbelief. Sylvie looks curiously at the sky. The black shadow grows larger and larger until it flies overhead. It's a creature with a huge eagle head, lion body, and great wings. This is the griffin from Western mythology. "Troy, you have such an impressive mode of transportation and didn't use it. You made the two of us ride one horse for so far." Sylvie glares at Troy. He feels bewildered. The griffin slowly lands beside Troy. Troy strokes the griffin's neck fur, makes it lie down, then lifts the unconscious knights onto the griffin's back. Sylvie says to the excited Lillian, "Your Highness, please get on. No need to be so formal. Just call me Lillian, Sylvie." "All right, Lillian." She helps Lillian climb onto the griffin's back. After everyone is seated, accompanied by a clear whistle sound, the griffin spreads its massive wings and flies toward the sky. The griffin flies very fast. Sylvie shouts loudly to Lillian, "Are you going to Cyril Magic Academy?" Lillian raises her head and asks with difficulty, "Do you know somewhere we can stay? I want to rest first." She's covered in mud and smells terrible. She doesn't want to appear before so many people. Besides, Robert and Vincent need quiet recovery, and the academy has no place for them to stay. Hearing Lillian's answer, Sylvie actually feels relieved. She doesn't want to return to school either. "What if paladins really came to the academy? Then I'll take you to the small courtyard I bought in the city first." Lillian nods gratefully. Just like that, the five of them quickly fly back to Cyril. When they land in the courtyard, Bella screams in fright. Sylvie is the first to jump down and comfort her. "Don't be afraid, don't be afraid. This is Troy's mount. It won't hurt people." Roman runs out of the house and sees her with delight. "Miss, you're back!" Sylvie smiles and answers, "Yes, I promised you, so I came back." Roman raises his little hands and jumps in place, making excited cheering sounds. Seeing this scene, Troy's expression softens again. Lillian slides down from the griffin's wing and looks around the small courtyard with some surprise on her face. Such an elegant and spacious courtyard would cost quite a lot. She's even more convinced that Sylvie's background is extraordinary. Troy lifts down the two knights and places them on the ground, then gets back on the griffin. Sylvie notices his movement. "Troy, where are you going?" Troy pauses. "I'm going to get the horse." Sylvie realizes what she forgot. It's getting dark, and it's not safe for the horse to be outside. "Then go quickly." Troy breathes a sigh of relief and quickly rides the griffin away. He doesn't like royal people and doesn't want any contact with them. Sylvie turns to instruct Bella to go find two strong helpers to carry the unconscious knights into rooms, and to buy some clothes. Both she and Lillian are covered in mud and smell terrible, almost like pickled fish. Little Roman volunteers to help heat water, and soon they're all taking hot baths. After changing into clean clothes, Sylvie comes to the living room. Lillian finished bathing a bit faster than her and is already sitting in the living room waiting. "Lillian, why aren't you resting in your room?" Lillian is indeed very tired, but she has some questions she wants to ask Sylvie, so she forces herself to come out. Facing Sylvie now, she feels somewhat awkward. After all, Sylvie saved her, yet she's asking these suspicious questions. It's really inappropriate, but she feels uneasy not asking. Sylvie sees through her thoughts. "Lillian, ask whatever you want to ask. You saw through me. I'm really sorry. I do have questions. How did you know there was a monster there?" People born into royalty tend to be suspicious by nature. Today's events were too coincidental, so she can't help overthinking. Sylvie speaks honestly. "To tell you the truth, I originally didn't know there was a monster there. It's just that when I was doing divination at noon, I discovered something unusual in the north. I was curious, so I took Troy and rode out of the city. Later, when we got tired of riding, we rested by the river and saw black fog over by the forest. Troy said it was monster aura, and that's when we realized there was a monster in the forest. Rescuing you was also a coincidence. When Troy was killing the monster, he accidentally discovered something moving in its belly. Suspecting there might be people still alive inside, he cut open its stomach and let you out. Lillian is surprised that she can actually do divination. Then hears Sylvie continue. But why would a monster appear there? That forest is so ordinary. How could it attract such a powerful swamp monster? If only there were paladins here. They would definitely know how the monster came to be. Lillian sighs. How would paladins care about such small matters? Without divine prophecy, they simply won't leave the Vatican. Exactly. But divine prophecies don't come often. Without major chaos, the Vatican won't be alarmed at all. Lillian smiles bitterly. That's how they operate. They always prefer to come save the world after disasters happen. If I had died in the monster's mouth today, they might respond to my father's request to investigate, then give some ambiguous answer. Sylvie opens her mouth with a surprised expression. Lillian, so you also dislike? Shush. Don't say such obvious things. After speaking, she looks at Sylvie and laughs. It seems we both dislike that style of doing things. Yes. Sylvie shows a knowing smile. Lillian yawns quietly. Sylvie, I'm going to sleep. Thank you for today. You're welcome. Go rest quickly. Lillian turns around, a golden glint in her eyes. She's definitely also of royal birth. When Sylvie returns to the school dormitory that evening, she encounters Athena in the hallway. You actually didn't leave? Athena is very surprised. Sylvie is even more surprised. Leave? Where to? I saw you go to the stables to get a horse. I thought you were going to run away. Why would I run away? Then why did you get a horse? Facing Athena's aggressive questioning, Sylvie chuckles. The afternoon sunlight was perfect. I just went outside the city to ride for a bit. So many people went out. Why are you targeting me specifically? After speaking, Sylvie brushes past Athena without yielding. Are you called Sylvie Isis? Or some other surname? Athena's voice carries a sinister chill. Sylvie stops in her tracks. Where did you learn that name? So, it really is you. Athena's gaze is like a cold, venomous snake. I know your purpose, but you'd better give up on that idea. I don't understand what you're saying. You understand perfectly. Those things no longer belong to you. You'd better not hope to reclaim anything, because your filthy bloodline doesn't deserve it. Sylvie smirks, staring at her with interest. Haha, interesting. I've heard that the more someone lacks something, the more they like to emphasize it. Is that the case with you too, Athena? Athena's face changes. I hope you can keep being so sharp-tongued. Don't come crawling to beg me later. She strides past Sylvie, leaving behind one sentence. Recognize your identity early and leave Cyril. Don't force me to take action. Sylvie maintains her smile. Then I'll wait and see. Returning to her dormitory, Sylvie's expression immediately turned serious. She had misunderstood Athena's intentions all along. Athena doesn't want to expose her. Her real purpose is to make her leave Cyril. Athena fears her appearance. But why? Sylvie can be certain that the original host didn't know Athena and had no conflicts of interest with her. In the original host's 10+ years of memories, she always stayed in the fishing village and never left. Under these circumstances, how could she possibly have conflicts with a distant noble lady, unless Athena has mistaken her identity? Isis. Sylvie silently repeats this surname. It feels somewhat familiar, but she can't remember where she heard it. Sylvie simply blows out the oil lamp and goes to sleep. After a tiring day, she almost falls asleep as soon as her head hits the pillow. Her sleep quality is remarkably good. When she's awakened the next day, she still has a surreal feeling of not knowing what day it is. After a while, she remembers that today is her 7th day of school, and she has swordsmanship class in the morning. For the first swordsmanship class, the school provides wooden swords. After the instructor teaches some basic sword techniques, he has everyone pair up for practice. The girl practicing with Sylvie, unsurprisingly, gives her a good person card. Sylvie accepts with a smile. She's been trying to befriend the commoners in class, and her efforts this week have been quite effective. The commoners in class still fear the nobles, but when they see her, they now actively greet her. After class at noon, Sylvie doesn't go to the cafeteria to eat. She goes outside school to find Troy. Troy, have you heard of the surname Isis? Troy's eyes flicker. Have you met someone with the surname Isis? No, I just heard a classmate mention it mysteriously. I'm a bit curious. Troy pauses for several seconds before slowly speaking. Isis is a very noble surname. People who use this surname represent descendants of the god of life, because the life goddess's name is Isis. Only now does Sylvie understand where that sense of familiarity came from. In her previous life, she read Egyptian mythology. In Egyptian mythology, the god of life and health was indeed Isis, who was also the god who protects the dead. Have you ever met someone with the surname Isis? I haven't met any, but I've heard of one. Troy looks up at the southern sky. Isis is a surname from the wasteland. It's rare on the westland continent. I've only heard of one person, the former queen of the current king of Arturia, called Isis. I heard she was a princess who came from an ancient wasteland kingdom through marriage, but she died many years ago. Sylvie's heart aches for no reason. How did she die? I heard she died by drowning while eloping with someone. The queen eloped with someone? Yes. This queen couldn't tolerate any wrongdoing. When she discovered the king was sleeping with her maid, she angrily demanded a divorce. But the king of Arturia didn't agree, so she eloped with someone. What was the name of the person she eloped with? How would I know that? Was Queen Isis's body ever recovered? I don't know. But shortly after Queen Isis died, the king of Arturia made that maid the new queen. I heard this maid was extremely beautiful. She almost got taken away by a terrible villain to be his mistress, but Queen Isis saved her. After listening, Sylvie shows an expression of utter disbelief. What a melodramatic plot. What an amazing reversal. Even more melodramatic is that she discovers she might be related to this Queen Isis. 15 years ago fits the timeline too. Could the original host be Queen Isis's daughter? What did Queen Isis look like? I heard she was also very beautiful, with eyes blacker than obsidian, like a noble goddess. Did that queen have children? Troy shakes his head. I haven't heard of any. The new queen bore several, but they're not very favored. Why not? Doesn't the king love her very much? They didn't inherit the royal facial features, which makes the king somewhat displeased. What features? Black hair and black eyes. The new queen is a blonde beauty, and so are her children. I heard the king of Arturia is already considering changing queens again to have black-haired heirs. Sylvie suspects the original host might be the king of Arturia's biological daughter. Does that new queen have daughters? How old? Why are you asking about her daughters? Troy finds this increasingly strange. Sylvie sighs. Because I suspect a female classmate in our class is her daughter. Troy's pupils contract, and his hand unconsciously moves to his sword. Sylvie doesn't notice his unusual behavior. I think that female classmate is targeting me, just because I have black hair. Troy's stiff body relaxes slightly, but his right hand still rests on his sword hilt. It's possible, just jealousy. After speaking, he pauses, as if thinking of something. Some people are like that. They want to destroy another person out of jealousy. Sylvie's eyes light up like searchlights, focusing on him. I'm not talking about myself. I mean, some people. Troy's voice becomes flustered. Like that female classmate you mentioned. The new queen's eldest daughter is about your age. Maybe it's her. She was born before Queen Isis left, so strictly speaking, she's the king's illegitimate daughter. That's why she's never been officially accepted by the royal family. The king is also unwilling to acknowledge her, because that would represent the royal scandal she caused. He just keeps her in the palace, raising her with princess treatment. Have you seen this princess? Sylvie suddenly asks. Troy mocks himself. How could a commoner like me see them? Sylvie says, oh, heard you speak so detailed, I thought you'd been to the Arturia palace. Didn't you ask me to speak in detail? I didn't expect you to actually know so much. Sylvie looks at him like she's watching a show. Troy's facial muscles twitch with anger. Taverns have all kinds of people. If you stay there for a while, you'll know more than I do. I see. Sylvie loses interest. Returning to the small courtyard, Sylvie finds Bella cooking in the kitchen and asks about the morning dining situation of Lillian and the other two. Bella says timidly, Miss Rossetti doesn't really like my cooking, but the other two gentlemen aren't picky. Sylvie sees the leftover fish stew in the pot and bread slices on the rack. They're indeed quite rough. She gives Bella 3 silver coins. This afternoon, go buy a bag of fine flour, eggs, and a bucket of milk. I'll teach you how to sift properly and make better bread. Also buy 2 iron pots and 3 clay jars. And buy more beef and chicken. Tomorrow she has potions class again, and her spice assignment isn't done yet. She needs to finish it this afternoon while she has time. She can't make perfumes, but she can certainly make seasoning blends. Oh, and sugar. Buy some almond sugar too. Remembering that sugar is expensive in this world, Sylvie gives Bella 2 more silver coins. Bella's hands tremble as she holds the 5 silver coins. She's never held so much money. Bella looks worriedly at her new mistress. What should she do? She's afraid her master will squander all the family money, and then she'll have to wander the streets homeless. What's wrong? Sylvie sees Bella's worried expression and feels puzzled. Nothing, mistress. Please go attend to your business. I need to go shopping. Bella tries to straighten her back. For this family, she must bargain hard with those merchants today. Sylvie returns to the main hall. Lillian has just changed clothes and comes downstairs. Sylvie, you're done with class? Yes, Lillian. Are you going out? I plan to go to Cyril Magic Academy. I was supposed to report there this morning, but it's been delayed until now. Sylvie looks confused. So you're also a student at the Magic Academy? Lillian can't help but laugh. I'm not a student. I'm a teacher at the school. Sylvie's eyes widen. You're a teacher? Lillian only looks 3 or 4 years older than her. Don't I look like one? Lillian covers her mouth, laughing until her eyes curve into crescents. I'm the Academy's newly hired potions teacher. I was late reporting because I was patrolling the border. Is potions an advanced course? Yes, it's an advanced course. Advanced potion making. You'll meet me when you become an advanced magic apprentice. Sylvie is still shocked. Lillian has so many disguises, even more than her. When she thought Lillian was a knight, Lillian told her she was a princess. When she learned she was a princess, Lillian said she was also a school teacher. No wonder she could write a recommendation letter for the original host. Teachers have internal recommendation quotas. Thinking of this, Sylvie feels somewhat puzzled. Teacher Lillian, why did you recommend me to come to Cyril? When I first saw you, you had magical energy fluctuations. I thought your magical talent should be quite good, so I recommended you to study here. Sylvie thanks Lillian again for saving the original host. Lillian sees things clearly. Thank me for what? I saved myself. Without you, I would have become food for the monster long ago. She bids farewell to Sylvie and hurries out. Sylvie thinks, oh no, She didn't prepare a carriage. How can a real noble lady go out without a carriage? Sylvie mourns for herself. The wealthy lady aura she worked so hard to create finally dissipates completely at this moment. When Lillian goes to school and asks around, will she become suspicious again? Just when she feels hopeless, she suddenly hears the rumbling sound of wheels outside. A noble carriage costs at least 10 gold coins. But the beggar boy managed it for less than 2 gold coins. Roman first found an uncle he knew, and proposed buying a 3-year-old pony to pull a carriage for the noble lady. Miss Sylvie is usually at the Magic Academy and doesn't travel often, so the cart horse won't get tired. If you sell me the horse at half price, I'll feed it the best grass for 3 years. After 3 years, when the miss leaves Cyril, I'll sell the horse back to you at full price and help train horses. Horses are in their prime after age 5. So you'd essentially get a strong horse for free. The boss agreed and only charged him 1 gold coin. Roman then had the horse dealer introduce him to a carriage merchant. He told the merchant he wanted to buy a carriage for a noble lady. If you sell me the carriage cheaply, I'll help advertise that nobles buy carriages from your shop. The carriage merchant also agreed and only charged him 90 silver coins. When Sylvie learns that the suddenly appearing carriage was bought by Roman, she's already very shocked. After hearing about his purchasing process, she's completely stunned. But she still has one question. I only gave you 2 gold coins yesterday. Minus the 80 copper coins for buying clothes, you only had 20 copper coins left. How did you hire a coachman? Tom isn't a coachman, he's also an orphan. He often begs near the carriage company and knows how to drive horses. I told him if he's willing to be your coachman, I'll share half my food with him every day. And he agreed. Then I gave him my old hemp clothes, took him to bathe and cut his hair, and let him try driving the carriage. He drives very well. Speaking of this, Roman's face suddenly becomes very dejected. I originally wanted to do it for you, but I didn't expect that lady would also need the carriage. Sylvie is so stunned she can't speak. This is finding a child genius. Roman, you helped me tremendously today. You did very well. Miss Rossetti is my guest. If she goes out without a carriage, it would be my loss of face. Roman becomes happy when he hears this. Really, miss? Did I really help you? Of course, Sylvie nods definitively. But how did you think of buying a carriage? Roman says shyly. Yesterday at noon, I saw you get off the horse with red marks on your hands. I thought you must be uncomfortable always riding horses. So, I wanted to buy you a carriage. Sylvie feels both moved and heartbroken. She finally knows what it feels like to have a caring little sweetheart. Since Roman is so smart, education must be put on the agenda. Smart children should go to school and experience the hardships of learning. Sylvie is determined to find Roman good teachers. No, one isn't enough. She needs to find 7 or 8. Literature, mathematics, archery, painting, music. Everything knights learn should be arranged for him. For subjects knights don't learn, she'll give him special tutoring. Her child must develop comprehensively in moral, intellectual, physical, aesthetic, and practical areas. Sylvie looks at Roman's fluffy head, her heart surging with passion. She suddenly feels like she's transformed into a ruthlessly competitive parent. Roman feels a chill on the back of his neck, his small face showing great confusion. What's happening? Why does it feel so eerie here? Not long after, Tom returns with the passenger. Sylvie sees that despite his young age, his horse-driving movements are very skilled, so she calls him into the courtyard. You're Tom, right? Tom stands there timidly, his body trembling with fear. Don't be afraid. I'll ask, you answer. Sylvie can't bear to see children like this. Tom reminds her of Roman on the first day. Yes, I'm Tom. Tom lowers his head in panic. Sylvie softens her voice. How old are you this year? 16 years old? Tom lies. He's actually only 11, but he fears Sylvie might not want him because he's too young, just like the carriage company boss who kicked him out. 11-year-old boys are growing and eat a lot, but they're thin and weak and can't do heavy work. Bosses don't want them. Seeing Tom's lowered head and trembling legs, Sylvie doesn't continue questioning. This child doesn't have Roman's strong psychological resilience. Being older than Roman by a few years, he's also suffered more injustices from the world and needs gradual change. Tom, you're someone Roman brought here. Since he values you, you must have exceptional qualities. From now on, you'll live in that room by the side gate. The kitchen will provide you 2 meals a day, plus 20 copper coins daily salary. Are you willing? Tom's head snaps up, then quickly drops down again. His voice reveals excitement and ecstasy. I'm willing, miss! He keeps bowing to express his gratitude to Sylvie. 20 copper coins a day, plus room and board. Carriage company coachmen only get 50 copper coins a day without room and board. Coachman apprentices under 18 don't even get paid, and sometimes have to pay fees. Tom feels like he's been hit by a huge pie from the sky. His whole person feels dizzy, like he's drunk. Roman was right, this truly is the kindest, most beautiful noble lady. Tom doesn't dare look at Sylvie and gratefully looks at Roman instead. Roman receives his gaze and raises his chin high. With a coachman, there's someone to run errands. Sylvie had been using Troy for errands before, which was somewhat unfair to him. Troy's background is mysterious. Not only is his swordsmanship extraordinary, but he also has an impressive griffin mount. Even Princess Lillian looks at him with respect. For such an important figure, her ordering him around is truly inappropriate. Thinking of Lillian, Sylvie asks Tom, did Miss Rossetti say when she'll return? Tom shakes his head. No, Miss Sylvie thinks for a moment and instructs, then go wait at the academy gate later. If Miss Rossetti comes out, please invite her into the carriage. Tom receives her instructions and happily runs to the side gate. He just loves working with horses. Roman also runs back to the flower bed, sticking his bottom up and working hard to pull weeds from the flower bed. Sylvie initially thought he was maintaining the garden, but now realizes he wants to pull grass to feed the horses. Roman, come here. Roman immediately drops the grass and runs over. His little hands covered in mud are wiped on his pants, and he wipes away snot that's about to drip out. Seeing this scene, Sylvie deeply feels that his education has a long way to go. Miss, what is it? Roman looks up at her obediently. Sylvie hesitates, wanting to say something but afraid of hurting his self-esteem. Finally, she takes out her handkerchief to wipe his face. Roman, I'll give you money for horse feed. From now on, Tom is your little brother. Can you help me manage him? No man isn't excited to hear about having a little brother. Roman immediately smiles, showing crescent moon eyes. Sylvie gives him the handkerchief. As a big brother, you need to have the bearing of one. From now on, you must set an example and help Tom become a clean, well-mannered, good coachman. Roman holds the handkerchief with both hands. I definitely will. Sylvie successfully gives away the snot-covered handkerchief and feels relieved, going upstairs to her reserved bedroom on the second floor. Currently, only 3 people live on the second floor. Herself, Lillian, and Troy. With Lillian and Troy both out, it's perfectly quiet. She wants to try divination again to see if yesterday's divination was an accident, or if she truly possesses this ability. Sylvie takes out the turtle shell and places it in her palm, closing her eyes. In the deep night sky, the galaxy flows and star charts reappear. Sylvie gazes at the rotating golden star tracks and asks her first question. Am I the daughter of the king of Arturia? This time the turtle shell doesn't crack, but the star formations in the sky still provide some hints. After observing the star formations, Sylvie's brows furrow. It's actually not true. Did I guess wrong? The original host isn't the daughter of Queen Isis and the king, but rather her child with the man she eloped with? Sylvie looks at the star chart again. Am I Queen Isis's daughter? The star formations give another answer. No! Sylvie gazes at the star formations, truly surprised this time. So she's not the bloodline of either the king of Arturia or Queen Isis. She's just an orphan fisher girl whose parents died. Right. She really watched too many melodramatic stories and actually thought she was the female protagonist. Since I'm not the king of Arturia's daughter, that means Athena mistook me for someone else. Some of my behaviors and appearance made her misunderstand. Should I explain it clearly to her? Sylvie thinks it's unnecessary. Why wouldn't she wear a disguise that's delivered to her door? When Athena asked her last night if she was surnamed Isis, she deliberately answered that way to make the other party misunderstand. Moreover, she can't explain to Athena either. She can't reveal the truth that she's a commoner, can she? She already offended them, so exposing herself would mean dying faster. Sylvie exits the spiritual world. After looking at the star chart today, her dizziness symptoms actually lessened somewhat. It seems that decisive divination is much easier than predictive divination. Half an hour later, Bella returns with a cart full of ingredients, with everything ready. Sylvie puts on a clean apron and enters the kitchen with Bella. She needs to teach Bella how to make cakes and prepare tomorrow's potions class assignment. Just stewing a pot of beef makes the 2 brave knights break out in cold sweat, simply because they've never smelled such fragrant meat. They thought it was demons cooking human flesh. Robert and Vincent exchange panicked glances. The uneasy pair find Lillian. Your Highness, there's danger here. We suspect this is human flesh. There might be demons cooking living people. The 3 follow the scent to the kitchen. The 2 knights suddenly kick down the door panels and raise their swords high. Evil demons die. Sylvie, who is tasting the meat, gets a huge fright. Who gave you permission to kick down the door? Is this the manners of knights? Hearing Sylvie's voice from outside, Lillian immediately realizes what's happening. Wait! Sylvie, are you in there? She speaks while scanning everything in the kitchen. When she sees the fragrant pot and ingredients on the cutting board, her face shows an expression of amusement. Sorry, we misunderstood. We've never smelled such a fragrant aroma before. Sorry, Sylvie, but what are you making? It smells absolutely amazing. Sylvie puts down her knife and fork to explain. I'm doing my potions class homework. This is the scented formula I made, with some beef and chicken stewed in it. Would you like to try some? Hearing it's beef and chicken, Lillian perks up. May I? This is your assignment after all. Of course you can. I made plenty, but this place is too small. Let's move to the dining room first. I'll have Bella bring it to us. Vincent and Robert exchange glances, showing bitter smiles. They really embarrassed themselves today. Not only did they make fools of themselves, but they also dragged the princess into it. Clearly they were the ones who misunderstood first, yet the princess took all the responsibility. Outside the dining room, the 2 bow together toward Sylvie. We're sorry, Miss Sylvie. They explain their mistakes and promise to pay double compensation. Sylvie accepts their apology. It's fine, gentlemen knights. Nothing surpasses the virtue acknowledging error and making it right. Lillian's eyes show amazement. She savors these words, feeling they have a special rhythm and sound particularly profound and powerful. Sylvie must come from an ancient royal family with deep literary cultivation to speak so eloquently. The 4 sit at the dining table. Bella soon brings the beef to them. On round iron plates are 4 or 5 fingernail-sized pieces of beef, with a spoonful of broth underneath. The meat pieces are garnished with 2 small, lovely mint leaves, with a small handful of carrot strips on the side. The plating is exquisite, with perfect color, aroma, and taste. The 2 knights, enticed by the meat's fragrance, can't wait and directly grab the meat pieces with their hands. Lillian is also very hungry, but seeing that Sylvie hasn't moved yet, and there are no spoons in front of them, she hesitates. Fortunately, she hesitates, because Bella soon brings another tray, placing 2 utensils wrapped in white silk beside their plates. Sylvie skillfully takes up the knife and fork, pierces the meat with the fork, and elegantly puts it in her mouth, chewing slowly without making any sound. Lillian observes her with peripheral vision, learns how to use the fork, and also elegantly forks a piece of meat into her mouth. The 2 knights hold meat in their hands with broth still on their fingertips. Seeing their movements, they suddenly feel a bit embarrassed. They don't know whether to put down or eat the meat in their hands. After hesitating for a few seconds, they still throw the meat pieces into their mouths and chew with enjoyment. This tender beef has no gamey taste at all. It's salty and fragrant with a hint of sweetness. It's so flavorful and has no bitter taste. Even Lillian can't help but dilate her pupils for a moment. The food in her palace is already the finest, but even meat there can't avoid being somewhat astringent. This meat is so delicious. She can't help but speed up her eating. Looking down, she realizes she's finished all the meat. Lillian is amazed. In the royal palace, she never ate this much meat in one meal. After finishing, the 2 knights look satisfied. They usually eat a lot, but this meat only whetted their appetites. After eating, they're even hungrier. Seeing this, Sylvie gives Bella a look. Bella brings up small cakes and bread. She lifts the cover, and a sweet aroma instantly spreads, filling the room. Lillian sniffs carefully and seems to smell egg, milk, and wheat fragrances. Strange. She usually feels sick smelling light dairy, but today she finds it so appealing. She picks up a piece of cake and takes a small bite. Her eyes immediately squint with happiness. She never expected this cake to be so delicious. Seeing her blissful expression, Sylvie thinks to herself that she's truly a sweet-loving Westerner. After finishing the cake and bread, Lillian wipes her mouth with a satisfied expression. There are always people better than you and skies beyond skies. I used to think the food I ate was the most delicious in the world. I never expected the food here to be 100 times more delicious than what I ate before. Teacher Lillian, if you were to grade it, how many points would you give my scented formula? Sylvie wants to know if this formula can pass. Full marks. Lillian answers without hesitation. The taste is excellent. Don't you think it's off topic? After all, it's more suitable for cooking meat. Scented formulas are all about fragrance. This formula has very harmonious aromas. Even without the meat flavor, I think its scent alone could be intoxicating. Hearing Lillian's evaluation, Sylvie feels relieved. Since someone who teaches potions gives such high praise, Professor Phil probably won't give a low score either. Knowing the 2 knights still haven't eaten enough, Sylvie has Bella cut some chicken and bring it up. Then she returns to the kitchen. She divides the broth from those spices into 2 parts. 1 part goes in clay jars to cook chicken wings and drumsticks, and 1 part she takes out for braising meat. The portion in the clay jar is her assignment for tomorrow. However, when she learns what this assignment will be used for, she almost vomits on the spot. The next day in potions class, Professor Phil has students take out their scented formulas for on-the-spot critique and grading. His grading process is very fast. Basically, he just smells the aroma, asks once about the production process, and gives a corresponding score. The full score is 10 points, but most students only get 6 or 7 points. Some don't even pass. Not until he reaches Athena's desk does Professor Phil's pace temporarily slow down. Your incense smells a bit different. Did you add other things? Yes, I added cardamom and frankincense, plus a handful of white pepper. Professor Phil nods. Very good, 10 points. Small discussions arise in the classroom. Sylvie hears a girl beside her say disdainfully, she just added some more expensive spices. I could add them too. What kind of scented formula is that? Exactly. The professor never said we could add other spices before. He's just biased toward Athena. They must be relatives. Quiet. Professor Phil looks sternly at them. I never said you couldn't add things. You didn't think of it yourselves, so don't be jealous of classmates who are better than you. The class students are angry but dare not speak. Some bold students still complain quietly. That's exactly right. If we're just grading by the rarity of spices, why make scented formulas at all? We might as well just rank by family background. The professor doing this violates school rules, doesn't it? Professor Phil slams the table with a bang. Who else is talking gets 10 points deducted. The classroom immediately falls silent. Professor Phil continues collecting assignments with a cold face. Athena puts away her incense, calmly turns to look around, scanning the entire classroom. She memorizes everyone who questioned her. Professor Phil soon reaches Sylvie's desk. Where's your scented formula? Here it is. Sylvie opens the iron box. Inside is a semi-transparent gel substance, square-shaped, like a cut piece of yellowed crystal. Professor Phil shows some interest. What is this? Sylvie presents her prepared explanation. This is scented jelly. Professor Phil savors the term, feeling it has a beautiful artistic conception. He picks up the iron box and smells it, showing some disappointment. The smell is decent, but not strong enough. Professor, this is just how it looks when cooled. To activate its fragrance, it needs heating. Sylvie takes out the prepared oil lamp and small spoon, uses the spoon to dig out a piece from the meat jelly, and places it over the flame to roast. As the meat jelly melts, a rich, intense fragrance suddenly emerges. Soon, the classroom fills with the sound of rumbling stomachs. Students clutch their bellies with embarrassed expressions on their faces. Professor Phil, being closest, has the loudest stomach rumbling, but his face shows no panic. Sylvie, how do you know how to make scented formulas? It's made with spices, fish gelatin, and chicken gelatin, simmered for 7 hours, then filtered and naturally cooled. It can be used as incense or held in the mouth to dissolve. What? It's edible? A student catches the key point, eyes bright as light bulbs. Can you really eat it? No wonder I wanted to eat it just from smelling it. Professor Phil swallows and picks up his parchment. Very creative. I'll give you 10 points. After speaking, he returns to the podium. All right, let's begin class. This lesson covers how to prepare medicinal broth for enemas and enema operation methods. Sylvie looks completely bewildered. Wait, what did you say you're teaching? Using your scented formula materials as a base, add lime water to the spice broth, stir and let cool to lukewarm. After it settles, scoop out the upper liquid. Servants can use horn tubes to blow it into the body, or doctors can use funnels or bladder tubes to insert and squeeze it into the intestines. When the urge arises, elimination can begin. Sylvie's face darkens as she begins questioning whether her decision to stay at this school is correct. When Professor Phil assigned the scented formula homework, he didn't mention it was for preparing enema medicine. But thinking carefully, this is potions class. How could homework in potions class be about making perfumes? It must be related to treating diseases. Sylvie looks at the broth in the spoon and feels she'll never be able to look at meat jelly the same way again. Suddenly, a long, loud stomach rumble sounds nearby. The sound is so loud that even Professor Phil at the front can hear it clearly. Classmates turn their heads in shock, looking at the female student who made the sound. What a warrior! Even such disgusting content didn't kill her appetite. Seeing everyone staring at her, the female student becomes embarrassed and angry. I'm just so hungry I'm dizzy. So what? Aren't you hungry too? Don't you want to eat? The female student asks 3 soul-searching questions, then breaks down and looks at Sylvie desperately. Dear, can I have a bite of your scented jelly? I really can't stand it anymore. The classroom atmosphere becomes eerily quiet. Classmates silently turn their attention to Sylvie. Sylvie glances at Professor Phil, and seeing he doesn't object, pushes the box toward the female student. Of course you can. Please try some. The female student's face turns red. Actually, she regretted speaking as soon as she said it, but seeing Sylvie really agree, a can't get any worse feeling rises in her heart. Thank you, Sylvie. I promise just one bite. She eagerly opens the box, digs out a piece of meat jelly with the spoon, and quickly tosses it into her mouth. The fragrant meat jelly slowly dissolves in her mouth. Not only is the meat jelly not fishy, it's actually very savory. It's salted just right, perfectly salty. The girl chews carefully with a satisfied expression like she's eating some dragon liver or phoenix marrow. After finishing, she licks her lips with lingering enjoyment and returns the box to Sylvie. Thank you! You're welcome. Sylvie shows a kind smile. Professor Phil doesn't blame her either. He just has people open all the doors and windows to air out the room before continuing the lesson. When class ends at noon, Sylvie is stopped outside the classroom. Sylvie, wait for me! I'm Jean Ferguson. Thank you for earlier. You're welcome. It was nothing. Jean shakes her head. You don't know, I was starting to get stomach pains. Luckily I ate a piece of scented jelly, or I would have fainted from hunger. Sylvie looks puzzled. How did you get so hungry? Jean's delicate face turns slightly red. I've been dieting recently to lose weight. Yesterday I only ate 1 apple. When I woke up this morning, my stomach felt uncomfortable, so when I smelled the fragrance in class, I couldn't control myself. Sylvie says with concern, dieting is bad for your health, Jean. Your figure is already very thin. You really don't need to lose weight. But my waist is still so thick, I can't even fit into my new corset. Sylvie looks at her already frighteningly thin waist. Your waist is very slender. That corset must be too small. Get a different one, Jean. If you always wear corsets that are too tight, your ribs will be compressed and deformed, piercing into your abdominal cavity. Jean's face pales. Is it really that scary? Much scarier than that. If your waist is cinched too tight, you'll also have difficult labor when giving birth. Pregnant women can easily die from hemorrhaging. Jean shivers with fright. Dear, thank you for the warning. I'm going to take off my corset right now. She lifts her skirt hem and runs down the steps as if racing against death. By the classroom window, Athena watches the scene below and crushes the scented candle in her hand. Athena, why must you oppose her? She hasn't interfered with you at all, has she? She has interfered with me, very, very, very much. So much that I want to slash that face of hers. She throws the broken incense on the ground and grinds it to powder with her toe. Why did you give that wretch such a high score? Professor Phil says helplessly. If you're the only one in class with full marks, others will be jealous of you. Then let them be jealous. A bunch of lowly people. Why should I care about their feelings? Athena, this isn't Arturia. Professor Phil speaks diplomatically. She's just a princess of the kingdom of Arturia. The king of Arturia doesn't rule the entire Western realm. Citizens of other countries won't fear her power. Athena hears the implication but still doesn't believe it. Even if this isn't Arturia, killing them would still be easy as pie for me. Professor Phil feels a headache coming. Don't always talk about killing. You know Cyril Magic Academy prohibits internal fighting. Uncle, people need to be flexible. Who says I'm going to kill them in the academy? Athena, the king doesn't like you killing people. That's why he sent you here. He hopes you'll learn mercy and kindness. Doesn't like me killing people? He doesn't like me killing his pregnant mistresses. Who told those wenches to dream of being queen? I just dug the little bastards out of their bellies and fed them to dogs. Then they wanted to fight me to the death. I originally didn't want to kill them. Who told them to keep throwing themselves on my sword one by one? Professor Phil feels chilled to the bone. Athena, how can you be so cruel? Those are living human lives. Shut up, Uncle. If Mother and I weren't firmly guarding our position in the palace, do you think you could still have everything you have now? Without our cruelty, the Phil family would have been stripped of titles long ago. Could you still peacefully be your noble? Don't stand there preaching to me. After being comfortable for so long, you really think you're clean. When you framed Queen Isis back then, I didn't see you being soft-hearted. Professor Phil remained silent for a long time before speaking. That was done by father and sister. I just helped them deliver letters, Athena says sarcastically. Since you could help them deliver letters back then, why can't you help me now? I don't need you to do anything. Just turn a blind eye. Don't worry, I don't have that much free time to squash those little ants. I'll only crush the biggest one. You want to kill Sylvie? But her identity still isn't certain. She might not be Queen Isis's daughter. What if you kill the wrong person? Better to kill wrongly than let one escape. Athena's voice is cold. I tested that little wretch the night before last. She thought I mistook her identity and happily jumped right into the trap. Do you know what this means? Professor Phil looks puzzled. What does it mean? It means her current identity is just a commoner pretending to be nobility. Even if I kill her, it won't cause any serious consequences. What do you plan to do? I heard there are many thugs in the city. They should like that seductive face of hers. Professor Phil feels this is inappropriate. The thugs don't know she's a commoner. They probably wouldn't dare touch her. Uncle, you're so stupid. Just have someone impersonate them. My guards are coming back soon. Fake thugs, fake nobles. This play should be much more entertaining than torturing those crying pregnant women. Storm clouds brew in Athena's azure eyes. Sylvie, I gave you a chance and you didn't leave. From now on, don't expect to leave Cyril. You can only die here. Who told you to be so excellent? If you were stupid, even knowing your identity wouldn't threaten me. I could let you go after playing with you enough. Too bad. You insist on learning everything, and being good at everything. If those worthless ministers in the capital who fantasize about the perfect heir find out, where would Mother and I have any way to survive? The girl merely touched the turtle shell, and the next second, darkness fell. Sylvie entered the spiritual realm. She asked a very important question today. Can I return to my original world? The star paths lit up, star trajectories formed rings, and 4 large characters suddenly appeared on the sky dome. Beginning has an end. Sylvie gazed at the words on the sky dome, puzzled. This time, words appeared directly. But what did beginning has an end mean? Sylvie set aside this phrase for now and began asking her second question. How can I return to my original world? The words on the sky dome disappeared, and this time celestial signs appeared, like a serpent biting its own tail, cyclical and endless. Sylvie looked at the celestial signs, frowning deeply. The starting point covered the end point. The starting point was the end point, and the endpoint was the starting point. A flash of inspiration struck Sylvie's mind, and she suddenly understood this phrase. She had transmigrated while logging into the Canaan Chronicles game. Although she had never played this game, she had seen the login interface, which contained the game's background introduction. It described the Canaan continent in social turmoil, with heroes rising and wars breaking out frequently. Players would log in with the initial identity of a minor lord, then compete with other players in the game for territory, establish city-states, and become kings and overlords. The current social environment she was in differed from the game's description. Although the roads were somewhat unsettled, they were still peaceful, not yet at the stage of war and conflict. Could it be that she had transmigrated to a time before the game began, and she would have to wait until the game started to transmigrate back? The game's beginning was the starting point, and also the end point of her transmigration journey. Based on the current continental situation, it would probably take another 10 years or so for chaos to break out. Perhaps by then, many players would enter the game and meet her, telling her how to log out. So she had to work hard to survive until the game began. The more Sylvie thought about it, the more excited she became. Returning to her original world was within reach. Today's divination felt strange. After asking 2 questions, she still didn't feel mentally exhausted. Sylvie decided to divine once more. What must I do to keep living? This time the celestial signs dimmed, and another line of text appeared on the sky dome. Without skin, where can fur attach? Literally understood, this meant without skin, there would be no place for fur to attach. It foretold that if she lost her foundation for survival, she couldn't live. So what was her foundation for survival? After brief contemplation, Sylvie understood the meaning of this phrase. It was referring to her disguise, because everything she had now was obtained by impersonating nobility. If she lost her noble facade, she would be killed. Sylvie exited the spiritual realm and was surprised to discover that she didn't feel dizzy at all today. She was in even better condition than after yesterday's divination. It seemed her spiritual realm had indeed grown stronger. Sylvie optimistically thought that at this rate of progress, she might really become a fortune teller. Then she would change her name to Sylvie the Half-Immortal. For 3 or 4 days in a row, Sylvie would divine her fortune first thing every morning. The results were all auspicious, and she truly encountered no dangers. So boring. Sylvie sat in the small courtyard sighing. Lillian had gone to school to teach. The knights had moved out, and Athena hadn't come to trouble her these past few days. People like her felt uncomfortable when life became too peaceful. She wanted to find something to do. Bella, Roman, how about we open a bakery? The cashmere fabric wasn't in mass production yet, bringing in only 100 gold coins per month, barely enough to get by. Opening a bakery across from the school to fleece those noble students would be perfect. Open a shop? Great! Great! Roman danced with joy. Our bread is so delicious, lots of people will definitely come buy it. Bella looked hesitant, but opening a shop requires renting space and hiring workers. That costs a lot of money. Ever since Sylvie taught Bella how to make soft bread, Troy could eat 16 loaves and 2 pounds of beef in one meal. Bella's daily bread production wasn't enough for Troy alone. After learning this, Sylvie made Bella the steward and had him find 4 maids to help. After becoming steward, Bella became extremely worried about the household finances. The household expenses were truly enormous. Just food alone cost 2 gold coins daily, and the master spent money like water, but she couldn't control it at all. Just like now, Sylvie made her decision unilaterally. Troy, let's go look at shops on Academy Street. Troy jumped down from the roof. When? Now. Bella watched the two leave, feeling even more worried. When Sylvie went to look at shops, Troy watched from a distance, always keeping within 20 meters of her. Close enough that the local residents wouldn't notice him, but ensuring he could always keep her in his sight. Except for taverns, he didn't like entering other shops, and those people didn't welcome him inside either. Sylvie looked at several shops in succession, but none of the owners wanted to sell. The shops with for sale signs were too small for her liking. Just when she was about to give up, a sharp-faced young man appeared behind her. Miss, are you looking to buy a shop? I have a place I want to sell. Good price? Spacious too. How about I take you to see it? Sylvie sized him up. You don't look like a merchant. Well, I'm selling it for someone else. It's a 2-story street front shop, only 1 gold coin. The family is moving and needs to sell quickly. Sylvie glanced at Troy, following not far behind her. All right then, take me to see it. Right away, follow me. I'll take you a shortcut. It's very close. The sharp-faced man spoke while walking ahead, leading her into a secluded alley. At Cyril Academy, Vera looked displeasedly at the woman before her. Athena, you want to use me again? Do you really think I'm stupid? I guarantee this time it's not me. I just want to take you to see a good show. Don't you hate Sylvie? She's about to die. Don't you want to watch? Vera looked at her warily. Why should I believe you? Athena smiled like a beautiful snake. We're just going to watch. You don't have to do anything. How could I use you? I know asking you to deal with her before was difficult for you. So today I'm taking action myself, and I'll help you vent your anger too. She insulted you like that. Don't you want to mock her back? She leaned close to Vera's ear and whispered, "Don't you want to see that bitch get her clothes torn by thugs?" A flash of light appeared in Vera's eyes. Is that really true? Of course it's true. I even found a group of old ugly beggars and invited them to play with her. Fine, I'll go with you. Vera's eyes rolled. Call a few more people. Let's all go together. Sylvie followed the man down increasingly remote roads. When they reached an intersection, the sharp-faced man suddenly sped up, turned, and entered a side alley. Disappearing, Sylvie lifted her skirt and followed for a few steps but got lost in the maze-like alleys. Suddenly, strange footsteps echoed through the narrow alley, as if someone was dragging shoes and scraping against the walls. Sylvie turned around, to see a drunken, burly man swaying into the alley. His clothes were as filthy as ox intestines, hanging loose and sloppy, with chest hair and navel exposed. Seeing her, the man changed direction and walked toward her. Well, well, look what we have here! A little beauty! A pair of lustful eyes stared at Sylvie like a hungry wolf eyeing its prey. Sylvie looked around but saw no one else. Her gaze returned to the burly man. Who sent you? Athena or Vera? What are you talking about, girl? The burly man let out a sour-smelling belch, scratching his chest with a confused expression. Real thugs aren't as clean as you. Sylvie frowned as she examined his chest. No fleas on your body, and your chest hair isn't tangled. What are you scratching? The burly man's eyes showed a flash of shock, then his expression darkened. So what if you figured it out? You still fell into my hands. A bloodthirsty, cruel smile appeared on his face as he violently smashed the wine bottle. Too bad you offended the wrong person. Otherwise, with your looks, I could have played with you a few more times. What a waste on those scum. The bottle shattered, spilling crimson liquid that filled the air with a sickly sweet, corrupt fragrance. Sylvie immediately covered her nose and mouth with a handkerchief. With the sound of a sword being drawn, the burly man was sent flying. Troy appeared in front of Sylvie, picked her up with one arm, and leaped onto the rooftop. Should I leave him alive? Troy jumped into the alley, dampened a short cloth with wine from his flask, and covered his nose and mouth. The burly man painfully got up and quickly grabbed the whip from his waist. Who are you? He saw the wind rune on Troy's sword hilt, and was horrified. The princess said Sylvie was just a commoner. How could a commoner have a magic swordsman protecting her? Troy gripped his sword and stepped toward him. You don't need to know my identity. Tell me who sent you. The burly man trembled. I can't reveal my master's identity. Sylvie stood on the rooftop, coldly ordering, Troy, if he won't talk, kill him. Vera, hiding behind a wall, heard the sounds from the alley and turned back disappointedly. This is the good show you mentioned? Just watching a thug get killed? Athena's face was ugly. She hadn't expected Sylvie to have a swordsman protecting her. At the same time, annoyance flashed in her eyes. A mere earl's daughter daring to give her attitude. The foolish thing. The plan had a small hiccup, but it doesn't matter. At least we can test whether she's impersonating nobility. Vera looked at her incredulously. What else do you want to test? Her guard is about to kill your guard. And you still suspect she's not nobility? Enough, Athena suppressed her anger, trying to explain in a calm tone. That's not necessarily her guard. Could be a swordsman friend she made. Just watch. As long as Nicholas reveals his identity, Sylvie definitely won't dare kill him. Vera looked half convinced and turned to peek through the brick gap at the scene across from them. In the alley, the thug-dressed guard refused to confess, and Sylvie had lost patience. Troy, kill him. Yes, Troy raised his long sword, the sharp blade pointing directly at the burly man's throat. Stop! Stop! I'm nobility. You can't kill me. My father is Viscount Priest of the Kingdom of Arturia. I'm his son, his heir. You can't kill me. Arturia? Troy gripped his sword hilt tighter, looking toward Sylvie. Still kill him? How can you trust a thug's words? Sylvie stood on the rooftop, her eyes cold. Dislocate his jaw, and kill him. On the other side of the alley, Vera whipped her head around to stare at Athena. Didn't you say she wouldn't dare kill him? Athena's face was grim. I overestimated her intelligence. She probably doesn't know how serious the consequences of killing a noble would be. Vera's tone was mocking. Commoners killing nobles get executed, but nobles killing nobles don't. I told you she's not nobility. Athena was so angry her eyes turned red. You'd better hurry and save your poor guard. In a little while my friends will arrive with the city guard. Who gave you permission to find the city guard? Athena's voice turned vicious. Vera smiled smugly. Don't you like using me? How's it feel when the using doesn't go as planned? Athena could no longer stand by and watch. She quickly walked around the wall and shouted sternly, "Stop!" Seeing Athena appear, Sylvie showed a surprised expression. Athena, how are you here? Athena looked at her coldly. You deliberately stalled and didn't act, waiting for me to come out, didn't you? Have your man release him. He's nobility. If you kill him, you'll only bring trouble on yourself, Sylvie said in surprise. Athena, what are you talking about? He's just a lustful thug. Leaving such people in this world will only harm more people. Annoyance flashed in Athena's eyes as she directly commanded Troy, release him. You can't bear the consequences of killing a Viscount's heir. Troy acted as if he hadn't heard her voice, not even giving her a glance. Athena felt a humiliating rage, glaring hatefully at Sylvie. Fool, if you kill him, you'll be executed. Commoners killing nobles is considered deicide, punishable by public humiliation and burning. Aren't you afraid? If you don't want to die, release him. Athena now truly wanted to save Nicholas. He was Viscount Priest's only son. If he died, Viscount Priest would probably go mad. Sylvie smiled and shook her head. Athena, you've really gone crazy. I'm not a commoner, and he's not nobility. Killing a thug who tried to assault me, how could that be a crime? Troy, do it! Sylvie, you dare! Troy's sword fell, and a head that couldn't rest in peace rolled to the ground, then was kicked flying to land in front of Athena. Athena screamed in horror. The scream attracted a large crowd. Vera stood pale at the alley entrance, followed by a group of equally pale noble ladies. A squad of city guards rushed out from behind them, surrounding both ends of the alley. The bearded captain stepped into the encirclement. What happened here? Who killed this man? Athena was still in shock. Vera immediately pointed to Sylvie on the rooftop. It was her! She had her guard kill him. The bearded captain looked up at Sylvie. Miss, could you explain why you did this? Of course, Sylvie extended her hand downward. Troy, bring me down. Troy flew up and brought her down. The bearded captain was shocked to see Troy's skills, his eyes widening. Sylvie still covered her face with a handkerchief. Officer, I'm sorry. I was really too frightened, so I had my guard kill him. Her eyelashes trembled like a dancing butterfly, and the hand holding the handkerchief tightened slightly. She looked pitiful and fragile, like easily broken crystal. The bearded captain's voice immediately softened. Don't be afraid. As long as we're here, no one can harm you. Could you tell us what you encountered? The bearded captain spoke with righteous authority. Please tell us. We are all just enforcers who will give you justice. Sylvie lowered her handkerchief, revealing a grateful smile. Thank you, officer. With your words, I feel much better. It's like this. I mistakenly entered this alley earlier and got lost. Then I encountered a lustful thug. My guard arrived just in time to stop him, but then he pulled out a strange bottle of wine. It's over there. Sylvie pointed to the broken bottle in the distance. My guard was very angry, saying he wanted to poison us. Officer, he must be a repeat offender. He's probably harmed many people this way. I was really scared, so I understand, completely understand. The bearded captain was filled with righteous indignation. Such bad people deserve to be killed. You did very well. However, he didn't just take Sylvie's word for it and had a subordinate check the wine bottle. The soldier ran back in terror to report, Captain. That's a bottle of wine mixed with succubus blood. Very potent. After hearing this, the bearded captain looked at Sylvie with pity. Miss, your guess was correct. This person used a filthy poison. He must be a repeat offender who wanted to harm you after seeing your beauty. Rest assured, you and your guard are not only innocent but should receive commendation from Cyril City. We thank you for helping us eliminate a despicable thug. Sylvie broke into a smile through her tears. Really? Officer, thank you so much. You're truly a just man, the bearded captain said solemnly. Thank you for your praise, kind miss. You and your guard may leave now. We'll handle the cleanup here. Wait! Vera suddenly stepped forward. Officer, I suspect this matter isn't so simple. Haven't you noticed any suspicious points? How could a thug have succubus wine? This potion isn't cheap, and he dared to lust after a noble lady. Don't you find that strange? The bearded captain indeed showed a suspicious expression. Are you saying someone instructed this thug's actions? Exactly. I suspect someone wanted to harm my dear classmate. Sylvie, don't you think so? Oh my! Sylvie covered her mouth in shock, tears welling up. Is that really what happened? Someone wanted to harm me? Vera's features twisted for a moment. Damn bitch, acting all delicate with me, as if you weren't the one shouting for murder just now. She didn't want to look at that fake face anymore and turned to look at Athena with a half smile. Athena, you invited me out to play today and specifically brought me to this alley. You wouldn't know anything about this, would you? Athena's eyes flashed with deep coldness, her nails digging into her palms. Her face quickly assumed an innocent expression. Vera, how can you say that? You're the one who asked me out. She looked at Vera with hurt, as if betrayed by a good friend, staggering backward. Then she grabbed her skirt, looking at the bearded captain with teary eyes. Officer, I really don't know how things became like this. Since Vera suspects me, please investigate me. I have nothing to defend. That my friend turned out to be this kind of person has already broken my heart. Athena, have you no shame? The way you're talking, it's like I did it. This was all your planning. Stop pretending to be innocent. You're just a despicable snake. Vera was about to go mad. Damn it, each one better at acting than the last. Athena lowered her head, looking heartbroken. Yes, it was all me. Officer, arrest me. Go investigate my friend. Officer, see? She admitted it. Vera was delighted, pointing at Athena and laughing wildly. You evil woman, you finally admitted you did it. Officer, now you know. That thug was her guard. This was all her plan. She even found a group of beggars, saying she'd let them all defile Sylvie. They're probably nearby. You should arrest her and interrogate her properly. Vera's voice was shrill and piercing, making the bearded captain frown. He looked at the group behind Vera. Tell me, who really called you here? The noble ladies were still in shock and hadn't recovered. Hearing the bearded captain's question, they answered in confusion. Vera called us here. The bearded captain's sharp gaze shot toward Vera. Miss, what else do you have to say? Vera angrily glared at them, then explained to the bearded captain. Athena called me first, then I called them. And if I was behind this, why would I have them call you here? Athena covered her mouth, crying. So you had already planned to frame me? Shut up, you fucking whore! Vera turned and roared at her, her expression as fierce as a demon. The bearded captain looked back and forth between Vera and Athena, finally settling his gaze on Vera. A poor helpless girl versus an arrogant, domineering lady. It was obvious which was more problematic. The bearded captain blocked Vera. Miss, please don't bully innocent people. Her? Innocent? Vera nearly fainted from anger. Yes, and I suspect you're connected to this case. I think you need to come with us. Vera's eyes widened. How can you do this? She clearly admitted she did it herself. Didn't you hear? Why do you suspect me? That young lady was obviously forced by you. The bearded captain's eyes gleamed with wisdom. You can't frame good people. I didn't frame her. She really did it. Vera frantically pulled Sylvie to testify. Sylvie, tell him who really did this. Sylvie said hesitantly, I'm not really sure, but Athena did threaten me before, saying she'd teach me a lesson or something. Vera was satisfied and glanced smugly at Athena, then said to the bearded captain with renewed energy, now you know who's framing whom. Barking dogs don't bite. I'm the good person, she's the bad one. And you can search for beggars nearby. You'll definitely get the truth from them. The bearded captain thought for a moment, then had his subordinates search for beggars as Vera suggested. Then he looked at Athena. Poor miss, did you do this? Athena wiped away her tears and looked up. Officer, it really wasn't me. I can swear to the goddess of love, great goddess of love and compassion, Freya, who holds dominion over all beings' love and fertility. If I committed this crime, please bring down divine punishment upon me. Vera sneered. Don't think I don't know what you're thinking. The lofty gods don't care about such trivial matters. Your oath is useless unless the goddess of love actually sends down a miracle. However, as soon as she finished speaking, Athena's body began radiating holy white light, and a swan-shaped mark appeared on her forehead, the blessing of the goddess of love. The noble ladies exclaimed in amazement, My God, I've witnessed a divine miracle. The bearded captain was deeply moved and immediately declared, This young lady is innocent. Impossible. She clearly lied. How could this happen? She definitely did it. The bearded captain immediately retorted, Divine miracles don't lie. The facts have proven she's innocent. Vera kept shaking her head. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. Suddenly she thought of something and immediately pointed at the mark on Athena's forehead. I know. She's one of God's chosen. She didn't sincerely pray to the goddess of love. She just summoned her divine mark. Listen to what you're saying. If that poor young lady is one of God's chosen, she's even less likely to do such things. How could someone beloved by the gods be evil? The other noble ladies chimed in. Yes, God's chosen are 1 in 10,000, personally selected by the gods as the purest souls. How could they do bad things? While everyone was discussing, the soldiers who went to search returned. Report, Captain. No beggars found in the vicinity. How is that possible? Vera stared at Athena sharply. You lied to me. Athena's eyes revealed a hint of mockery. There were never any beggars to begin with. The more people involved, the more likely things would go wrong. She had said that just to lure Vera over. If things went badly, she could still use Vera as a scapegoat. Now it seemed her original decision was truly foresighted. The bearded captain no longer believed Vera's words. He beckoned to a soldier. Come, take this lying miss back to jail. No, it wasn't me. You can't take me away. Vera struggled desperately. I won't go. I won't go. Do you know who I am? Let me go. Officer, please let her go. The bearded captain turned around in confusion. You want me to release her? Yes, Sylvie nodded, speaking gently but firmly. I believe Vera isn't that kind of person, and even if she did do it, I wasn't harmed. So let's end this matter here. I won't pursue it. She looked at the bearded captain with a smile, her eyes tolerant and merciful, like a radiant Madonna. God says that forgiving others is forgiving ourselves. Officer, please give Vera a chance to reform. The bearded captain couldn't help but admire. You're truly a noble lady of high character. Your personality shines as brightly as your beauty, though I don't know which god said forgiving others is forgiving ourselves. It clearly comes from a benevolent and powerful deity. The bearded captain released Vera and had soldiers carry away the thug's corpse. Athena watched the headless body, hatred surging in her heart like violent waves, her eyes darkening as she glanced at Sylvie and Vera. Troy, let's go, Sylvie called out and walked toward the alley exit. Wait, Vera suddenly stopped her. Our grudges are settled and don't think I'll thank you. Sylvie nodded and left with Troy. After leaving the alley, Troy asked Sylvie in confusion, why did you let them go? Because as a fake noble, I can't confront them head on. Sylvie glanced at Troy. Of course it's because I wanted to give them a chance to reform. Didn't I just say so? Wasn't that just to fool them? Oh, you saw right through that. Sylvie looked at Troy with interest. Then let me ask you, why did you react so strangely when you heard that thug say he was from Arturia before you saw Athena? What was strange about it? You know your reaction was off, afraid I'd notice. Troy fell silent, his eyes behind the mask dark and unreadable. If you don't want to say, fine, I don't really want to know anyway. Sylvie naturally moved to another question. What exactly are gods chosen? Troy looked at her strangely. Are you really from this world? Sylvie's steps faltered. Why do you ask? Because you never know things that everyone else knows, like you're just an observer. She often felt that when Sylvie was with others, there was an incongruous sense of displacement, as if she existed outside this world, occasionally using her body to glance around. This really startled Sylvie, but she quickly recovered and half-jokingly said, you found me out. I'm indeed not from this world. I'm a god from heaven, descended to save you all. Troy's green eyes gazed at her, and he suddenly heard his own violent heartbeat. Sylvie returned to school early today. She needed to visit the library. The original owner had always lived in a fishing village, with limited worldly knowledge and experience. Like today when they mentioned God's chosen, she had no idea what that meant. To avoid such situations in the future, she resolved to read through all the religious texts. After reading through books, she finally understood what God's chosen were. God's chosen were believers favored by divine beings. These believers had extremely pure faith in gods, and served as promoters of gods in the mortal realm, which was why people also called them God's kinfolk. Gods would give their kinfolk a mark representing their selection. They would protect this person through mysterious means and grant them extraordinary abilities. Gods chosen were extremely rare. Only one might be born among tens of thousands of people, and most were nobles with almost none among commoners. The books claimed that nobles were descendants of gods, possessing purer and stronger souls, which was why gods favored them. Commoners were descendants of sinful people with dark, dusty souls who were greedy, ignorant, vulgar, and stupid, so gods didn't like choosing kinfolk from among them. However, one type of god liked approaching commoners: dark gods. According to the books, Canaan continent had thousands of gods large and small, but only dozens were commonly mentioned. For example, the sea god worshipped in the original owner's village, the goddess of love that Athena believed in, and the sun god, moon god, thunder god, fire god, etc. These were collectively called light gods. The Vatican was the temple of light gods, with the sun god and moon god as supreme deities and other gods as main deities. Under the main gods were subordinate gods, like the soil god and irrigation god under the harvest god. These were all righteous gods. Opposing righteous gods were dark gods, also called dark gods. The dark god to whom the original owner sacrificed her soul was the god of the undead from the dark faction, a very evil deity who would turn human souls into undead, making people lost in darkness forever, never able to reach heaven. But Sylvie felt this god of the undead might actually be a good god, since he had fulfilled the original owner's wish. Conversely, the goddess of love, who protected someone like Athena, probably wasn't a good god. After reading, Sylvie felt extremely heavy-hearted. Previously, although she knew gods existed in this world, she had thought they sat high in the clouds, ignoring worldly affairs. Now it seemed that while gods hadn't descended to Earth, they were using God's chosen as a way to indirectly control human power struggles. Sylvie boldly speculated that righteous gods only chose nobles and not commoners because commoners had no power. They couldn't build temples or gather faith for gods. Why did dark gods like approaching commoners? Probably because nobles had already been monopolized by righteous gods, so they couldn't get watermelons and had to settle for sesame seeds. Sylvie sadly discovered she was that sesame seed. Despite being so excellent, no god had come to favor her. They really had no vision. Sylvie closed the book and was about to put it back. As she stood up, her back suddenly felt a sharp pain, as if hundreds of needles were stabbing her, nearly making her roll under the table. After the pain lasted a while, she could finally straighten up. She reached back to touch her back. No needles. Nothing there. Sylvie's heart sank. Oh no, could it be that her mental criticism of those gods had brought down divine punishment? She immediately returned the book to the shelf, hurriedly left the library, and went back to her dormitory in Rose Garden. She locked the doors and windows, drew the curtains, then lit the oil lamp on the table. After doing all this, Sylvie gently removed her top, turned her back to the oil lamp, and looked in the mirror. In the dim bronze mirror, flames flickered, reflecting an eerie black totem, Girls never got tattoos, yet her back showed dense, intricate patterns. Sylvie's pupils contracted. This was a god's chosen mark. The good news was that she had also been chosen by a god. The bad news was that the god who chose her was a dark god. But when had the dark god selected her? Sylvie suddenly remembered something from the original owner's memories. What Troy had said the night he came to find her. Offer your soul to darkness. Call upon the name of the god of the undead, request his response, and help you through this ordeal. Troy had spoken with such certainty, as if he knew the original owner would definitely receive help from the god of the undead. But they were strangers. Why would Troy come tell the original owner these things? Wasn't he afraid the original owner would report him to the temple to reduce her own punishment? Unless the original owner already had this mark then, and he had discovered it. Sylvie pondered while putting her clothes back on. Now she had another reason to be killed. Oh, dark god, should I thank you for not putting this huge tattoo on my forehead? Afraid I might carve it off with a knife, right? Sylvie was full of resentment, and her impression of this god of the undead hit rock bottom. After the autumn equinox, Cyril's weather grew colder each day. Sylvie's bakery on Academy Street finally opened in an inconspicuous corner. But business was surprisingly good. Bread cost 1 silver coin each, cakes 3 silver coins per piece, and if they were cupcakes with nuts and fruit jam filling, the price increased by another silver coin. The bakery had 2 floors. The first floor sold bread and cakes, while the second floor served beverages. Since there was no tea here, they made fruit tea. The sweetener came from malt sugar that she taught Bella to extract, while fruits came from nearby farms. The most profitable bubble tea business from her previous life was now in Sylvie's hands. Her deflated purse grew plump again. Ace Cream Bakery quickly became the most popular shop among noble students. Because making cream was time-consuming and labor-intensive, the bakery's cream cakes were always in short supply and had to be sold by limited quantities. She heard that some commoner speculators had learned to buy cakes from her shop and resell them to the school at high prices. Nobles had driven the price up to 1 gold coin per cake. About this, Sylvie wanted to say, noble money was really easy to earn. A single noble could spend 50 gold coins in her bakery in 1 month, and she herself contributed to the shop's revenue daily. Here, 1 gold coin. Sylvie placed the gold coin on the counter. Yes, miss. Your cake and fruit tea will be brought to the second floor private booth. Please rest in the booth with your friend for a moment. The maid smiled and handed her a copper token with a number engraved on it. Sylvie took the copper token. Jean, let's go upstairs. Jean Ferguson happily followed her upstairs, chattering away. Sylvie, this shop's chef is such a genius. How do you think they make such delicious food? Sylvie shook her head. I don't know either. Yes, nobody knows. Many nobles from school have come to investigate, wanting to poach the chef for their own households, but the chefs here remain unmoved. Ace Cream's owner is so mysterious. Sylvie smiled without speaking. The butter recipe was in her hands. Everything was prepared at the small courtyard before being sent over. The chefs in the shop couldn't make it themselves. Some nobles who wanted to poach her employees even tried to use their power and influence. Fortunately, her shop was on Academy Street under Cyril Academy's protection, so they didn't succeed. Recently, she had people spread word that Ace Cream Bakery's owner was a high-ranking noble of distinguished status, which finally deterred those with ill intentions. After the desserts arrived, Jean ate cake with a small spoon while sighing. Sylvie, your parents must treat you so well to let you come here for cake every day. Don't you come every day too? If you hadn't invited me today, I wouldn't have come. Sylvie looked puzzled. Why? Doesn't the cake taste good anymore? No. Even if I ate it for a lifetime, I'd never get tired of it. But I'm almost out of money. She looked somewhat dejected. I counted my coins yesterday and realized I don't have enough for this month's living expenses. I wrote home, but I don't know if Mother will send me money. I heard from the other girls that they wrote home long ago. When they got replies, they were scolded thoroughly but didn't receive any money. Recently, they've all put their corsets back on to suppress hunger. The sad thing is, their corsets don't fit anymore. Mine doesn't either. Jean pinched the soft flesh around her waist, then looked mournfully at the cake on her plate before taking another big bite. Ace Cream is so evil, single-handedly draining all the noble students' wallets in Cyril. Sylvie said this while touching her own bulging money pouch. Exactly, Jean agreed wholeheartedly. At this moment, a new customer came upstairs. Sylvie, so you're here. Seeing the newcomer, Sylvie stood up. Professor Lillian, are you here for tea too? Yes, the fruit tea here is very sweet. Drinking it always lifts my spirits, just like you do. Lillian said this while winking at her. Sylvie blushed slightly. Thank you for the compliment. Lillian had eaten cake at the small courtyard, so she was probably the only person at the academy who had guessed that Sylvie was the owner here. After finishing afternoon tea, Jean walked out of the bakery arm in arm with Sylvie, and they happened to see Vera running into the cake shop. On the road, Jean told her the gossip she'd heard about Vera. Vera's fiancé Egbert proposed to Athena. They say Athena rejected him, telling him he shouldn't betray his engagement and should treat Vera well. But Vera rushed out and pushed Athena, nearly pushing her into the lake. Egbert was furious and humiliated Vera, threatening to break their engagement. Vera acted like a madwoman, screaming and shouting, even claiming Athena had cast a spell on Egbert. After hearing this, Sylvie was thoughtful. Although given Athena's proud nature, she would look down on the short, ugly Egbert. She might have deliberately seduced him to get revenge on Vera. Moreover, according to the books, gods chosen were all granted extraordinary abilities by gods, but Athena hadn't shown any special talents in any of her classes. perhaps this ability was applied elsewhere. Vera's suspicions weren't unfounded. The talent granted by the goddess of love should be love-related too. It couldn't be fertility-related, could it? The next day, back at the small courtyard, Sylvie sat in her room contemplating what her special talent might be. The god of the undead surely wouldn't be so stingy as to not give his chosen one any benefits, right? Sylvie imitated Athena's manner, closed her eyes and called out, "Evil god of undead and darkness, Alatet who holds dominion over the realm of death, what talent have you granted me?" She waited quietly for half a minute. No response. She got up, removed her clothes, and looked at her back in the mirror, finding that the previous mark had disappeared. Sylvie was dumbfounded. Had the god of the undead run away? Was he really this stingy? Making people work without pay, then running away when the worker asked for wages? Sylvie pondered for a few seconds, thinking that as a god, he shouldn't, at least couldn't, run away so shamelessly. So the problem was with her prayer. Either it wasn't sincere enough, or the method was wrong. Sylvie recalled the mental environment when her back had hurt, and the mark appeared last time, and a ridiculous thought came to mind. No way, gods couldn't be this vain, could they? Should she try it? She closed her eyes, placed her hand on her chest, and devoutly recited, "Great and righteous God of the undead, Alatet who holds dominion over the realm of death, your radiance inspires worship, your tolerance inspires praise, your beauty surpasses even the goddess of love. You are the truly noble, truly worthy God for people to believe in." Her back suddenly grew warm. Sylvie opened her eyes and looked in the mirror. That tattoo had indeed reappeared. She remained expressionless, even wanting to let out a cold laugh. She never expected him to be this kind of god, liking subordinates who flattered him, liking to hear people praise him. No wonder last time when she mentally thought he was a good god and that the goddess of love wasn't good, he had eagerly shown his presence. So he had heard her flattering words. Sylvie couldn't help but complain internally. "Are you kidding me? You're a dark god. Dark gods don't like being called evil, but like being praised as righteous, kind, radiant, and noble. There's definitely something wrong with that. This world has some problems too." However, she had finally found the correct way to communicate with the dark god. Sylvie closed her eyes and praised with the most heartfelt emotion, "Great god of the undead, Alatet, you are so just, loving, kind, and gentle, better than all other gods, loving your people and believers more than they do. I am your most faithful chosen one. Sylvie begs you to grant me power." After Sylvie finished speaking, her back grew hot, followed by an itching sensation. At her shoulder blades, it felt as if something was about to emerge. She opened her eyes and looked in the mirror. At her left and right shoulder blades, the black patterns writhed like boiling water, and suddenly a bulge appeared under her skin, as if about to break through. Excruciating pain spread from her back to her limbs and bones. All her bones began to ache as if they were being violently shattered and reassembled. The pain made her stumble and fall to the ground. Her fingers gripped the cracks between floor tiles, and she bit down hard on her back teeth, not daring to cry out for fear of attracting the people downstairs. Good, worthy of you. Dark god, even granting abilities is so sinister. Are you trying to turn me into a monster?" Sylvie regretted this immensely. Knowing that dark gods were evil, why had she boldly prayed to him for benefits? The bones in her back creaked and groaned with tooth-grinding sounds, and Sylvie trembled all over from the pain. She didn't know how much time passed, but suddenly the severe pain disappeared, replaced by an unprecedented sense of lightness. Something seemed to emerge from her back. With a thought, that thing spread and stood upright, lifting her off the ground. Sylvie's heart pounded. In the mirror, a pair of enormous black wings appeared behind her, spanning about 3 meters when fully extended, a very convenient ability for escaping. Her childhood wish had come true. She no longer needed to envy Troy's unicorn mount. Mounts could fly, but how could that compare to flying herself? However, would black wings immediately make people suspect dark gods? Just as Sylvie thought this, she discovered the wings on her back had changed color. Not only had the wings turned white, but her hair had also become white, making her look like a little angel. She was afraid a halo might actually appear and quickly stopped that thought. It had to be said, the god of the undead was truly a generous boss, giving her wings and even including a costume change so she could switch appearances. Sylvie even vaguely sensed that her acquired abilities weren't limited to just this. What other abilities she had gained she hadn't figured out yet. Great god of the undead, Alatet, you truly are the most generous, tolerant, and loving god I've ever encountered. This boss was so good. Could it be because she was his only believer? Sylvie thought this blasphemously, while retracting her wings. The wings magically disappeared into her body, the mark on her back gradually faded, and her hair color returned to black. Except for being slightly damp with sweat, she looked completely unchanged. Generally speaking, when you take someone's things, you have to help them get things done. Gods chosen carried out divine will, needing to provide pure faith to gods or help them recruit believers. Sylvie had previously been an atheist, so her faith obviously wasn't very pure. Providing faith was difficult for her. The god of the undead probably knew this too. After all, gods could easily hear people's thoughts, so the only thing Sylvie could do was recruit believers. But asking people to worship dark gods, wouldn't that really get her killed? Moreover, she still wasn't clear whether the god of the undead was good or evil. She should find a way to test this, though such matters required long-term planning to avoid angering the praise-loving god and getting killed by a single thought. Sylvie's current plan was to first probe Troy's background. Since he could recognize the god of the undead's divine mark, he might also be a believer of the god of the undead, a dark god, who liked hearing people praise him as righteous and kind. Praise him well and he'd give you wings, even thoughtfully including a costume set. Sylvie was quite satisfied with the god of the undead's generosity, but soon she couldn't smile anymore. Sylvie found Troy. Troy, you're a believer of dark gods, aren't you? Troy's pupils contracted violently. No, Sylvie stepped forward, observing his expression through that mask. If not, why did you agree to my employment as soon as you heard me say those words? Troy pressed his lips tight, gripping his sword hilt forcefully. You're a believer of the god of the undead. Troy suddenly looked up at Sylvie, a flash of killing intent in his eyes. Don't be nervous, I won't report you. I don't dislike dark gods. On the contrary, I'm very interested in them. Troy's eyes showed shock. Then his pupils darkened as he warned in a hoarse voice. Curiosity will kill you. Don't try to touch anything related to dark gods. Be careful not to get burned. Sylvie quickly reached out and touched his arm. Like this? Troy recoiled as if stung by a needle. Huh? What's wrong with me? Sylvie took 2 steps to get in front of him and poked him again. Just a touch. What's the big deal? Troy reacted as dramatically as if he'd been molested, suddenly retreating 7 or 8 steps, his whole body rigid as he stared at her. You're a girl. What else would I be? Sylvie approached step by step. If I'm not a girl, am I a boy? Sylvie reached toward his face, stopping her fingers a foot from his face. Troy, what does your face look like under that mask? Troy's lips moved. He suddenly turned around with his back to her, his low, hoarse voice saying, "Very ugly." Ugly? Don't believe it. Your eyes are so beautiful. I don't believe you're ugly. Troy stood with his back to her, muscles tense, his fingers loosening, then quickly tightening again. Sylvie walked around to face him, looking up. No matter what you look like, you're beautiful in my eyes. Sylvie said this without feeling guilty. Most Westerners looked the same to her anyway. She was face blind, and basically recognized people only by hair and eye color. Troy, how about we exchange secrets? Let me see your face and I'll tell you one of my secrets. Troy covered his mask tighter and retreated again, turning away. No, Sylvie's temper flared. Won't let me see? Is it because you have a dark god's mark on your forehead? Troy's whole body trembled. No? Then why such a big reaction? And you say you don't have one? Sylvie hadn't expected to actually hit the mark, and asked with complex emotions, which dark god's mark is it? Is it the god of the undead, Olatet? Are you his chosen one? But even if you have his mark, you don't need to wear a mask all the time, right? As long as you don't deliberately reveal it, no one can see it. Troy turned around and said decisively, I'm not his believer. I don't believe in gods either. God's descent day is coming soon. I'll prove this to you then. God's descent day? Sylvie remembered that this world designated November 1st each year as God's descent day, believing it to be the day when all gods were born. Why prove it on God's descent day? Can't you do it now? Troy's tone was strange, because only on God's descent day do the temples open their doors wide and pour out real holy water. Everyone goes to Temple Square to receive the holy water baptism. Isn't that holy water fake? Sylvie remembered Blake mentioning that the holy water he drank as a child was just scooped from wells by priests. The holy water on that day isn't fake. Only that day's holy water is real. Gods grant the holy water power to drive away evil demons. If I were a believer of dark gods, I'd be burned to ash by the holy water. Sylvie's eyelid twitched, and her heart began pounding rapidly. Heaven really loved playing jokes on her. 1 second making her proud, the next plunging her down. Suddenly those big wings didn't seem so appealing anymore. The holy water baptism on God's descent day shouldn't be mandatory, right? Sylvie returned to school and took out the turtle shell she hadn't used in a long time. Ever since she had divined good fortune but was still attacked by fake thugs that same day, Sylvie hadn't really trusted her divination results. Moreover, since that day, her divination had returned to the first-time condition. Looking at star charts made her dizzy and nauseous, and she'd be listless for a long time after exiting the spiritual realm. As coursework became increasingly demanding and her energy needed to be focused elsewhere, she dared not divine lightly anymore. Fortune tellers in her previous life often said that revealing heaven's secrets would bring punishment of 5 afflictions and 3 deficiencies. She didn't care about being widowed, orphaned, alone, or disabled, but among the 3 deficiencies, wealth and life, either one was unacceptable to her. Collecting her thoughts, she picked up the turtle shell and began entering the spiritual realm with full concentration. Sylvie looked at the sky dome and asked her first life or death question. Regarding God's descent day and me, is it auspicious or ominous? The fire star constellation lit up again, indicating this time would be ominous. This result was somewhat acceptable to Sylvie. Ominous meant there was danger, but it wasn't a certain death situation. What must I do to turn misfortune into fortune? The fire star constellation suddenly burst with blinding red light. Stars in the sky began falling like weightless objects, wrapped in scorching heavenly fire as they crashed toward her. The entire spiritual realm melted into a sea of lava. The celestial signs revealed that she couldn't escape this tribulation. If she insisted on avoiding it, it would only lead to certain death. Sylvie opened her eyes, clutching her explosively painful head. a tear flowing from her eye. Where the tear passed brought a burning sensation like fire. Was this how holy water would feel on her body? This kind of pain couldn't be endured through willpower alone. Never mind whether she could last until God's descent day ended. If holy water burned her skin, others would immediately see that she was a believer of dark gods. She had to think of another way, at least to make it appear that the holy water didn't affect her. Suddenly, Sylvie remembers a spell called the transformation spell, but only advanced magic apprentices can learn that. With just 15 days left until Divine Descent Day, Sylvie still hasn't found any way to access advanced magic. She can't get close to the senior magic apprentices at all. Even if she manages to befriend one, they would never agree to teach her advanced spells if she asks out of nowhere. The library never records magical incantations either. Magic books are only kept by the Academy's professors. The best plan Sylvie can think of is to steal a magic book from Professor Moses, study it, then return it. However, Professor Moses never lets her books out of her sight. This makes Sylvie's goal extremely difficult. Sylvie has also considered running away, or simply hiding in her room that day. But an Academy notice shatters her hopes. On Divine Descent Day at 7 a.m., all faculty and students must gather at the Academy Square for the annual holy water baptism. Anyone who tries to avoid it will be treated as a demon. There's another notice too. At 2 p.m. on Divine Descent Day, a grand demon purging ceremony will be held at the plaza in front of Cyril Temple. Faculty and students from Cyril Magic Academy are welcome to attend. This comes jointly from the city lord of Cyril and the temple. Attendance is optional. Time is running short. Sylvie's anxiety grows stronger by the day. Students around her enthusiastically discuss where to go for fun on Divine Descent Day. There will be no classes that day. The holy water baptism process is simple and will be over in less than an hour. For them, it's like getting a whole day off. Sylvie lowers her eyes, concealing the deep worry within them. She murmurs casually, "Why do we have to go? I was hoping to sleep in that day." Well, it wasn't required many years ago, Blake explains. He has lived in Cyril since childhood and knows some of the Academy's history. The main reason is that an evil necromancer once infiltrated the Academy. About when I was 6 or 7, around 10 years ago, a senior magic apprentice from the Academy suddenly appeared at the demon purging ceremony. He kidnapped the death row prisoner from the execution platform. Later, after the Academy investigated, they discovered he was actually a flesh puppet controlled by a necromancer. No one knows what his purpose was for infiltrating the school. Sylvie covers her mouth in horror. Oh my god! Was that necromancer finally caught? Of course he was caught, Blake speaks with great pride. Headmaster Morrison went after him personally. The necromancer hadn't even escaped the city before the headmaster destroyed him with a single spell. His body was turned to ash by holy water. Amazing! Winnie looks at him with admiration. Headmaster Morrison truly is a powerful archmage. He's an expert archmage, actually. I heard the headmaster is already working toward breaking through to grand archmage level. Magic practitioners have 8 ranks in total. Novice, adept, and expert mages, then novice, adept, and expert archmages, followed by grand archmage and saint archmage. Magic apprentices like them, as long as they study hard, can become officially certified novice mages upon graduation. A sense of helplessness rises in Sylvie's heart. Every teacher at the Academy has expert mage level cultivation or higher. Even if she could learn the transformation spell, would she really be able to fool their eyes? Whether it will work or not, she has to try. Sylvie quickly devises 3 plans for herself. First, find a way to distract Professor Moses and steal her magic book. Second, get some waterproof coating for herself to see if it can protect against holy water. Third, run away. Even though the divination results say she can't escape, what if there's still a chance? Sylvie completes the preparations for the second plan first. Using the excuse of making lemon honey water, she has Bella buy a large bucket of wild honey. From this, she extracts 2 pounds of beeswax. This beeswax, when heated and melted, can be applied to the skin surface to repel water droplets. The effect looks quite fake, but that's fine. She can always use powder and makeup to cover it up. Besides the beeswax, Sylvie also boils a bowl of sheep fat. After removing the odor and fishiness, it solidifies into a white, milk-like substance. This can be applied to the neck and arms for some waterproof effect. The third plan is even simpler to prepare. She just needs to carry all her gold coins with her on the day. The most important is the first plan. How can she get Professor Moses's magic book? Using a needle and a metal cylinder, she can make a simple phonograph. Placing it inside a clockwork frame made of gears, and dressing it up to look like a person, she creates an ugly mechanical puppet. Sylvie plans to use this puppet to distract Professor Moses at night, then fly through the window into her house to steal the magic book. To give the puppet enough speed, she works hard to learn wind runes and carves them onto it. After completing all this, only 4 days remain until Divine Descent Day. Professor Moses lives in a detached cottage outside the Academy. She has never married or had children and prefers solitude. It's said that she has a lover, but no one has ever seen her appear in public with him. Taking advantage of the dead of night, Sylvie secretly sneaks out of school with her prepared props. She flies to the cottage rooftop. Then, pulling 2 thin strings, she lowers the puppet to Professor Moses's bedroom window. In the darkness, the puppet knocks on the wooden window, producing a hoarse and eerie voice. "Professor Moses, it's me. I've come to find you." Who's there?" Eudora Moses startles awake at the sound and looks toward the window. "Who's outside?" She rolls out of bed and goes to the window, lifting the opaque curtain. In the pitch-black night, she only sees a stiff black shadow quickly moving away from her. There's a faint magical fluctuation in the air. but the voice doesn't sound human, neither male nor female, with jarring noise mixed between the words. A puppet! Professor Moses understands immediately and grabs her wand from beside the bed. The puppet is too far away for spells to hit accurately. Professor Moses doesn't hesitate any longer and climbs out the window in pursuit. Behind the chimney on the roof, Sylvie watches Professor Moses chase after the puppet. Once she's certain the professor won't return soon, she immediately jumps down and climbs through the window. The bedroom is too dark. Sylvie uses her magic wand to light a small flame, finally making out the room's layout. A spacious bed, a large wardrobe, and some smaller furniture, like a dressing table and coat rack. As Sylvie's gaze sweeps across the room, a silver gleam catches her eye. The magic book is under the pillow on the bed. She quickly walks over and picks up the silver magic tome from under the pillow, but the moment she lifts the silver book, suddenly there's the sound of a door being pushed open from outside the bedroom. Damn it! Sylvie glances at the distance between herself and the window, then decisively extinguishes the flame. She puts down the magic book and dives under the bed. With a creak, the door opens from outside. A pair of large feet wearing soft gray slippers walks in. Strange. Why is the window open? The person walks to the window to look around, then turns in a circle. Where is she? Did she go out? He walks to the bedside and seems to bend down, picking up the magic book from beside the pillow. Why is the book left lying around again? The man complains and takes the magic book to the wardrobe. Sylvie can't see his upper body movements. She can only make out from his lower legs beneath the robe and his heels exposed outside the slippers that he's a man of about 30-something, probably Professor Moses's lover. The wardrobe is on the opposite side of the bed, a dark mass that can't be seen clearly. But the man opens the wardrobe door and places the book inside. Sigh. In the middle of the night, I should still go out and look for her. Those feet walk to the door, open it, and go out. Sylvie waits a few seconds until she hears another door opening sound from outside. Then she crawls out from under the bed and quickly walks to the wardrobe. Opening the wardrobe door, she finds it completely full of magic books. She quickly searches through them. The silver tome is right there on the shelf, but she feels she might have an even bigger harvest tonight. On the top shelf, there are 7 or 8 parchment volumes. She pulls one out to look at it, and it happens to be an advanced magic book. As if blessed by the gods, this phrase floats through Sylvie's mind as she tears out the inner pages of the magic book, leaving behind a hard shell. She stuffs the shell back in place. After completing all this, she lingers no longer and flies out through the window. On the wasteland, Professor Moses uses a binding spell to trap the puppet in place. She originally thought this was some half-baked puppeteer's prank, but when she gets closer, she discovers it isn't even half-baked. The puppet's body is woven from several thin vine strips, dressed in a torn hemp shirt. Sheepskin covers its face with facial features drawn on it, utterly hideous to behold. Professor Moses can't help but curse. What kind of toad-like abomination is this? The puppet is truly too ugly, not to mention the disproportionate limbs that are too long here and too short there. Just looking at that face, why are there 2 red circles painted on both sides? With those 2 things added, it's inexplicably creepy. She rubs it with her finger and discovers the puppet's face is also coated with grease and flour. The 2 eyes, one large and one small, have eyelashes drawn with charcoal that are frighteningly long. This must be some brat's work. Professor Moses is 100% certain. Only a brat would draw something this ugly. If Sylvie heard this comment, she would definitely cry out in injustice. She had drawn dramatic false eyelashes. Professor Moses tears open the puppet's belly, revealing what looks like a pile of randomly assembled metal junk. A metal needle rests on a thin cylinder, constantly making buzzing sounds. For someone who enjoys quiet like her, it's simply torture. However, out of curiosity about how this broken contraption can produce human speech, Professor Moses doesn't stomp it flat with her foot. Instead, she carries it back to the cottage. A refined man who looks like a pretty boy stands at the cottage entrance. "You're back? What did you catch?" Professor Moses wears an icy expression as she throws the puppet on the ground, an ugly thing with a voice-making machine inside, plus a self-destruct device made with burning charcoal. "I extinguished it with water elements." It's a clever idea. If the materials used weren't so ordinary, it might actually have achieved its intended effect. Isn't it some brat's work? Oh right, it's some brat. I misspoke, the refined man speaks gently. It really should be some brat's work. You're too harsh with students in class usually. Look at this. The child put so much effort into completing a prank. Don't let me catch him, the little rascal, the refined man smiles, his gaze falling on the puppet that's still making clicking sounds. "Why don't you take this thing to the alchemy professors to have a look? It might be a great invention." Professor Moses glances at the puppet and nods. On the other side, Sylvie has obtained the magic book of her dreams. With 4 days remaining, 4 days should be enough for her to learn an advanced spell, right? Sylvie isn't very certain about this. But with so many people around the academy, she doesn't dare bring the spellbook back to the dormitory, so she stores it in her cottage for now. In the quiet night, Troy suddenly opens his eyes. His fingers reach for the sword beside his pillow, as he listens carefully to the subtle sounds coming from outside. After listening for a while, he pulls his hand back under the covers and stares at the ceiling with open eyes. "Sylvie, what is she doing coming back in the middle of the night?" After a moment, there's another rustling sound from outside, like window shutters swaying or bird wings flapping. Troy's heart stirs, and he gently sits up. He gets out of bed barefoot and walks to the window. He opens the wooden window, his forest green eyes fixed intently on the slender figure in the air. Wild wind disperses the clouds and moonlight pours down. Troy's eyes slowly widen as if he's seeing something incredible. Enormous white wings cut through the night sky, a girl flying in the moonlight like a sacred, pure angel from mythology. Troy has excellent eyesight and can still see the angel's half-closed eyes in profile even from hundreds of meters away. Her face is exposed to the cold moonlight, white as porcelain snow. Troy covers his chest where his heart is aching. For him, this is both a beautiful dream and a nightmare. In midair, Sylvie quietly looks back, and her anxious heart finally settles down. She hadn't expected Troy's hearing to be so keen. She had only opened a window and it woke him up. Fortunately, she has very strong intuition about others' gazes and was able to quickly switch to white skin when he first looked at her. This covers up her precarious cover identity. Previously, Sylvie had used her original black skin because she thought black was better for hiding in the dark night. But now that she's been discovered, she feels she had been somewhat short-sighted. Black wings are good at concealment, but once exposed, the consequences would be severe. White wings are more conspicuous, but if discovered, she can just claim to be some minor deity's divine messenger, like a dove god or seagull god or something. While thinking this, Sylvie flies back to school. The pure white figure descends from the night sky and lands in the Rose Garden dormitory. In the distance, a crow with pitch-black feathers stands on a willow tree by the lake. It records this scene with its crimson bead-like eyes, before flying toward the male dormitory building. This is a crow that can record video. It stores the images it sees in its pupils. As long as its master looks into those pupils, they can see the scenes the crow has recorded. In the male dormitory, Kyle grips the crow's neck, his eyes full of excitement. So it's not witch bloodline, but angel bloodline? My dear sister certainly knows how to make friends, but what's the use of just making friends? A naive girl. If he just shows her a little of his status and charm and gives her some pity, she will definitely fall madly in love with him. Kyle clenches his fist with a determined look in his eyes. Then he looks at the crow again. From now on, Chad is enough to watch over my sister. You focus on keeping an eye on Sylvie. The next day in Runic Studies class, Professor McRitty explains acceleration runes and growth runes. When class ends, he gives each student a seed. Within 1 week, make the seed in your hand, sprout, and bloom. To prevent students from cheating, I've given each of you a different seed. Don't think about going to the flower market to buy flowers to fool me. Some seeds look the same but produce flowers of vastly different colors. Also, some of you have seeds that have been boiled and won't sprout. If anyone's flower doesn't match what it should be, or if seeds that should sprout don't sprout, or seeds that shouldn't sprout do sprout, I'll deduct all their class participation points. Sylvie carefully stores the seed in her cloth pouch and gets up to follow everyone out of the classroom. Sylvie, let's walk together. Jean has been sticking close to Sylvie lately. Do you want to go to the Academy dining hall or eat outside? Ever since Sylvie got her own cottage kitchen, she rarely goes to the Academy dining hall anymore. When she occasionally goes, it's to see Winnie and Blake. Worth mentioning is that Hawkins' shop has already made the first batch of wool sweaters and sent her 2 sets. Sylvie plans to change into them this afternoon. Let's go outside. I received a bag of gold coins from my mother so I can eat at Ice Cream Bakery for another month. Sylvie is happy to drum up business for her own shop. The two chat and laugh as they leave the academic building. Just as they reach the sword training grounds, a familiar crow comes flying straight at them. Toby, stop! You're flying around wildly again! A tall young man chases after the crow. Seeing Sylvie, his face suddenly lights up with delight. What a coincidence! We meet here again! Hello! Sylvie's eyes flash with a hint of embarrassment. She has already forgotten the other person's name. She vaguely remembers it's something, but she still remembers the keywords, crow, young man, and gemstone. Here's your crow back. Sylvie hands the little bird over. The young man takes back his summoned creature. It seems Toby really likes you. Look at this little thing. He already knows how to appreciate beautiful women. This comment sounds strange. Sylvie says against her better judgment, so his name is Toby. What a cute little bird. The young man looks at her with tender eyes. Meeting you here twice in a row, this must be heaven-sent fate. How about I treat you to dinner today? And this young lady beside you too. Jean's face has already taken on a gossipy expression as she winks at Sylvie. Dear, say yes! Say yes! Kyle is the most popular guy in the advanced division. He's been standing here for quite a while to apologize to us. Do you have the heart to make him sad? Kyle straightens his back, runs his hand through his hair, and curves his lips into a charming smile. I trust you won't refuse me, right? Sylvie cringes internally. She finally figures out what's wrong with this guy's way of speaking. It's annoyingly cheesy. Really, there's no need to— How about I treat you to desserts at Ice Cream Bakery? Kyle interrupts her. I heard you girls all like going there for cake. Today I'm treating. Eat as much as you want. Don't worry about eating me out of house and home. He takes out his money pouch and holds it up, sighing. At the Academy, you can't spend money even if you have it. Gold coins just take up space lying around. Sylvie's refusal is right at the tip of her tongue, but hearing him say this, she swallows it back down. Her dessert shop is mostly frequented by girls, while Academy boys rarely come. Recently, she has earned about as much as she could from her female classmates, and fewer people come to buy cakes each day. It's time to attract a new wave of customers. This guy seems so wealthy. Getting him to sign up for a supreme monthly membership at the dessert shop should be easy as pie, right? Alright then. I'll gratefully accept your kind offer. Jean also thanks him. Thank you, Kyle. No need to thank me. This is an apology gift for you anyway. Kyle smiles sideways, raising an eyebrow slightly, fully displaying his charm. He thinks to himself with disdain. Sure enough, just two girls who haven't seen the world. The moment he mentioned treating them to cake, they eagerly agreed without any of the reserve that noble young ladies should have. They probably aren't from any major families either, but that's even better. Daughters of minor nobles are easier to handle, and he wouldn't need to consider giving her any official status. Being a mistress would be enough. The penny-pinching prince, in order to capture the maiden's heart, prepares to spend big money treating her to the kind of cake that noble young ladies love. He even boldly tells the server to bring one of everything. The next second, however, his eyes widen. A few pieces of cake actually cost 140,000. The shop owner might as well just rob people. Little does he know that the girl is actually the cake shop owner herself. The three of them arrive at Academy Street. Before they even reach the dessert shop, a rich aroma is carried over by the wind. Kyle nearly forgets how to walk when he first catches this scent. What is that? How can it smell so good? That's the dessert from Ice Cream Bakery. There's fresh-baked hot bread at noon. Haven't you tried it before? No. Kyle swallows and unconsciously quickens his pace, following the scent into the legendary Ice Cream Bakery. His eyes immediately fall on the golden bread steaming on the counter. That sweet aroma is practically criminal. Sir, what would you like to buy? This? Kyle points at the sliced toast in the basket. Give me one of these. Would you like anything else? We have fresh baked jam cake in the shop. No, I just want this. Kyle is getting a bit impatient. A trace of surprise crosses the maid's face. This is the cheapest bread in the shop. This noble young master is dressed so luxuriously that she thought he would at least order a few decorated cakes. However, she has received smile service training before starting work and will maintain her smile no matter what requests customers make. Very well, sir. Would you like to eat in the shop or take it to go? Hearing this question, Kyle remembers he's here to treat people to a meal. Eat in the shop. After saying this, he looks at the two people behind him. Sorry, I lost my composure just now. What would you like to eat? Jean covers her mouth and giggles. It's okay. We were the same way the first time we came here. I'd like a piece of taro cream cake and a cup of grape bubble fruit tea. I'll have a fig bread and a cup of honey yuzu tea. After Sylvie finishes ordering, she pauses and looks at Kyle. Really, won't you try some of the little cakes here? And the fruit tea drinks upstairs, they really taste amazing. Kyle has zero interest in cake. He has eaten it in the palace before. Fishy and hard, not good at all. But since Sylvie is recommending it so enthusiastically, he quickly figures out the reason after thinking about it briefly. She probably wants to eat it herself but is too embarrassed to say so directly. Women are troublesome in this way, always beating around the bush about what they want, making men guess and guess. He shakes his head. Your cake and fruit tea here. Bring one of each. What other good food do you have? Bring everything up. The maid's perfect smile cracks slightly as she asks in disbelief. Really everything? That might be too much. You probably won't be able to finish it all. Kyle smiles charmingly. If we can't finish it, we'll throw it away. Do you have a problem with that? The maid shrinks back in fright. No, please wait while I calculate the cost. Kyle grabs a handful of gold coins from his money pouch and throws them on the counter. Take it all. No need for change. No, we must calculate it. That's the shop's policy. The maid quickly finishes calculating. Sir, the total is 13 gold coins and 45 silver coins. You only have 8 gold coins here. How much? Kyle's eyes widen in shock. Seeing his face change color, the maid immediately explains. Our shop has 13 types of bread, 7 types of filled cakes, 3 types of desserts, plus 15 types of fruit tea, and 8 types of specialty bread desserts. Filled cakes are 4 silver coins each. With cream decoration, they're 5 silver coins each. Cream puffs and croissants are 10 silver coins each. The expensive items are the 5 fruit wine cocktails and 8 savory sweet pizzas. The fruit cocktails use. Kyle's temples throb as he listens. Enough. It's just a dozen gold coins or so. It's not like I can't afford it. Stop your babbling. He dumps out a pile of gold coins with a clatter. Is this enough? You short-sighted thing. Kyle's heart is bleeding. Although he is a prince, the money he can actually spend freely is really limited. His father is an ambitious ruler who wants to expand the duchy's territory by another circle during his lifetime. To have sufficient military funds for maintaining troops and horses, everyone in the royal palace has to tighten their belts and live frugally. Moreover, the king of Kinok is very strict in educating his children. He deeply understands that luxurious living is most likely to corrupt people. He provides his children with fine clothes and carriages to demonstrate their status, and food and lodging to keep them healthy. But he just won't give them land or taxation rights. Spending these dozen gold coins takes away almost half a month of Kyle's living expenses. He still has to pay Chad's monthly salary and feed his gold-devouring magical beast. Does he really have to pawn the gemstones on his belt? Kyle's expression grows darker and darker. The maid counts out 14 gold coins tremblingly, then pulls out 55 silver coins. Sir, here are your remaining gold coins and the silver coins we owe you in change. Please count them. I said no need. Kyle really wants to refuse. But when that pile of shining gold and silver coins is pushed in front of him, he realizes what a huge sum this is. Enough to buy over 2,000 steaks at the Academy dining hall. Enough to eat for a whole year. His words stick in his throat and come out through gritted teeth instead. No need to count. I don't mind if it's a little short. Unexpectedly, the maid becomes unusually serious upon hearing this. Sir, our ice cream bakery would absolutely never short a customer even 1 coin. We've received professional pre-job training. Those who aren't good at math can't become cashiers. If you don't trust us, I can recalculate for you. Kyle's face alternates between red and blue. He wants nothing more than to punch this penny-pinching, face-losing maid to death on the spot. No need to calculate. I trust you. Kyle speaks with such force that even his ears are straining. If there weren't still people watching him, he would have killed this damn commoner today. Kill them all! Sylvie suppresses her laughter but doesn't dare actually laugh out loud. She will definitely give this dedicated and professional maid a raise later. Meanwhile, Jean had started out looking at Kyle with starry eyes, but now her expression is somewhat hesitant, as if her idol worship has been shattered. Kyle stiffly stuffs the coins back into his money pouch, feeling like his heart has already died. He wants to drag this shop down with his heart as a burial companion. After he collects the money, the maid looks relieved and puts on her friendly smile again, professionally delivering her advertising spiel. Sir, we also have a membership recharge promotion for esteemed customers like yourself. If you recharge or spend 10 gold coins at once, you can enjoy our store-wide buy 10 get 1 free promotion. Afterward, when you come to buy desserts, you just need to show your membership card to enjoy a 20% discount. Would you like to participate? Hearing the words esteemed customer, Kyle's expression improves slightly. But when he hears recharge 10 gold coins, his eyes turn cold again. No thanks. I don't want to participate in such cheap activities. Really won't participate? The maid feels sorry for him. Your dessert purchase just now already exceeded 10 gold coins. You don't need to pay anything extra. You can directly get our monthly gold member status. Not only can you enjoy priority VIP seating and delivery service at our store, but the discounted price can even refund you 2 gold coins. Kyle's eyes flash. Refund 2 gold coins, gold member, VIP service? He immediately perks up. In that case, he might as well participate and let Sylvie see what a generous man he is. Casually spending dozens of gold coins on luxurious desserts and becoming a VIP member here. To show his generosity, Kyle deliberately turns around and tosses his hair, looking at Sylvie with electrifying eyes. I'll give this membership card to you. From now on, you'll be a gold member here. Before Sylvie can speak, Jean can't hold back. Actually, Sylvie already has a gold member card. She still has 50,000 points on her card. That's 5 gold coins she hasn't used yet. Who gives someone just a membership card with 0 points on it? Not to mention Sylvie. Even I have a silver member card. Kyle's cheeks turn slightly blue. Haha, so you already have one. Haha, what a coincidence. After saying this, Kyle feels like an idiot. His face twists for a moment as he grips his fist and looks at the cashier maid. Don't you have any membership level higher than gold? The maid answers instinctively. Yes, we have bronze, silver, gold, and supreme diamond. 4 levels total. As long as you recharge 100 gold coins on the spot, you can get a diamond member card. Kyle clenches his fist. This is definitely a scam shop. 100 gold coins, he might as well go rob someone. Even though his heart is bleeding with hatred, Kyle has to pretend to be nonchalant on the surface. 100% gold coins is nothing special, but carrying so many heavy gold coins around is too troublesome. Do you accept other forms of payment? He puffs out his chest confidently, because when he entered the shop, he noticed that people buying cakes here only pay with gold and silver coins. The maid's cash box also only contains these 2 types of currency, so she will definitely answer no. If she can't accept it, then it won't be his fault. The maid hesitates for a moment. Sir, what form of payment would you like to use? We don't accept credit or loans, but any physical goods are acceptable. When Sylvie trained them, she mentioned that some major nobles don't like carrying money and might casually throw out a gemstone or a few pearls. In such situations, they can accept bartering and shouldn't be so rigid. Kyle's silver teeth are about to shatter. Can I pay with gemstones? He pulls a thumbnail-sized sapphire from the center of his belt. Look at this. Is it enough to buy your diamond membership? The maid has no idea how to appraise gemstones and looks to Sylvie for help. A very beautiful sapphire. Sylvie casually leans forward slightly. Blue with purple, clear and pure, with bright coloring, like a blue cherry. This big piece must weigh 4 or 5 grams, right? Jean's eyes widen too. Such gorgeous blue. This should be a top-grade treasure from the Sorrow River Basin. A 1-gram gemstone is worth 100 gold coins. There's a sapphire. The people queuing behind them all crowd over. Oh my god, it's a sapphire from the Sorrow River Basin. This grade of sapphire is exclusively for royal use, isn't it? Sometimes kings will reward beloved subjects with them. A single one is enough to buy a noble title in the southern duchies. So it's Kyle. There have always been rumors that he's from the royal family. No wonder he can produce such a precious sapphire. Oh my god, is Kyle going to use a gemstone to recharge Supreme membership? Ice Cream Bakery has been open for so long and still doesn't have a single Supreme member. Am I going to witness the birth of a Supreme member today? Kyle feels like he's floating with joy. All the humiliation he suffered earlier completely dissipates at this moment, even giving him a sense of vindication. Sylvie glances at Kyle and smiles mischievously. Such a precious item, maybe we should forget it. I don't think this shop can afford to make up the difference. We're just here for a meal. No need to recharge so much money. This makes it worse. Kyle's chin immediately shoots up to the sky. Recharge! Of course I'm recharging. It's just 1 gemstone. I have plenty more. I'm definitely becoming a Supreme Diamond member today. Worried that the maid might actually block his path to Supreme membership because she can't make up the difference, Kyle waves his hand grandly. No need to make up the difference. Just exchange it for membership at the 100 gold coin price. Sylvie brushes her hair back casually. The maid immediately agrees. Yes, sir. She carefully wraps the sapphire in a handkerchief and places it in a box, then takes out a wooden case and presents it to Kyle with both hands. Esteemed Diamond member, this is your membership badge. Please keep it safe. The badge has a unique serial number engraved on it. Lost badges will not be replaced. Kyle accepts the wooden case and opens it in front of everyone, taking out a warm white jade tablet. A ripple of emotion appears in his eyes. I didn't expect that even a small dessert shop would make membership cards so exquisitely. The Supreme Member's membership card is so beautiful, too gorgeous. Is this really just a membership card? I want to buy one to wear around my neck with my puffy dress. It would look amazing. Amid everyone's discussion, Kyle proudly hangs the badge on his belt, perfectly covering the spot where the gemstone was missing. The envious gazes of those around him give Kyle's vanity enormous satisfaction. He shakes out his clothes and looks at Sylvie and Jean with affected nonchalance. Ladies, shall we go upstairs? Now these two women must be completely charmed by him. Sure thing. Sylvie is very satisfied. This sapphire is worth at least 600 or 700 gold coins. Using 100 gold coins worth of cake plus a worthless jade pendant, she has gained 700 gold coins. What a windfall. The three go upstairs where a dedicated maid leads them to the VIP seating area. She places fresh flowers on their table, lights aromatherapy candles, brings 3 milky white beans, and finally brings 3 large bowls of warm water with floating flower petals and 3 damp towels. Kyle immediately feels annoyed. He spent 100 gold coins and they give him this stuff to drink? If they were going to fool him, they should at least bring a few glasses of wine, just a few bowls of water with scattered flower petals. Even dogs wouldn't drink this. He's about to lose his temper when he sees Sylvie and Jean both pick up the white beans and put their hands into the large bowls, scrubbing around in the water. What are they doing? Are modern noble ladies really this unsophisticated? Do they need to stir drinking water with their hands? Are those beans salt or some kind of spice? Can they still drink it after scrubbing like that? Why aren't you washing your hands? Jean looks at Kyle's confused behavior, feeling a sense of superiority. As someone with experience, she can tell at a glance what he has misunderstood. Probably the same as herself initially, thinking this is drinking water. These are soap beans for washing dirt off your hands. Ice Cream Bakery provides pre-meal hand-washing service for members. It's all free. Kyle's face flushes with embarrassment as he quickly picks up a soap bean and puts his hands in the water, copying their actions. After washing their hands, all three use towels to dry them. The maid collects the wash basins and then brings their ordered desserts to the table. A fully loaded 3-tier dessert stand is placed in front of Kyle. Beef cheese pizza and shrimp bacon pizza on the large plate at the bottom. Colorful decorated small cakes in the middle layer, and nougat and small cookies on the top, creating a dazzling array of rich layers. Jean has come here many times but has never seen such a spectacle. Her eyebrows dance with excitement. Oh my goodness, this is truly a feast for the eyes. Kyle, you're so generous. With tangible benefits right in front of her, Jean's filter for Kyle returns somewhat, but her eager gaze isn't focused on him. It's lingering on the small cakes. Sylvie also smiles and says, thanks to Kyle, this is the first time I've seen so many desserts appear on one table. No need to thank me. Eat whatever you want. Kyle greatly enjoys the praise and compliments from the two ladies. His Adam's apple bobs as all his attention focuses on the delicious food on the table. He eagerly grabs a small croissant. This taste, this texture, incredible. After swallowing the bread in 2 bites, he grabs a pizza sprinkled with beef bits. The sweet and salty soft pizza is fragrant with meat. Good lord, what is this stuff? How can it be so delicious? Once you start eating, you can't stop. Soon, over a dozen drinks are also brought up by the maid. Allow me to introduce these. These are our special fruit wine cocktails. They have high alcohol content and drinking too much may cause intoxication. Those with low alcohol tolerance should drink carefully. Kyle immediately becomes unhappy. Enough chatter. Just bring him up quickly. Do I look like someone with low alcohol tolerance? I drink alcohol like water, 1,000 cups without getting drunk. He had just eaten a lot of bread and is feeling parched, so these drinks come at the perfect time. The maid has given all the warnings she should. Since the customer won't listen, she says no more, and gently places the cocktails down while introducing their names. This is Crimson Lotus Fire, made with wine as a base, and added rose hibiscus and pomegranate juice. Peach Jade Mist uses special white grape distilled alcohol as a base with sweet lingji mushroom and sea salt. Tequila Sunrise is a strong liquor mix. Kyle impatiently listens to her finish, then grabs the Tequila Sunrise and chugs it down, burping while sneering coldly. Strong liquor is just like water, but soon he's clutching his throat. What the hell? Why is there a burning pain, like boiling water going down? What kind of alcohol is this? He shakes his head, feeling the table in front of him constantly swaying, his heart burning uncomfortably. Then he collapses face first with a thud. Sylvie and Jean look at each other momentarily at a loss. Sylvie really hadn't expected Kyle's alcohol tolerance to be so poor. He had gone straight for the highest proof cocktail too. Tequila has an alcohol content of up to 40%, and he had downed it in 1 gulp. Result? Knocked out with 1 drink. What do we do now? Sylvie calmly calls over 2 maids and has them help Kyle to the soft couch by the window, to wait for him to sober up before sending him away. He has only eaten less than a quarter of that huge table of food. He might want to continue eating when he wakes up. The maids carry Kyle to the couch and set him down, but he sits up by himself, staring at them with gloomy eyes and inexplicably blurting out, Do you think my sister is such a good person? My poor brother-in-law James was probably killed by her. She just wants to return to the royal palace to compete with me for the throne. Suddenly, the sound of footsteps coming upstairs can be heard. Sylvie senses trouble and immediately turns to look. Is that so? So this is how my brother sees me. They are siblings from the same mother, yet they see each other as enemies, simply because they were born into royalty. Their fate is beyond their control. Kyle has been bad-mouthing his sister behind her back, but gets caught red-handed. At the top of the stairs, Lillian stands there with an icy expression. Kyle is really quite drunk and immediately shouts, Who let that widow in? Get her out! Get her out of here! Enough! Lillian's body trembles. Vincent, Robert, gag my dear brother so his ridiculous voice doesn't disturb the customers here. Yes, the two knights roughly stuff cloth wrapping from swords into Kyle's mouth. For Lillian, what others say doesn't matter. It's her brother's slander that truly breaks her heart. Tie up his hands and take him back with me. After giving her orders, Lillian looks apologetically at Sylvie. I'm sorry for borrowing your place to handle some family business. Jean stands to the side with her mouth agape, turning to stare at Sylvie in shock. You are— oh, oops, cover blown, it's fine. Actually, today's incident is partly my fault too. I shouldn't have let Kyle drink that cocktail. After Sylvie answers, Lillian reaches over to help Jean close her jaw that's about to hit the floor. I'll explain later. Jean closes her mouth, but her excited eyes keep darting around uncontrollably. Seeing this, Lillian covers her face. I'm so sorry. I seem to have messed up another thing. I forgot you didn't want your identity revealed. No, Jean won't say anything. Will you? Jean nods vigorously and raises her finger. I swear to heaven I won't say a word. See, Professor Lillian, you didn't mess up. Even if it was revealed, it doesn't matter. I would have let people know eventually anyway. Sylvie, you truly are a sweetheart. Lillian smiles with genuine warmth this time. She takes out a pouch from her sleeve. So, can you let me, this troublesome customer, register for a diamond membership? Of course. Sylvie personally accepts it and has a maid go register Lillian for membership. Seeing her gesture, Lillian's fondness for her obviously increases even more. I thought girls would like some shiny things, so I put some diamonds and jewelry inside, plus some gold coins. Use the gold coins to compensate for scaring away the second-floor customers just now. Sylvie opens the heavy pouch, finding it full of various gemstones and pearls, plus 10 gold coins. Just the string of sea pearls inside is worth several hundred gold coins. She hesitates slightly. Professor Lillian, isn't this too precious? Not at all. Don't you think a princess's gratitude is worth this price? Besides, our friendship is beyond what money can measure. Feeling this expensive token of appreciation, Sylvie takes out the ruby bracelet inside and puts it on her own wrist. All right, Professor Lillian, this is a testament to our friendship. Lillian shows a pleased expression. The maid soon brings up the diamond membership card. Lillian picks up the jade tablet and sees the number 1 in the center. What is this? It looks like some kind of writing. Professor Lillian, you're so perceptive. This is writing from an ancient country where I come from. This is the number 1. But wasn't my brother the first to buy one? I gave him number 2. This was specially reserved for you. Sylvie playfully points up and down. This is known by heaven, earth, and the 3 of us. Apart from that, no one else knows. Lillian covers her mouth, laughing like a blooming flower. Sylvie, you're absolutely adorable. That foolish brother of mine thinking he can steal her friends? He should look at what kind of person Sylvie is, still trying to win her over with money and status. After Lillian leaves, Jean grabs Sylvie's arm. Tell me quickly, is Ice Cream Bakery really yours? Sylvie, you've been hiding this so well from me. Don't you consider me a good friend anymore? No way. To say it's my territory, it's actually managed by my family. I wrote home before complaining that the food here was too awful, so they sent a steward over to open this shop. Isn't it the same thing? It's still your shop. Jean excitedly bumps Sylvie. It must have been your idea, right? Having them open a shop here to benefit all of us. Dear, you're so thoughtful. Getting another good person card, Sylvie laughs helplessly. No, don't make wild guesses. Opening a shop is so troublesome. My family originally just wanted to send a chef over to cook for you alone, but seeing how poorly we all ate, I couldn't bear it. So I had them open a shop on Academy Street so everyone could eat well. Jean automatically fills in the plot, looking at Sylvie with teary eyes. Woo, dear, you're so considerate, even though it drained your wallet, Sylvie says while pushing away her embrace. Jean rolls her eyes. I spend my money willingly. Don't you worry about it, Sylvie takes her arm. All right, I'll give you a month of gold membership, letting you eat and drink for free for a month. How's that? Great! Jean immediately blooms with joy. You said it! This saves me this month's recharge fee. But what's the deal with Kyle and Professor Lillian? Why did he say those things? Don't you know? Jean looks around and whispers. I also heard this from other classmates. The newly appointed Professor Lillian is the Grand Princess of the Duchy of Kinok. 7 years ago, she married Marquis James Rossetti. A year after the marriage, the Marquis died. She inherited the Marquis's vast fortune and territory and returned to live in the royal palace last year. They both have the surname Rossetti. Didn't she marry her own cousin, the son of the king of Kinnough's brother? Many people say this was a poisonous plot by the king and princess to seize back the territory in Marquis James's hands. It's better not to spread rumors about things without evidence. Sometimes gossip can drive a person to death. Although Lillian seems very ambitious, Sylvie feels she's not the type to use any means necessary for power. Even if James was killed by her, there might be some compelling reason. Sylvie, you're just too kind. There are plenty of dark secrets in royal families. Jean looks at her with frustration. You should be careful too. Don't treat everyone as a good person. You should know that even the closest people can betray you. Sylvie is somewhat surprised that Jean, who usually seems so innocent and sweet, would say such words. It really makes her look at her with new eyes. In the afternoon, Sylvie returns to the cottage under Troy's escort. She says she feels tired and heads to her room. Troy jumps onto the apple tree. During the day, while waiting for Sylvie, he likes to stay in the tree. The autumn fruit tree has lost all its leaves, and Troy sits there like an old crow guarding a cold den. Sylvie chuckles at her own comparison and quietly closes the window. From the cupboard, she takes out the magic scroll she hid yesterday. Suddenly, she discovers a major problem. She cannot read any of the runes on it. Professor Moses only taught them how to recite spells. Sylvie's face grows serious. She places her hand on the parchment, her fingertips tapping steadily. She must learn this, or she will die. After thinking for a long time, she takes out her turtle shell and closes her eyes to meditate. If I force myself to read these runes, will I become stupid? The star paths cross, Jupiter shines bright, misfortune turns to fortune. This means she will not become stupid, and will even gain benefits from this trial. How can I learn to read the runes? In the purple star divination, the celestial horse star shifts, moving all the way to her true south. The entire sky suddenly darkens, ejecting her from the star vision. Sylvie opens her eyes, puzzled. South? What lies to the south? Does she need to leave the city again to find someone like last time? Sylvie looks toward the south side of the room and sees a tightly closed window. Her heart stirs. She walks over and pushes open the window. She immediately sees the old crow perched on the bare apple tree. Could the star vision be pointing to him? Can swordsmen also use magic? Troy, come up here. After Troy enters, Sylvie gets straight to the point. Do you know how to recite advanced spells? What are you planning? If you know them, teach me. Troy shakes his head. Beginners who learn advanced spells will become stupid. No, I will not. Sylvie holds up her turtle shell. I perform divination. The result says I will not. Troy stares at her green turtle shell with a look of disbelief. Nobody uses turtle shells for divination. Proper astrologers use crystal balls and tarot cards. Nonsense. People who use turtle shells are the most proper ones. Sylvie directly threatens him. Will you teach me or not? If not, I will dock your pay. After an intense internal struggle, Troy still chooses to compromise with money. Sylvie hands him the magic scroll. I want to learn advanced transformation spells, plus invisibility spells and waterproof spells. Troy flips through 2 pages and stops. I do not have a magic wand. I can only recite the words, but cannot cast the actual magic. That is fine, I just want to learn how to pronounce them. Troy breathes a sigh of relief. He recites the spells she wants to learn, though he is clearly not very skilled, stumbling through the pronunciations. Generally, intermediate magic apprentices begin learning runes. By the advanced apprentice stage, they specialize in one specific field. Troy had chosen to become a swordsman years ago, studying runes for only 1 year before forgetting most of it. While learning, time passes quickly. At sunset, loud crying suddenly echoes from the small courtyard. Without any evidence, a 9-year-old girl is arrested as a witch and faces cruel execution by fire. She must burn in flames for 3 days and nights. If she does not die, she is a witch. Upon hearing this news, a boy cries his heart out. Sylvie hears the crying and goes downstairs. Who is crying? Roman runs over excitedly. It is Tom crying. Lydia, the girl he loves, was taken away this afternoon. What happened? Who is Lydia? Lydia is the daughter of the butcher's brother. Her parents died of disease when she was very young. Today, her aunt Mrs. Dog went to the temple and reported her, saying she is a demon who put rat poison in their water jug. Then Lydia was arrested. No! Lydia is not a demon! Tom cries out in explanation. She used sleeping powder, not rat poison. Sylvie looks surprised. How do you know yesterday Lydia came to me, saying she overheard Mr. and Mrs. Dog planning to sell her to a brothel, so she wanted to escape. But she was afraid she could not run fast enough and would be caught, so she asked me to help her buy sleeping powder. I got that sleeping powder from a doctor. I told the doctor it was for training horses, and only then would he sell it to me. This is all my fault. I should not have helped her buy the drug. I wanted to confess and get Lydia back. Your confession will not help. Lydia cannot come back. Roman pierces his heart. This is clearly Mrs. Dog's scheme. She just wants to kill Lydia. Bella listens and feels confused. But why would Mrs. Dog want to harm Lydia? I often buy meat there. Every day I see Mrs. Dog with a smile on her face. She seems like such a kind person. Far from it. Roman speaks with disgust. Mrs. Dog is a fierce and unreasonable woman. Her son Matthew is just as hateful. He bullies children weaker than him at school every day, and he likes to spy on girls using the bathroom. Tom wipes away his tears and says angrily, I know why she wants to harm Lydia. Mr. Dog tried to assault Lydia, and Matthew saw it. He threatened Lydia to play undressing games with him, or he would tell Mrs. Dog. When Lydia refused, Matthew told Mrs. Dog that Lydia seduced him. Mrs. Dog got very angry and nearly beat Lydia to death. Roman nods. Yes, Matthew said this himself at school. He bragged to us, saying Lydia would not listen to him, so he beat her half to death. He also told us to listen to him, or he would beat us too. Sylvie frowns deeply. Such a young child already has so much malice. Matthew is 11 years old. He is tall and fat. One punch from him can knock out someone's teeth. Lydia is only 9. She was beaten black and blue by Matthew and Mrs. Dog. Bella covers her mouth. Oh my god, how can there be such evil people in the world? She used to think the worst thing was her aunt not giving her food. Now by comparison, she suddenly feels her aunt treated her quite well. Poor Lydia. What will happen to her? Will the temple priests clear her name? Roman shakes his head. I heard people on the road saying that Lydia will be brought to the execution platform on God's descent day in 4 days to receive holy water baptism and execution by fire. What fire execution? Her face turns pale. What fire execution? But she is just a child. Why? Troy comes downstairs at some point, his green eyes gathering a thick gloom. Why? If it was just using drugs, she would not be executed by fire. The living room falls silent. After countless seconds, Roman suddenly looks at Troy. Because Lydia has long red hair. They all say she awakened as an evil witch. Red-haired people are naturally despised. They cannot make any mistakes or do anything out of line. Once they do, they will be suspected of being witches and then burned to death. Troy draws his long sword with a sharp sound. Troy, what are you doing? Sylvie speaks sternly. I am going to save her. You said it yourself. We are the masters here. If I do not save my own kind when they are in mortal danger, I will be forgotten by this land along with them. I told you not to despise yourself, not to go die. If she were not too short, Sylvie would really want to grab Troy by the collar and slap him to wake him up. However, Troy is as stubborn as a bull. I am not going to die. The temple people cannot defeat me. Then you would have to take a girl who has become a fugitive and hide everywhere. How would you two live after escaping? Could you earn money? At the mention of earning money, Troy deflates. As a fugitive like him, and with red hair, after escaping, it would indeed be difficult to be accepted by people in other places. Cyril, thanks to the promotion by the headmaster of Cyril Academy of Magic, is already the most inclusive place among the Western nations. Otherwise, he would not have fled from the south to here in the first place. If he left Cyril, where else could he go? Troy's eyes grow confused. Sylvie sees he has thought it through and breathes a sigh of relief. If Troy ran away with Lydia, she really would not know where to find another swordsman so foolish yet capable of fighting. Without him by her side, the credibility of her royal noble identity would drop by more than half. Troy, do not blame yourself. When you can barely protect yourself, not saving her is the right choice. We can dye our hair, Troy suddenly blurts out. You said it before. If worst comes to worst, I can change my hair color. Tell me how to dye it. Sylvie chokes on her breath and nearly cannot swallow it. I said that? I said that. I also said if you do not obey, I will go to the temple and expose you. Why do you not listen to that? Even if you do not kill me with anger today, you will get me killed sooner or later. Everyone knows you are my guard. You might escape after the prison break, but the temple will come to investigate me first. The key issue is that Sylvie's identity cannot withstand investigation. One check and everything will be exposed. Troy turns his head away, avoiding her gaze. You can just say I am a stranger you hired from a tavern. Most priests bully the weak and fear the strong. As long as you reveal your identity, they will not trouble you. Sylvie has no such identity to speak of. She laughs bitterly with anger. Troy, having you is truly my blessing. Troy's body trembles. Thank you. Meeting you too. I am not praising you, damn it. Sylvie suppresses the urge to roll her eyes. Troy, are you determined to save that little girl? Troy hangs his head. Yes. If I do not save her, my conscience will not be at peace. Sylvie takes a deep breath. If I say I can help you save her and send her to a safe place, would you still want to run away with her? Troy suddenly looks up. You have a way? I have one method. What method? Never mind what method I use. Sylvie now finds his face annoying. In any case, on God's descent day, I will save her. Have you found the thing I asked you to look for? Troy looks bewildered. What thing? When did she ask him to find something? Gray-white clay. Sylvie speaks coldly. If I do not see this kind of soil before tomorrow evening, I cannot save that girl. I will find it right away. Troy rushes out the door. Sylvie looks coldly around the room. Bella, Tom, Roman, do you know what should be said and what should not be said? Roman raises his small hand. I know. I heard nothing. Smart little fellow. Of course I trust you. Sylvie places her hand on his head. Looking at the other two people, if anyone wants to leak this matter, they can try whether their mouth is faster or my blade is faster. Do not forget I know magic. Bella and Tom tremble, not daring to breathe heavily. Remember, no matter who it is, even your best friends or closest relatives, you must not reveal a single word. Do you understand? Bella and Tom nod frantically. Yes, master. After Sylvie finishes speaking, she leaves. In the room, Bella and Tom break out in cold sweat, their legs stiff and numb with fear. They remind themselves in their hearts that no matter how kind the master usually is, a master is still a master. They must know their place and cannot be as casual as before. And this is exactly what Sylvie wants to see. She has long noticed that the people in this small courtyard are too familiar with her and not respectful enough. When servants do not fear their master, the consequences are serious. It means the master has no authority, and servants will not think about the cost of betrayal. They might even disobey her orders and disrupt her plans under the banner of doing good for her. She does not need her subordinates to be clever. She only needs people to execute her commands. Sylvie goes to the bakery and has the maids bring out a box of tongue nuts from the storage room. These were brought by a mercenary, when she previously offered high rewards for various fruits to make fruit drinks. These things are poisonous and cannot be eaten, but Sylvie still had the servants keep them, because tongue nuts can be pressed to extract tongue oil, which is a natural varnish that can be used to preserve wooden furniture. Sylvie originally planned to use it to oil the tables and chairs in the shop to make them look brighter, but now she needs to use tongue oil for something else, like a raincoat, a waterproof cloak like the Grim Reapers. Sylvie has the shop assistants work overtime to press the tongue nuts into bright yellow tongue oil. Ancient Chinese people led the world by thousands of years in developing tongue oil applications. They not only used tongue oil to make vehicles, boats, and furniture, but also used it to make insecticides, soap, oil paper umbrellas, oilcloth, and treatments for inflammation and burns. If she gets burned by holy water, perhaps she can use it too. After getting the tongue oil, Sylvie has a male servant go to Hawkins' shop to buy a large piece of black fine cloth and brings it back. She stays up all night making the raincoat cloak. For something she will use herself, Sylvie works very carefully. Each layer of tongue oil takes 4 to 5 hours to dry completely. She uses oil lamps to speed up the drying process, and in one night she only applies 3 coats. Before she knows it, dawn breaks again. Sylvie takes a short nap, then gets up and hides the raincoat in the wardrobe. She still has to attend classes during the day, then go to the cottage to secretly practice spells after class. After practicing spells, she still has to make the raincoat. Predictably, she will not get a good night's sleep for the next few days. Before dark, Troy returns covered in dust. Quick, look and see if this is the soil you mentioned. Sylvie opens the package and digs out a piece of soil. Its color, texture, and consistency are quite similar to kaolin clay. She puts this piece of soil in a bowl, pours in cold water, and the white-blue soil quickly disperses in the water. Good, this is the soil I need, but I still lack one thing, magnetite. The West has always had kaolin clay with large reserves, but until the 18th century, they could not make ceramics. The reason is they did not know to add magnetite. Magnetite is one of the important raw materials for making ceramics and glass. Since this world can make glass, there must be magnetite mines. Sylvie describes the characteristics of magnetite and identification methods to Troy, asking him to find magnetite as soon as possible. Troy receives the order and is about to turn around. Wait, where did you find the kaolin clay? On a mountain on the west coast. How far is it from here? More than 1,000 kilometers. Sylvie looks shocked. You ran more than 1,000 kilometers in one night. Troy nods. The griffin flies fast. Indeed, keeping Troy was the right decision. Her life and career both depend on him. Go to the west coast where there are weathered quartz rocks and look around. Bring back more. Some only look similar. You need to distinguish carefully. I understand. Troy jumps on the griffin's back and flies toward the western sky. Sylvie puts the kaolin clay he brought back in a large vat, soaking it to filter out impurities. Then she calls all the people in the house. Never trust that others will keep secrets to save your life unless their lives are also involved. Sylvie has them build kilns in the backyard and make molds. She also takes out parchment to draw experimental flowcharts. She plans to use air electrolysis to make nitric acid, then use nitric acid to make oxalic acid, then use oxalic acid to make hydrochloric acid, then use hydrochloric acid and calcium carbonate to generate carbon dioxide. The day after Sylvie uses cooling runes to make dry ice, Troy also returns with a large basket of magnetite. With magnetite, the Grim Reaper's fangs and scythe are settled. In Greek mythology, Kronos had a black scythe made from black stone that Gaia gathered from deep underground. He used this scythe to kill his father Uranus. Kronos was the legendary king of the Titans, who led the Golden Age in Greek mythology, and also the father of Zeus, king of the gods. He was a powerful and mad deity. Sylvie wants to dress as this god, but because this world has no Greek mythology, she fears Kronos' image might not intimidate the people, so she makes some modifications. She changes the black stone scythe to bone white scythe, embeds ceramic fired fangs in the mouth, wears red contact lenses made from transparent plastic, surrounds herself with phosphorus fire, and hides several pieces of dry ice in her clothes. This creates visual impact. Sylvie wants to merge the images of Kronos, the king of gods, Kronos, the god of time, and Death, the messenger of hell, into one deity. She has already thought of the name, the great and dark god of death and time, divine sovereign of human souls and the 6 realms of reincarnation, God King Kova Kronos. The longer the name, the more impressive it sounds. Time flies by quickly during Sylvie's intense preparations. In the blink of an eye, November 1st arrives, God's descent day. On this day, Sylvie packs her raincoat that she has coated with tongue oil again and again into a cloth bundle, then packs all her valuables into a sturdy money pouch, hiding both with the raincoat inside her wide, puffy skirt. She sits in front of the oil lamp, using the prepared beeswax and cosmetics to apply layer after layer to her face. She carefully applies the 3 areas of eyebrows, eyes, and lips with small brushes she made, ensuring the oil wax penetrates every inch of skin. It still looks a bit fake, but fortunately the Academy's holy water baptism ceremony begins at 7 in the morning, when it is still not fully light and everything looks blurry, so her face will not be too obvious. At 6:40, the sounds of opening doors and commotion rise and fall outside. Sylvie picks up her magic wand and tries a transformation spell one last time in front of the mirror. The spell works successfully. She stuffs the magic wand and turtle shell into her sleeves, folds her hands over her upper abdomen, and walks out calmly. The sword training plaza is packed with people. All 1,000 students and more than 60 teachers from the academy stand here. The headmaster of Cyril Academy of Magic holds a silver chalice in his hands. Beside him stands the bishop of Cyril Temple, holding a tall, long-necked bottle in both hands, with these two as the center. On one side stand the teachers of Cyril Academy of Magic, and on the other side stand the temple priests. About 100 pairs of eyes watch the students below like alert eagles. If any disturbance occurs anywhere, their gazes will capture it first. The students below dare not even breathe hard. Each one lowers their head and stands in line obediently, waiting for the headmaster to sprinkle holy water. There is a book called The Witch's Chest in Medieval Witchcraft that records methods for identifying witches. According to this text, young or old women could potentially be witches, and women who have too many children or no children are also considered witches. The supposed identifying characteristics include red hair, beautiful appearance, love of cleanliness, frequent bathing, and pimples on the face. The man dips his hand in the water in the cup, then gently spreads his 5 fingers, flicking tiny water droplets onto the students' heads. If a student's skin shows burns, it means they are an evil demon, and will be instantly subdued by 100 temple priests. As a follower of the dark god, Sylvie feels relieved seeing this scene. Just sprinkling a little water, not soaking their entire bodies, this is the best possible news for her. Fortunately, she was cautious. Not only did she coat her entire body with beeswax, but she also applied a thick layer of grease to her scalp. Even if that holy water were concentrated sulfuric acid, sprinkling it like this would not cause large area burns. Sylvie glances forward and sees only a dozen students ahead of her. Her turn is coming soon. Her previously calmed heart starts pounding again. She feels her cheeks burning. No, she cannot be nervous. If her facial temperature gets too high, it will melt the beeswax. Sylvie firmly presses the inner pass point on her wrist to relieve her nervous emotions. When only the last person remains in front of her, her heart jumps to her throat again. Holy water sprinkles down. The person in front is too short. The splashing liquid seems to land on her hand, and her nerve endings feel a bit of coolness. Sylvie looks down. That drop of liquid slides off her hand, leaving only a faint watermark with no burns or painful sensation. Her heart, which had jumped to her throat, settles back down. She does not know whether the applied beeswax worked or the holy water is useless, but it is good news either way. The person in front moves on. She steps forward. Holy water sprinkles from above, dripping on her forehead like March spring rain. Moist and cool, yet containing infinite vitality. A water droplet hangs on her temple. She catches it with a tissue, takes out a white porcelain bottle from under her skirt, and pours it in. Students who have received baptism all leave school, riding horses and running wild outside. She also quickly walks out the school gate and gets in a carriage back to the cottage. The execution ceremony is at 2 in the afternoon. She still has 6 hours to set up the scene. Sylvie counts her battle equipment: a pair of fangs fired from ceramic, a bone-shaped scythe, a waterproof raincoat, 2 boxes of dry ice, a box of white phosphorus, a pair of contact lenses, and a set of fake teeth. This bit of dry ice will not last long. Her speed must be fast. In the room, there are also a dozen hydrogen balloons tied with strings. The hydrogen was a byproduct when she made hydrochloric acid. The balloon skins are made of sheepskin, thick and long-burning. Sylvie hands these hydrogen balloons to Troy. Remember, as soon as I wave the scythe, you light the balloons. When I take Lydia and fly upward, you immediately release the strings. Troy nods solemnly. Understood. Also these are dry ice fragments. As soon as I appear, scatter them around the execution platform to shroud it in white mist. Troy silently takes the dry ice box, his fingers gripping the iron box tightly. Let me go instead. He suddenly looks up, his voice hoarse. Sylvie, let me go instead. He knows Sylvie wants to pretend to be an evil god to save Lydia, so no one will suspect them. But this plan seems fraught with danger to him. One mistake, and she could be caught by temple people. Her future is so bright. At this point, you are still talking nonsense. Sylvie frowns at him. There are no foolproof plans in the world. Any action has risks. If you do not want me to die, just follow my plan obediently. Troy's eyes showed deep worry. Enough. If you are really worried, have your griffin wait outside the city. If I really fail, take us and flee together. I need to change clothes. In the afternoon, the circular plaza in front of the temple fills with people. Several prison wagons sway from the other end of the plaza. Soldiers open the wagons and escort 7 or 8 death row prisoners onto the execution platform. The execution platform sits in the center of the plaza with a circle of iron posts. The death row prisoners are tied to these posts, facing the citizens below the platform. Priests pile firewood at the feet of the death row prisoners and pour fuel oil all over their bodies. They only wait for 2 o'clock when the temple bell rings, then their torches will fly out and land on those bundles of wood. The people on the platform look numb, as if they have accepted their coming death well. Most hang their heads with closed eyes. Only their cracked, trembling lips reveal their inner fear, despair, and last struggle. Lydia is the only one who has not closed her eyes. In those pale green eyes, there is no trace of childhood innocence. She stares with big, bulging green eyes, watching the people below the platform without blinking. As if to memorize each person's face, several citizens nearby feel unnerved by her stare and pick up small stones from the ground to throw at her. You filthy witch, close those damned eyes! Kill her! Kill her! Sharp edges cut across Lydia's pointed chin, leaving a gaping wound on her face. But she does not make a sound, as if she feels no pain. The crowd becomes agitated. They scream in terror, pushing and shoving, demanding Lydia's immediate execution. She is an evil witch. She must be an evil witch. She is looking at us. Those are demon eyes. She wants to pollute our pure souls. Burn her, burn her. Among those shouting to burn her are the aunt with poor eyesight whom she often helped thread needles, the struggling uncle who would slip him an extra piece of mutton when selling meat, neighbors who watched her grow up, childhood playmates, and passers-by who once seemed so kind. Lydia stares at them intently, until she sees the 3 fat, disgusting faces hiding among them. The dog butcher family of 3 are all fat. They eat meat every day, with leftover meat in their shop daily. Mutton mixed with blood flows down the cutting board. Those were her countless sleepless nights of constant cleaning. Even the meat they could not sell or finish would never reach her. The family dog was better fed than she was. Lydia deeply imprints this scene in her memory. If there really are witches and demons in the world, she is willing to throw herself into their embrace. Even if she must sacrifice her soul and be devoured by devils, it is better than being devoured by humans. She looks up at the blinding sunlight in the sky, checking if there really are divine spirits and demons above, if they can really hear her call. Priests and soldiers calm the chaotic crowd. There are still a few minutes before the execution ceremony begins. They must follow strict procedures, or it would be disrespectful to the gods. The spectators finally quiet down, gazing at the death row prisoners with hateful, silent condemnation. Time passes second by second as everyone expectantly watches the execution platform. Suddenly, a haggard, middle-aged man rushes into the crowd. He stumbles to the base of the platform and pulls a hatchet from his clothes. Susan is not a follower of evil gods. Susan is not! Release her! Release her! Get lost! Do not interfere with our ceremony. Priests wave torches to drive the man away, but the man's expression grows more frenzied. It is you. You slandered Susan. Susan is a good mother, a good wife, not a follower of evil gods. You slandered her. On the platform, a farm woman who had been hanging her head looks up sobbing. Nick, leave. Do not worry about me. Just leave. No, I will not leave! Nick waves the hatchet at the priests and roars. Our child was sick. Susan killed the chicken to offer sacrifice to the god of life, not to evil gods. She did not worship evil gods. Lost lambs. The red-robed bishop emerges from the temple with arms spread wide, his clear voice drowning out the noisy crowd. Believe in the gods. The gods will not wrongly accuse a good person, nor let a bad person escape. If your wife truly did not sacrifice to evil gods, please accept our test. The gods will bless her safety. Nick's hand holding the hatchet trembles as he thinks. The bishop's words tell him that a living person will only be burned to death in flames, but his 30 years of faith tell him to believe in the gods and not violate divine will. While he hesitates, the hourglass empties to its last grain of sand. Time is up! Light the fire! A priest turns and walks onto the platform, raising his torch high. Suddenly, a strong wind sweeps across the platform, forcing the priests to close their eyes. Troy mingles in the crowd, evenly scattering dry ice fragments. Thick white smoke rises from the ground. The white smoke spreads in all directions like claws and fangs, instantly engulfing the execution platform. What is happening? Why is there sudden fog? Are so cold. My ankles are so cold. While everyone feels anxious and uncertain, a low, eerie voice suddenly echoes from all around them. Foolish humans, who calls my name? To save the poor little girl. The young woman intrudes on the temple's execution ceremony, but because of a moment of compassion, she nearly gets herself trapped. After Troy finishes scattering dry ice, Sylvie plays a pre-recorded voice. Foolish humans, who calls my name? Everyone trembles and looks around. Who? Who is speaking? I know. It is a demon. A demon. The demon has come. The demon has come. The dry ice mist grows thicker. The priest's torches go out with a poof sound, as if blown out by invisible demons. They scream and throw down their torches, tumbling and scrambling off the platform. Demon! It is a demon! Run! Above the platform, thick mist gradually disperses, and scattered blue flames gather into a terrifying figure. Sylvie floats quietly above, with huge bone wings behind her back and a long bone scythe in her right hand. Ignorant humans, who calls upon my lord? Lydia stares intently at the demon in the mist, her tea-green eyes bursting with blazing light. Are you an evil god? The demon casts a pitying glance at her. I am a messenger of the transition god. My lord is the great god of death and time, the dark god King Kovakronos who commands human souls and the 6 realms of reincarnation. Sylvie thinks it over, and decides to cosplay as a minor death god messenger. If a powerful death god personally intervened just to save one death row prisoner, that would be too undignified. God of death and time? Lydia's face shows shock, and she whispers with surging emotions. Evil god? Evil god, you really heard my prayer. Divine messenger, my lord. I am a believer of the God Master. Please take me away. Take away my soul. I am willing to sacrifice my soul to darkness, to offer it to the great god of death and time, to serve his evil for eternity. Sylvie waves the scythe in her right hand, as if to harvest her soul. Lydia closes her eyes blissfully. She has never felt her brief life so relaxed. The temple bishop appears below the platform holding a magic wand. Everyone, do not run. Do not be afraid. There is no evil god here. He glares hatefully at Sylvie above. Damn you, imposter! The sacred bottle is not glowing. There is no demon here, you despicable rat. How dare you ruin our sacred execution ceremony? What do you mean, no demon? People who heard the bishop's voice stop. Exactly. He is just a vile fraud, not any evil god messenger. He just used magic to disguise himself. The bishop raises the magic wand he hastily retrieved from the temple. I just need to recite one spell, and he will immediately show his true form. The panicked fleeing people stop and look questioningly at the sky above the platform. Actually, looking carefully, he does not seem very scary. Those smoke and flames look frightening but cause them no actual harm. The bishop looks at the black-clad figure with contempt and waves his wand. Damned rat, show your true face. Gulano revelation spell. The Bishop of Cyril is an ultimate-level mage. This spell's magic power is beyond Sylvie's ability to resist. The bishop laughs wildly with his head thrown back. What wings, what white mist, what red eyes and fangs. These are all illusions. Look at this damned rat's true face. My lord, my lord. A priest trembles as he tugs at the bishop's sleeve. My lord, please look. He really is a demon. What? The bishop looks at the sky in disbelief. That eerie figure still floats in the thick white mist. The blue flames on his body gradually turn red, and his blood-red eyes become more terrifying. Pure black sharp feathers grow between his bone-like wings, emanating evil aura everywhere. He is angry. The demon is angry. Run! The priest flees in panic. He is going to kill people. Run! Quick! Run! The temple plaza falls into chaos. Only the bishop stands frozen in place, muttering impossible. Pitiful mortal! Your stupidity truly pains me. Sylvie spreads her wings, her dark red eyes looking down disdainfully, the bone scythe pointing downward at an angle. The bishop screams uncontrollably and turns to run toward the temple. The sacred bottle! He still has the sacred bottle. The holy water in the sacred bottle can drive away demons. Seeing he is finally scared away, Sylvie quickly shakes out all the dry ice blocks from under her skirt to raise the carbon dioxide concentration even higher. Her phosphorus fire has burned too long and has burned holes in the raincoat. She must extinguish it first before going down to save people, or she might ignite the fuel oil on Lydia's body. The white mist is so thick that human shapes cannot be seen clearly. Sylvie uses the smoke cover to descend to the ground, quickly unties the ropes binding Lydia, and rescues her. Due to the high carbon dioxide concentration, Lydia is somewhat oxygen deprived and falls into Sylvie's arms in a daze, grasping her sleeve like a lifeline. Are you here to take me away? Sylvie pauses, then holds her body tightly. She stabilizes Lydia and prepares to leave. Unexpectedly, a hand suddenly reaches out from the side. It is the poor farm woman who somehow broke free with one hand and firmly grabs Sylvie's arm as she tries to leave. Sylvie feels compassion. Do you want to come with me? Before the execution ceremony began, she had hidden in the crowd using invisibility magic, piecing together this woman's tragic story from people's fragments of conversation. Her child was sick and about to leave her. With no other options, she could only pray to the gods, hoping divine spirits would hear her prayers. She killed the only rooster in her yard as an offering to the gods. Unexpectedly, this scene was witnessed by a neighbor who often quarreled with her, and the neighbor reported her to the temple. After her sacrifice, her child miraculously recovered, but another child in the village fell ill. The temple believed she used evil magic, giving that child's health to evil gods, so they drowned her child and arrested her too. Seeing the excitement in the farm woman's eyes, Sylvie sighs. Fine, let go of my arm first. I will save you. But the farm woman grips even tighter, showing a crazed, vicious smile on her face. It is a human. A human. I caught him. Come quickly. I caught him. Her fingers dig into Sylvie's flesh. Bishop, my lord, quickly kill him. He must be a follower of evil gods. He is a follower of evil gods. Sylvie's expression changes instantly. She forcefully pulls her arm free. Her sleeve is torn into shreds by the farm woman's hard nails, and 5 scratch marks appear on her pale skin. Demon, die! The bishop's roaring voice comes from behind. She spins around to see the bishop uncapping the goose-necked bottle and throwing its contents forcefully. Transparent liquid flies from the bottle, opening in a beautiful arc. She does not dare gamble on whether the holy water works. Sylvie covers Lydia with her cloak wings and surges upward with powerful wing beats. Sharp pain strikes her back. Wisps of smoke rise from her wing clothing. The tattered wings cannot block the holy water erosion. It seeps through drop by drop into her outer robe. In that instant, she feels as if thousands of red-hot steel needles pierce her back, the pain so intense that her limbs and bones burn, her body involuntarily wanting to curl up. She will forever remember the mistake she made today. Never try to save someone who has already given their soul to faith. That is not a person, but a lost soul in the tiger's mouth. Demon! Really a demon! Really a demon! The bishop watches the smoking shadow surge skyward, deep fear crossing his eyes. Quick, get Headmaster Morrison. Notify the city lord and the Magic Academy. The people around have all fled. The bishop has no choice but to stumble toward the temple. But before he reaches the temple gate, dozens of burning, smoking spherical objects suddenly rise in the sky. The real demon's form mixes among these ascending objects and can no longer be distinguished. Severely injured, Sylvie lacks the strength to take Lydia out of the city. Enduring the severe pain, she casts invisibility spells on herself and Lydia and flies back to the cottage as quickly as possible. Despite going to great lengths to save the little girl, the young woman stuffs cloth in her mouth and ties her to the bedpost. This is because Sylvie learned one lesson: never gamble on human nature under any circumstances. She removes her disguise. Her once strong, powerful wings are pitted with holes from the holy water burns. The soft, shiny feathers are all scorched, turning into 2 bald roasted chicken wings. Sylvie's heart aches. Having some scars on her back is no big problem, but with her wings like this, how can she fly in the future? She should have coated the black wings with wax too. Sylvie touches her poor wings sadly, wondering if they can still heal. After retracting her wings, more than 10 burn scars cover her back, looking like branding iron marks. The largest scar is as big as a goose egg, right at the wing root. It probably flowed in along the feathers. The scar area looks like a chunk of flesh was dug out, forming a sunken pit. When pain reaches its extreme, it becomes numbness. She no longer feels much pain, but her nerves are extremely fatigued, and her limbs begin to weaken. Sylvie forces herself to change clothes, and burns everything she just used to ashes. She thinks the scythe and bone wings might be useful next time, so she hides them in the roof beams. After finishing everything, she removes the cloth from Lydia's mouth, pinches her philtrum and wakes her up. The skeletal little girl wakes from her nightmare, gasping heavily, her pale green eyes looking at her unfocused. Sylvie picks up her magic wand and crouches in front of her. "Are you awake?" Lydia looks at her with surprise and suspicion, shrinking toward the corner of the bed. "Who are you? Was I not rescued by the divine messenger?" Sylvie stands up. "I am the divine messenger you speak of." Lydia opens her mouth in shock. "I give you 2 choices. First, leave Cyril, change your identity, and never return. Second, stay by my side and be my servant." Lydia thinks for a moment and says firmly, "I want to stay by your side and be your servant." "Congratulations on choosing the right answer." Sylvie tosses aside her magic wand. "If you had chosen the first option, I would have killed you." Sylvie sits in a chair. "Now tell me, why do you want to stay?" Lydia's bright eyes ignite with flame. "Because I promised to sacrifice my soul to the great god of death and time, and serve his evil for eternity." "Very good. Your promise saved your life." Sylvie originally thought she chose to stay because she saw reality, knowing she had no ability to survive after leaving Cyril. She did not expect the answer to be somewhat different. "I must tell you something. I am not a messenger of the god of death and time, but a messenger of the god of the undead, the demon humans fear most." After hearing this, do you still want to serve her? Lydia's eyes show shock. She remains silent for a long time before answering in a hoarse voice. "I want to serve you. Whoever saved her life, she will sacrifice her soul to them. The person before me is the deity she prayed for day and night. I allow you to serve me, but I need you to do something else now." Sylvie extends her index finger and lifts Lydia's thin, pointed chin. "Become a believer of the god of the undead, and pray with me to him." Lydia looks at her devoutly. "Yes, my lord." Sylvie leads Lydia in offering a heartfelt hymn of praise to the god of the undead. Soon, a slight warming sensation appears on her back. Sylvie continues praying sincerely in her heart. "My faithfully worshipped god of the undead, do you see your believer covered in burns? Great god of the undead, please forgive your believer's incompetence. After being burned by holy water with no medicine to heal, she can only grow weak and die day by day. Please do not feel sad. You have thousands upon thousands of believers who can surely replace me in offering you the most beautiful praise and prayers." The warming sensation on her back grows stronger, and her shoulder blades begin to itch like ants gnawing and biting. Sylvie knows the god of the undead heard her prayer and knows she developed a believer for him. The itching on her back is proof the god of the undead's blessings always come this way. She looks at Lydia, who is still praying with closed eyes. "That is enough. Your prayer for today is finished." Lydia opens her eyes. "Then, what do I need to do now?" "You do not need to do anything. Just listen. From now on, you are called Rosie and are my house servant. Forget your former name. Forget everything from your past. Can you do that?" "Yes, I can do it." Lydia's eyes fill with tears. Those were the nightmares she wanted to forget day and night. Starting today, they are finally just dreams. "I have 2 things here, hair dye and contact lenses. You need to make both your hair and eyes black. The hair dye was made by having Bella boil black beans in grape vinegar. The contact lenses were made from leftover resin material from making red contacts. These 2 things are safer for disguise than using magic." She bends down and unties the ropes binding Rosie. "Come with me." Sylvie leads Rosie down to the basement. "This used to be a wine cellar. From now on, it is your bedroom. For the next month, you cannot leave here. You must use the hair dye on the table to repeatedly dye your hair until it becomes pure black. You also need to learn to make black contact lenses yourself. I will have someone buy more tree resin. Do not worry about waste. Make them well, or rough lenses will scratch your corneas. There is water and food on the table. There is a chamber pot in the corner that someone will come replace regularly." After finishing, she lifts Rosie's chin again, her gaze falling on the hideous scar on her cheek. "Take good care of the wound on your face. I will not keep a maid with scars on her face by my side." After arranging everything for Rosie, Sylvie leaves the cellar. Half an hour later, the sound of horse hooves comes from outside the courtyard. A young woman identical to Sylvie gets off a carriage and runs into the courtyard with panicked eyes. Seeing Sylvie, the young woman is like seeing her backbone. Her eyes immediately moisten. "Master, you have returned. Thank you for your hard work. Bella, come in. I will change you back." The young woman follows Sylvie into the house. Moments later, the door opens, and Bella emerges wearing a maid's dress. This was their prearranged strategy. When Sylvie went to raid the execution ground, Tom took Bella out to see the scenery, creating an alibi for her. Everything was perfect, except for Sylvie's magic wand. In the room, Sylvie looks at her magic wand. A sudden crack splits it from the root. No wonder powerful mages all use magic staffs. Magic wands are apparently disposable items like contact lenses. If others discover this, how can she explain it? Professor Moses said this stick should last them a year. She needs to find some asphalt to glue the stick together. When Troy returns, she still needs him to look for coal mines and petroleum. Places with petroleum usually have natural asphalt. If not, she can only refine it from coal and tree resin. Thinking of coal mines and petroleum, Sylvie's mind rapidly flashes through industrial formulas and ideas, finally settling on weapons. Coal mines can smelt steel and iron to make various firearms she wants. Petroleum can make fuel and rubber, plus mass-produce simple petroleum bombs. With these things, she can truly establish herself in this world. But this small courtyard cannot build large factories. She should first secure her own territory. 2 hours later, Troy climbs over the wall into the small courtyard. Is everything cleaned up? All cleaned up. I smashed those phonographs and threw them into the blacksmith's furnace. The griffin swallowed the balloon skins too? Sylvie nods. Did anyone see you? No, but the city is under martial law. Priests and city guards are patrolling everywhere. We probably cannot leave the city for the next few days. That is fine. I was not planning to send her out of the city anyway. Sylvie looks at Troy seriously. Now that the matter is resolved, we should discuss your problem. Troy, do you still remember that you are a guard I hired? Troy lowers his eyes. I remember. Do you really remember? Do you know your willful actions could get your employer killed? Troy hangs his head like a bullied little beast. Troy, this is the second time. Both times you abandoned your employer for complete strangers. Is this the professionalism of you mercenaries? Troy suddenly kneels on one knee, placing his long sword in his hands. I swear on my life that I will never again. Troy, mercenaries never make oaths. This is a knight's etiquette. You are a knight, are you not? Troy's entire body stiffens and his hands holding the sword go limp. Sylvie knows she guessed correctly. You know so much about the court affairs of the kingdom of Arturia. You are a knight of the king of Arturia. A knight of the king of Arturia would at least be a general. Tell me how you ended up in this situation. Troy, if you do not explain clearly today, I really dare not use you anymore. Think it over carefully. Sylvie drops the statement and turns toward the stairs. Wait, do not leave. I will tell you. Sylvie turns around and sees Troy's pleading gaze. Do not leave. I will explain everything. Sylvie sits down on the steps. Fine, you speak and I will listen.